For 10 whole years, I played a cultivation game straight through the night in that game. I was the undisputed number one on the global server leaderboards. My cultivation had reached the peak of the supreme great earth after 11 years of grinding. I was above all and second to none. I had countless god-tier artifacts and weapons. Yet in the end, it was all just a game. As I stared at the final screen pop up, a wave of sadness washed over me. The game servers will shut down in 10 minutes. Please enjoy your final moments. Was this 10-year journey finally coming to an end? With only 10 minutes left, I just wanted to say one last goodbye. I opened the game's friend list, only to see a row of grayed-out avatars. Not a single one online. The last time anyone logged in was 5 years ago. It was my DAO companion, Daffodil, whom I had teamed up with back in the day. I wonder how she's doing now. Goodbye, Daffodil. I sent her a message. Even though I knew she'd never see it, I still had to say goodbye. Looking at the empty screen, a profound sense of loneliness overwhelmed me. The game that had been my companion for 10 years was shutting down just like that. I couldn't bear it. I started playing it in junior high, and now I was almost graduating from university. From having nothing to having everything in the game. Now, I had to say goodbye to it all. Soon, the final minute arrived. I opened the world channel staring at the empty chat box and typed, "Goodbye, immortal cultivation life. It's me, Wang Guizi. You are the best game I have ever played. Goodbye, everyone. Are we eating or what, son?" Suddenly, Lua Tao walked in from outside, sweating profusely and holding a basketball. "Let's go." I locked my screen and grabbed my phone, following Lo Tao out of the dorm. But what I didn't know was that a final prompt appeared on the game interface. Official game server. In half an hour, the game will manifest into reality. After dinner, we walked back to the dorm, chatting and laughing. But as soon as I lay down, I heard thunder rolling and saw dark clouds gathering outside. Holy crap, is it the end of the world? Lua Tao stared out the window in shock. I walked out to the balcony and looked up at the sky. Thunder clapped, and lightning flashed amidst the dense dark clouds. It truly felt like the apocalypse was upon us. I hurriedly gathered the clothes hanging on the balcony and went back to bed, getting ready to play King of Glory. But right then, a voice echoed in my mind. Huaxia game Immortal Cultivation Life will manifest in 60 seconds. Lua Tao jumped out of bed looking around in terror. Did you hear that too? I looked at Lua Tao in surprise. It seemed everyone could hear it. I heard it too. What game manifestation? What is Immortal Cultivation Life? What kind of game is this? Lua Tao was dumbfounded. I instantly reacted, grabbed my phone, and scrolled to that familiar game icon. I tapped it frantically, but there was no response. Was this game actually going to manifest? What did manifest mean? Did it mean everything in the game was coming to the real world? Just then, the voice resounded in everyone's minds once again. Manifestation begins in 60 seconds. Suddenly, the sky changed colors drastically. A golden beam shot down from the heavens, followed by countless others, so dense you couldn't tell who they were hitting. It looked like a rain of golden light. I felt my whole body enveloped in a golden beam, a surge of immense, majestic power coursing through me. I was brimming with energy. Supreme Great Earth cultivation manifested. Mental strength is required to wield your power. Along with the voice, memories that didn't belong to me flooded my mind. Shedding my mortal coil, stepping onto the path of true martial arts, starting as a poor scholar, and surviving endless trials to finally become the Supreme Great Earth, my cultivation was the highest, and my power was unmatched. Scenes from my in-game life replayed in my head, grinding through the body tempering stage, defeating bosses, surviving the lightning tribulation to reach the foundation establishment stage, forming a DAO companion bond with Fairy Pio Meow for the first time, getting carried by the top players on the leaderboards, and eventually crushing them all. 11 years of my character's life surged into my mind, as if I had lived it myself. In that short time, I grasped the full extent of my cultivation and understood the terrifying power I now possessed. With just a single thought, I could obliterate the planet beneath my feet. Meanwhile, cultivators were appearing all over the country. In a high-security prison in the Dragon capital, a death row inmate in shackles was quietly waiting for his execution. His name was Wang Guozhang, a mass murderer who had slaughtered a family of 7. He had been on the run for 10 years and was finally caught a few days ago. But suddenly a golden light descended, engulfing him completely. Instantly, his body surged with immense power, and memories flashed before his eyes. Wang Guozhang was stunned at first, then ecstatic. He never imagined that the game he played while on the run would become reality. I actually have quasi-saint cultivation. I'm invincible. Invincible. The next second, he effortlessly snapped his shackles, smashed through the prison wall with a single punch, and swaggered out into the open world. Xiaoyao Tianzun, you dared to ruin my cultivation. I will find you. From his new memories, he realized that while he was offline, a player named Xiaoyao Tianzun kept challenging him, dropping his cultivation until he fell off the leaderboards, leaving him at the quasi-saint level. If it weren't for that Xiaoyao Tianzun, his strength would still be at the Saint King level, vastly stronger than he was now. Freeze! A few prison guards saw Wang Guozhang running out and aimed their guns, panicking. Get lost! Wang Guozhang roared, unleashing a terrifying pressure. The guards were sent flying backward, crashing into the walls and losing consciousness. Wang Guozhang leaped up, smashed through the ceiling, and escaped the prison. No one knew where he went. Holy shit, look at this, Lo Tao suddenly yelled. I looked over and saw Lo Tao holding a 40-pound dumbbell and crushing it into fine powder with a single hand. I'm only at the body tempering stage and I'm already this strong? Wouldn't those at the foundation establishment and golden core stages be even crazier? Hearing Lo Tao's words, I couldn't help but smile. Body tempering was the most basic realm, just the entry level of cultivation. Almost everyone started there. Only at foundation establishment did one truly shed their mortal shell. Below the golden core stage, everyone was still mortal. Suddenly, a massive crash echoed from the dorm next door. We rushed out to see what happened. Holy crap, he smashed the wall with one punch. Is this the power of the foundation establishment stage? That's insane. Why didn't I play that game? I want to cultivate too. So strong, I don't think I could blow up a dorm with one punch. Luo Tao looked on enviously. As I watched this unfold, a wave of worry washed over me. Now that people possessed extraordinary power, the world was bound to undergo massive changes. Was knowledge about this cultivation system. The world had changed, the era of peace was over, and a new kind of war was imminent. The man nodded and immediately shared everything he knew. When the group heard that a peak body tempering cultivator could lift a boulder weighing 100,000 pounds, that a foundation establishment cultivator could wield magic, and that a golden core cultivator could stand in the void with unparalleled power, they were stunned. And further up, an Ascent Soul cultivator's power rivaled a nuclear bomb. A soul formation cultivator could wipe out an entire nation. A Mahayana cultivator possessed the power to casually destroy the world. These realms made Li Long's head spin and left the others completely bewildered. When the man finished speaking, the entire room fell into a dead silence, followed by an uproar. What do we do? If people really have this kind of power, how can we possibly manage them? This power is too terrifying. Just playing a game for a few months grants power comparable to a nuclear weapon. The world is going to descend into chaos. We need a plan immediately, or the entire globe will fall apart. We have to secure our country first. There are already reports of criminals using these extraordinary powers to commit crimes. The room fell silent again, all eyes turning to Li Long. Li Long paced the conference room deep in thought. Suddenly, an idea struck him. We must establish a new department immediately. I've decided to call it the Cultivator Management Department. We'll recruit cultivators. We must rely on cultivators. First, we identify the cultivators within our own ranks. We'll gather the military first, then the general public. After that, we'll establish cultivator academies and schools. A new era has arrived, the era of universal cultivation. Back at Kindu University, the student and faculty surveys were complete. Looking at the results, the school administration was dumbfounded. Out of 15,000 students and faculty, over 3,000 had acquired cultivation. Seeing that their school housed over 3,000 cultivators, Li Chun was too excited to speak. I never imagined we'd have over 3,000 cultivators in our school. This is truly shocking. I watched the shifting expressions on the faces. Across the field, some joyous, some devastated, and couldn't help but sigh. I never expected that my persistence would make me the strongest person alive. I wonder if anyone here knows of me? But when I claimed the #1 spot on the leaderboards, 99% of the player base had already quit. The world channel was dead. No one probably recognized my name. I wonder if those few Dao companions would remember me. Just then, the teacher in charge of the survey shouted out in shock. Mahayana, there's a Mahayana stage cultivator and another cultivator at the foundation establishment stage. Hearing this, everyone turned to look. The cultivators among the students were especially astounded. Mahayana stage. That was an incredibly powerful existence. You had to spend a fortune to reach that level. In the game, the higher the realm, the harder it was to progress. To reach the Mahayana stage, you had to play consistently for at least half a year, or spend crazy amounts of money, or get carried by a top-tier player. The students who thought they were invincible at the foundation establishment or golden core stages instantly fell silent. A Mahayana stage cultivator could easily crush them all. Who is it? Teacher Yan Yu? The teacher handling the survey read the name off the paper, calling it out in disbelief. Everyone knew that name. She was known as the most beautiful teacher at Kindu University, teacher Yan Yu. Instantly, all eyes turned toward a woman with breathtaking features, her hair tied in a simple ponytail, wearing a tight-fitting pencil skirt, black stockings, and black heels. Yan Yu didn't flinch. She simply nodded, not saying a word. To think that the most beautiful teacher on campus was actually a Mahayana stage player. Teacher Yan Yu, could you please come to the stage and say a few words? The principal quickly requested. This was the strongest person in the entire school. Seeing the principal's respectful demeanor, the other teachers felt a mix of emotions. It seemed teacher Yan Yu's status was going to skyrocket. Yan Yu didn't refuse. She stepped up to the stage and took the microphone from the principal. Taking the microphone, she began to speak. Now that the game has manifested, anyone who played it has gained cultivation. But I urge you all, do not abuse your power to commit crimes. Do not bully your peers. And do not think you are the strongest because there are people much stronger than you. As she spoke, a memory surfaced in her mind. 5 years ago, when she first started playing the game, she had just graduated and was playing out of boredom while looking for a job. That day, she ran into a helpful player who guided her, gave her countless items, helped her fight monsters, and even became her Tao companion. Because of him, she reached the Mahayana stage in no time. Even when she stopped playing for a while, he would still occasionally send her gear and items, leaving messages for her right up until the game's final moments, still saying his goodbyes. She didn't know what cultivation level her master, her Tao companion, had reached now. She only remembered that before she quit, he was at the heavenly immortal stage. But just as Yan Yu finished her sentence, a voice thundered from the sky. Cultivation manifestation complete. Expansion of the blue planet's surface area has begun. Initial expansion, global surface area increased by 10x. Cultivator leaderboards will open shortly. Those who rank will receive bountiful rewards. Manifestation completes in 3 days. Suddenly, the ground began to shake violently. The ordinary people on the sports field lost their footing and collapsed. The earthquake lasted for over 10 seconds before finally subsiding. I closed my eyes and used my divine sense to survey the entire blue planet. With my supreme great earth cultivation, my divine sense could reach out into the cosmos. I was astonished to find that the blue planet's surface area had indeed increased tenfold, and within Huaxia's borders, thousands of unknown territories had appeared: oceans, forests, deserts, places completely devoid of human life, or even any biological life at all. They just appeared out of thin air. But this also gave me a bad premonition. If the game manifested, did that mean the monsters and NPCs from the game would manifest too? Just then, the rhythmic chopping of helicopter rotors filled the sky. The crowd looked up to see a military helicopter hovering above them. As the helicopter landed, a man in a military uniform stepped out. He looked to be in his early 30s. I am Luo Wei, a member of the Cultivator Management Department, and a Major General. Hearing his introduction, the students and faculty were stunned. Who has the highest cultivation level here? Lo Wei's gaze swept over the crowd. I am at the Mahayana stage. Yan Yu stepped forward and said. She could tell that this soldier was also a cultivator, but his realm was lower than Hersenli at the Golden Core stage. Hearing this, Lo Wei was shocked. There was actually a Mahayana stage cultivator here. He immediately bowed respectfully. Greetings, Mahayana expert. In the past, he never would have bowed. But things were different now. This was the era of cultivators. A Mahayana stage cultivator could crush him with a single finger. He didn't dare act out of line. Please don't do that. We are all citizens of Huaxia, and you military personnel have contributed the most to our country. Yan Yu, flattered and slightly overwhelmed, quickly used her spiritual energy to lift Luo back to his feet. Then I shall respectfully address you as Miss Yan, Luo said, still not daring to act casually. I wonder if Miss Yan would be willing to join our cultivator management department to help maintain peace and order. I am willing. It is my honor to serve the country. Yan Yu nodded. That's wonderful. Let's go discuss the details, Lo said, leading Yan Yu away from the sports field. Seeing them leave, I used my divine sense to keep an eye on them. I could hear every word they said. Ms. Yan, we plan to establish cultivation classes in every school and assign cultivators as teachers. You are already a teacher at Kindu University. Would you be willing to be the head teacher for this program? I accept. I will accurately report your situation to my superiors. Since you are at the Mahayana stage, you must have a deep understanding of the game, correct? I played for about half a year, so I have a decent understanding. The sects in this game are all NPC sects. If the game fully manifests, these NPCs and their sects might manifest as well. The most powerful sect is the Azure Cloud sect. According to the game's lore, their sect master is a great Luo Golden Immortal, and even their elders are profound immortals or earth immortals. The other sects all possess strength just below the heavenly immortal level. They are incredibly powerful. Hearing this, Luo Wei's expression turned to one of utter shock. He didn't know much about the game's lore. He had only played for a week, spent a little money, and then quit when he joined the military. He could easily imagine that if these NPCs descended upon the blue planet, it would be a catastrophic blow. A great Luo Golden Immortal. With a single thought, they could wipe out a country or even a planet. If they couldn't be controlled, it would spell disaster for Huaxia. It would be the end of the world. But you don't need to worry. The Azure Cloud sect is a righteous sect in the game's lore. They won't harm the innocent. The demonic sects are the ones we should be worried about. They feed on humans and refine human souls for their cultivation. They are the true threat. I understand. I will report all of this to my superiors. If those sects truly manifested in Huaxia, it would be an absolute disaster. He couldn't fathom what the future held if those NPCs actually arrived. The NPCs' cultivation was vastly superior, and they had been cultivating far longer, possessing countless more techniques. The human cultivators only had memories implanted from a game. If a real battle broke out, they wouldn't have the combat experience of the NPCs. It would be like fighting a cannon with a handgun. By the way, does Miss Yan know of any other powerful players in the game? Someone stronger than you, perhaps? There are countless players stronger than me. When I was playing, I couldn't even break into the top 50 on the leaderboards. All those top players are at the Tribulation Transcendent stage or higher, especially my master, the one who guided me through the game. His name is Xiaoyao Tianzun. He was already a heavenly immortal back then. If he kept playing, he might be a saint or even higher now. Listening from afar, my body trembled slightly, and my gaze grew complex, because I had just heard a very familiar name, Xiaoyao Tianzun, and my in-game name was exactly that, Xiao Tianzun. For 10 years, I played this cultivation game straight through the night. I was in existence second to none, commanding countless god-tier artifacts, but I never expected that after 10 years the game would actually manifest into reality. All the cultivation, artifacts, and abilities from the game were transferred to my real-world body. Hearing their conversation, I was stunned. I couldn't believe teacher Yan Yu actually knew my in-game name and even claimed to be my disciple, but I couldn't figure out who she was. I had taken on way too many disciples in the game. It seemed this master was very important to her. Lo Wei smiled. I see. Yan Yu nodded, a nostalgic smile playing on her lips as the memory surfaced. She was growing more and more curious about what kind of person Xiaoyao Tianzun truly was. I'll keep a close eye out for this Xiaoyao Tianzun. May I ask what your in-game ID is, Ms. Yan? We keep our in-game names strictly confidential. My in-game name is Daffodil, Yan Yu answered truthfully. Hearing this, my eyes widened in sheer disbelief. My Dao companion and my disciple was actually my teacher? The world was so big, yet I managed to run into her. I can't reveal myself, I thought. This is way too awkward. Being Dao companions with my teacher, sending her cringe-inducing romantic messages every day, just thinking about it made me want to die. It was better to keep this buried forever. Daffodil, a lovely name. We'll leave it at that for now. I need to report back. Your identification badge will be issued in a few days. As for your position, we'll discuss it. Assignments are based on cultivation realms. Shortly after, Lu Wei and Yan Yu return to the sports field. Within 2 days, our cultivator management department will hold official interviews. Everyone will have a chance to join. We offer generous benefits and treatment. The higher your realm, the better the benefits. Keep an eye on the news. With that, Lu Wei boarded the helicopter and departed. The entire field instantly erupted in chatter. The cultivator management department is opening soon. Are you going to join? Lu Wei Tao asked me, his eyes gleaming with excitement. A government job before even graduating, he was definitely interested. Seeing Lo Tao's eager face, I shook my head helplessly. I don't want to join these management departments. Too much trouble. I prefer a quiet life. Suddenly, the clear sunny sky was ripped apart by a thunderous boom. The cultivation golden leaderboard is now open. The primordial voice echoed from the heavens once more. Everyone looked up. The sky, which had been bright moments ago, turned a murky gray as dark clouds rolled in, completely blocking out the sun. I swept my divine sense upward and was shocked to find that these dark clouds covered all of Huaxia. The entire country was plunged into darkness. A single ray of golden light pierced through the dark clouds. Following the light, a massive scroll descended from above the clouds, hovering midair. I could sense a terrifying spiritual energy radiating from it. This was at least an innate premium-grade spiritual artifact. The scroll hovered for several seconds before it slowly began to unfurl. Once fully opened, it was easily 100 meters long and 100 meters wide, clearly visible to everyone in the nation. But surprisingly, there was nothing written on it. It was completely blank. The primordial voice echoed again. The cultivation golden leaderboard has opened. It will display the top 100 cultivators. Those who rank will receive rewards. The higher the rank, the richer the reward. The announcements begin now, starting from the 100th place as the voice faded. Black text materialized on the golden scroll. 100th place, Carrot loves celery. Realm, Nascent Soul. Reward, 5 Nascent Soul pills. As the text appeared, the voice read it aloud, broadcasting the player's name and realm for the entire country to see. 100th place is only at the Nascent Soul stage? That's so weak. I thought it would be at least Mahayana. Who knew it would be this low? Then the highest is probably only Great Lu Wei Golden Immortal or something, right? This leaderboard seems super watered down. If 100th place is only Nascent Soul, then first place can't be that great either. Watching the Cultivation Golden leaderboard, I wasn't too surprised this game had only been truly popular for a year. Playing for a year would only get you to the Tribulation Transcendence stage at best, and if you stopped playing, you'd be constantly attacked by players, invaded by monsters and ghosts, and your cultivation would drop. Eventually, the realms of inactive players would plummet. I was absolutely certain that by the 10th year, I was the only person on the entire leaderboard still actively playing. Everyone else had quit long ago, but I honestly couldn't care less about Nascent Soul pills. If I remembered correctly, I had 999 of them in my inventory, and that wasn't my limit, that was the game's inventory cap. So everything was maxed out at 999. Meanwhile, at the Dragon Department's secret base in Huaxia, find everyone named on the golden leaderboard. Anyone who makes the list is a top-tier player. Their strength is extraordinary. If we can gather them, they will become our most powerful asset. Li Long ordered, his voice echoing in the room as he stared at the scroll in the sky. Behind him stood a row of men in military uniforms, generals of various ranks. These men were the absolute backbone of Huaxia. But before the leaderboard even announced the 99th place, the military took action. Whether on Weibo, forums, or message boards anywhere people could post. A pinned message appeared: the Cultivator Management Department is officially established. All cultivators who have made the Cultivation Golden Leaderboard, please contact us immediately. Below the post was a long list of over 100 phone numbers, all open for calls. They had originally planned to announce this tomorrow, but the sudden appearance of the Golden Leaderboard forced their hand. They had to recruit these top-tier players into the management department immediately to reassure the public. Because this was being broadcasted across the entire internet, countless netizens saw it. Some were thrilled, others apprehensive. Thank God. The government is finally stepping in. I was terrified I might accidentally offend a cultivator. I'm just a normal guy. Exactly. This is how it should be. You guys have no idea it's only been 2 hours since the game manifested, but there have already been hundreds of crimes reported. It's terrifying. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Meanwhile, back on the school's sports field, the recruitment drive had begun. The government is recruiting. Everyone call the numbers and apply to join the cultivator management department, a student on the field shouted, looking at his phone. Hearing this, the other students quickly pulled out their phones. The first thing they saw was the push notification for that exact post. One by one, they started dialing the numbers, desperate to join the cultivator management department. Chen Lang, I'm going to join. Are you? Lo Tao pulled out his phone, ready to make a call. You go ahead. I'll pass. I shook my head with a smile. All right, fine. Once I make a name for myself in there, I'll pull you in. Lo Tao walked to the side and started dialing. He had to try several times because the lines were busy, but he finally got through. I listened and the process was incredibly simple. Lo Tao just had to submit his in-game name and then go to an officially designated location for verification. If confirmed as a cultivator, he could join the department on the spot. The locations were still being finalized but would be announced nationwide within the next 2 days. Meanwhile, the golden leaderboard in the sky began to update again. 99th place, still Nescent Soul. Reward, 7 Nescent Soul pills. 2.5 hours passed in a flash. The golden leaderboard had reached the 60th place. The names prior were all at the soul formation stage. 60th place was highly likely to be at the Mahayana stage. 60th place, Water Spirit Fairy, Realm, Early Mahayana. Reward, Water Spirit Immortal Grass. As the leaderboard announced this, everyone ranked above 60th would be at the Tribulation, Transcendence, or Immortal stages. Yan Yu was shocked to see she only ranked 60th. A Mahayana stage cultivator was only 60th. Then the ones above her had to be at least Tribulation Transcendence. I wasn't surprised by the result. But the Water Spirit Immortal Grass reward caught my attention. If I remembered correctly, the Water Spirit Immortal Grass awakened the Water Spirit Root. In the game, every cultivator had 5 elemental spirit roots: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. Everyone unlocked their own specific roots and could even collect all 5. It wasn't like those novels where having mixed roots was a bad thing. But after the manifestation, I realized I didn't have any spirit roots at all. Perhaps they needed to be awakened manually. This Water Spirit Immortal Grass was perfect for helping Yan Yu awaken hers. Shortly after the announcement, Yan Yu received a phone call. Although eavesdropping is immoral, I couldn't help but use my divine sense to listen in. It was Lo Wei calling Yan Yu, inviting her to a meeting with the leaders of the Dragon Department's Chindu branch to discuss matters of vital importance. The words echoed in my mind. I played a cultivation game straight through the night for 10 years. I was the undisputed #1 on the global server leaderboards, and existence above all, but I never expected it to manifest into reality. All the cultivation and artifacts transferred directly to my real body. Hearing Lu Wei's invitation, I was puzzled. What is the Dragon Department? Is it like one of those secret government organizations protecting the country you read about in novels? Soon after, Yan Yu vanished from the sports field. She literally disappeared into thin air. The ordinary people were stunned, but the cultivators knew exactly what happened. A Mahayana stage cultivator could use the shrink the earth into an inch technique, traveling vast distances with a single thought. In that entire crowd, only I knew exactly where she went, because my divine sense was locked onto her the whole time. I was curious to see what this dragon department really was. Soon, Yan Yu arrived deep in the mountains. Hidden within was a heavily guarded secret base. Dozens of soldiers patrolled the perimeter, while hundreds more trained inside. Lo Wei was waiting for her at the entrance and escorted her in. They walked down a corridor and entered a conference room. 7 or 8 men in military uniforms were already waiting. Each of them wore high-ranking insignias. The lowest rank among them was Major General. Yet they all treated Yan Yu with the utmost respect. It turned out their goal was to appoint her as the vice director of the Cultivator Management Department's Kindu branch. The position of director was still under discussion. They then outlined the department's primary responsibilities: managing rogue cultivators and protecting civilians. Since the cultivators' appearance, the crime rate had skyrocketed. In just half a day, hundreds of crimes had been reported nationwide, and the vast majority were committed by rogue cultivators. Yan Yu didn't refuse. She felt that since she possessed this power, she had a responsibility to bear as a citizen of Huaxia. The generals greatly admired her resolve and officially appointed her as vice director, tasking her with recruiting cultivators from her school to form a powerful united front. But right at that moment, a new name materialized on the golden leaderboard. Holy crap, a Tribulation Transcendence big shot. Luo Tao's sudden shout pulled me from my thoughts. I retracted my divine sense and looked up at the leaderboard. What I saw made me raise an eyebrow in surprise. 51st place, Fairy Piao Meow. Realm, Early Tribulation Transcendence. Reward, Random Postnatal Artifact. Fairy Piao Meow. She was another one of my Dao companions. I met her half a year after the game launched. She was a little rich girl. Back then, my cultivation was still relatively low, and I saw her looking for someone in the World Channel. Figuring I had nothing to lose, I added her. To my surprise, she accepted. A few days later, she suddenly sent me a Dao companion request. I thought she was just playing around, but she was incredibly serious and gave me a ton of valuable items. Sadly, she only played for a month before quitting, but because she threw money at the game like crazy, she brute forced her way to the Tribulation Transcendence stage in just 1 month. Rumor had it she spent over 100,000, though I never knew for sure. Seeing her name brought back memories, but I still didn't know who this Dao companion was in real life. Meanwhile, in a luxurious villa in the Dragon Capital, a young woman with a flawless figure, slim where it mattered, curves in all the right places, and a surprisingly youthful, innocent face was lounging by an outdoor pool, staring up at the sky. Seeing her name on the leaderboard, she jumped up, dancing with joy. Woohoo! I made the leaderboard. I'm actually 51st. To think that a game I played on a whim, throwing a little pocket money at, would turn me into a powerhouse. I wonder what realm that little brother has reached by now. The woman smiled softly at the memory. That guy who called her big sister every day. Always so sweet-talking, he should be in his 20s by now, right? She wondered if he kept playing the game. If he did, he must be incredibly strong by now. As the leaderboard revealed name after name, I saw all my Dao companions listed. All 8 of them. The highest ranked was at the human immortal stage. I vaguely remembered that she was on the verge of reaching the true immortal stage before she quit abruptly due to personal reasons. I never saw her again. So far, I only knew Daffodil's true identity. The others were a mystery. By now, Luotao and I had returned to our dorm. The leaderboard was still updating, currently at the top 20. I wondered who else was up there. Luotao stood on the balcony staring at the golden scroll in the dusky sky, muttering to himself, "If I had known, I would have played that game more. I could have been a big shot too." Lo Tao walked back inside, a look of utter regret on his face. I smiled but said nothing. I lay down on my bed, closed my eyes, and cast my divine sense over all of Huaxia. The cultivator management department was already actively recruiting and patrolling across the country. Numerous murderers had escaped. Suddenly, Luo Tao let out a sharp yell. I opened my eyes and sat up, looking at him. "What's wrong? Look at this." Luo Tao rushed over and shoved his phone in my face. A news broadcast was playing featuring a female anchor. Multiple heavy offenders and convicted murderers have successfully broken out of prison nationwide. They were recently apprehended, but gained extraordinary powers today, allowing them to escape. Citizens are advised to stay indoors and avoid going out. If you spot any suspicious individuals, immediately contact the Cultivator Management Department's official hotline. I frowned. So that's why the Cultivator Management Department was rushing to recruit and patrol. So many murderers had escaped. This was going to cause massive chaos in society. Suddenly, I sensed something. I looked out the window, my expression turning grave. "What's wrong?" Luo Tao noticed my sudden shift in mood. "You keep watching. I need to use the restroom." I gave him a slight smile, patted his shoulder, and walked out of the dorm. The moment I stepped out the door, I vanished into thin air. On a sandy beach, a group of uniformed men and women surrounded a man in a prison uniform. "Yuan Xiaoyang, surrender immediately, you cannot escape." The man was the heavy offender, the death row inmate Yuan Xiaoyang. He was supposed to go to court tomorrow and be sentenced to death. But to his utter surprise, the game manifested today, granting him cultivation and turning him into a supreme cultivator. "Ha ha ha! You think you can stop me?" Yuan Xiaoyang threw his head back and laughed maniacally. Once he crossed this coastline, he'd be in international waters. He could build his power there and return for revenge. Later, who could possibly stop him? "Don't think you're the only one with cultivation. We have it too," the lead officer shouted coldly. In an instant, a sharp spiritual energy blade materialized in his hand, radiating dangerous power. He was a golden core stage cultivator and a squad captain in the cultivator management department, Ye Wen. "Ha ha ha ha. A measly golden core dare challenge me? You must have a death wish." Yuan Xiaoyang roared with laughter. In the next second, a terrifying, suffocating aura erupted from his body, shaking the very air around them. Instantly, every member of the management squad was blasted backwards, stumbling and struggling. To stay on their feet, Ye Wen's eyes widened in horror. Soul formation stage. He never expected Yuan Xiaoyang to be a soul formation powerhouse. Their squad of golden core, a few foundation establishments, and 2 body tempering cultivators stood absolutely no chance. Ye Wen's brow furrowed, his heart sinking to the pit of his stomach. Report. Coastline of High City. Soul formation stage powerhouse spotted. Requesting immediate backup. A soul formation stage powerhouse spotted. Requesting immediate backup. Requesting immediate backup. Ye Wen yelled desperately into his satellite radio. With just a few of them, they stood absolutely no chance against Yuan Xiaoyang. They couldn't even withstand a single attack. "Die!" Yuan Xiaoyang roared with manic laughter, launching a ferocious assault. He slammed his palm down, and the sky instantly changed color. A massive blood-red hand made of pure spiritual energy materialized and smashed down. With that single strike, 3 members of the 5-person squad were instantly killed. They exploded into clouds of blood mist, dying on the spot, leaving only a terrified Ye Wen and his Foundation Establishment stage vice captain. Ha ha ha! So fun. Weren't you all acting so tough before? I despise you government dogs the most. You think having authority makes you special? Now let's see who's truly. Yuan Xiaoyong laughed hysterically, conjuring another blood-red palm ready to obliterate the remaining 2. Watching the blood-red hand descend, Ye Wen closed his eyes and waited for death. But what followed was Yuan Xiaoyong's terrified scream. Who are you? For 10 whole years, I played a cultivation game straight through the night in that game. I was the undisputed #1 on the global server leaderboards. My cultivation had reached the peak of the supreme great earth. I was above all and second to none. I had countless god-tier artifacts and weapons, but I never expected that after 10 years, the game would actually manifest into reality. All the cultivation and artifacts transferred directly to my real body. Just as Yuan Xiaoyong was about to deal the final blow, his expression darkened, his pupils trembling in sheer terror as he stared ahead. Hearing the scream, Ye Wen slowly opened his eyes in confusion. He was stunned by the sight before him. A figure stood in front of him. He couldn't see the face, only the tall, imposing silhouette. Who are you? Yuan Xiaoyong stared at the young man, his pupils shrinking violently. Just a moment ago, his attack was effortlessly dispelled by this man. With a casual wave of his hand, the blood-red palm vanished into thin air. That effortless display of power struck fear deep into his core, a primal terror that made him tremble. I didn't speak. I simply frowned at Yuan Xiaoyong. I had sensed his attack and came over on a whim. I couldn't believe this guy was so vile, brazenly murdering government officials. It infuriated me. I'm sorry, please let me go. I didn't mean to kill them. Realizing he was completely outmatched, Yuan Xiaoyong immediately dropped to his knees and begged for mercy. Die, I said coolly. Instantly, Yuan Xiaoyong exploded into a mist of blood, vanishing without a trace. Both his soul and his sense soul were completely eradicated. He would never have the chance to resurrect. Ye Wen and the vice captain watched in utter shock and terror. Thank you for saving us, senior. Ye Wen stood up and cupped his hands respectfully. Don't mention it. We're all citizens of Huaxia. It was just a passing effort, I replied, not turning around. I didn't want to expose my identity. It would be too troublesome if the government came looking for me. However, through my divine sense, I could see everything clearly. I noticed the vice captain was missing an arm. I snapped my fingers. A surge of pure spiritual energy enveloped the vice captain, swirling around the empty space where his left arm used to be. To their absolute astonishment, bones slowly began to form, followed by meridians, flesh, and blood, until the missing arm was completely restored. Thank you so much, senior. Seeing his left arm regenerate and move normally, the vice captain dropped to his knees with a thud and kowtowed profusely. It's nothing, I said calmly. An invisible wave of spiritual energy gently lifted the vice captain back to his feet. Just then, I noticed someone approaching. It was Yan Yu. It seemed she had received the backup request and rushed over. Farewell. With that single word, I vanished into thin air. Ye Wen and the vice captain fell to their knees once more. Thank you for saving our lives, senior. We will never forget this. Meanwhile, the golden leaderboard in the sky spoke again. The Cultivation Golden Leaderboard broadcast concludes here. The top 10 will be announced tomorrow. With that, the scroll rolled up and disappeared without a trace. Within a day, the news of the global manifestation spread across all platforms. Huaxia manifested the immortal cultivation life. The American Empire manifested the Superpower Alliance. The Heavenly Emperor's Empire manifested the Ninja Era. The world was in chaos. Last night, through intense online discussions, the nations reached a temporary truce. No one was allowed to cross borders or launch invasions. Lying on my bed and scrolling through Weibo, I frowned. The arrival of cultivators had indeed brought disaster to the country. Nearly 40,000 people died yesterday, all murdered by rogue cultivators. They had no control over their powers, turning into a living nightmare for ordinary people. I felt I needed to do something. When order is lost, a powerhouse is often needed to suppress the chaos and restore balance. And right now, I was that powerhouse. Suddenly, the sky darkened again. The primordial voice boomed from the heavens. The Cultivation Golden Leaderboard has reopened, revealing the top 10. All rewards will manifest simultaneously when the game fully integrates in 2 days. Please prepare for the manifestation of demonic beasts. Hearing this, I flashed onto the balcony and frowned at the sky. Demonic beasts were manifesting this soon? We hadn't even managed the cultivators yet, and now the beasts were coming? It was going to be total chaos. At the Kindu branch base, Yan Yu looked up at the golden leaderboard, a glimmer of anticipation in her eyes. He must be in the top 10, right? She had waited all day yesterday without hearing the name Xiaoyao Tianzun. She was terrified he was no longer alive, because only deceased players were excluded from the leaderboard, or so the forum speculated yesterday. If you're not dead, you must be in the top 10. A memory of Xiaoyao Tianzun's words echoed in her mind. Will you ever come back and play? When you do, I'll definitely be super strong. I'll carry you again. It was a pity she never went back. Under the expectant gaze of the masses, the heavenly Tao's primordial voice sounded again. 10th place, Starry Night Adjustment. Realm, Peak Great Luo Golden Immortal. Reward, Innate Spiritual Artifact. Wind Riding Fire Fan. Meanwhile, deep in the mountains at a secluded Taoist temple, a middle-aged Taoist priest, looking to be in his late 30s, sat in meditation. He suddenly opened his eyes. The cycle of karma. To think a game from 10 years ago would bring such massive changes. I wonder how strong the top 9 are. The priest looked up at the sky outside his door, his heart filled with shock. 10 years ago, before he became a priest, he played Immortal Cultivation Life and spent hundreds of thousands of yuan, reaching the peak Great Luo Golden Immortal realm in just a year. The bankruptcy of his company and the loss of his wife and child left him disillusioned with the mortal world, so he decisively joined the temple. He thought his Great Luo Golden Immortal cultivation made him invincible, but he never imagined there were 9 people stronger than him. 9th place, Kung Fu is useless without speed. Realm, Early Great Luo Heavenly Immortal. Reward, Innate Spiritual Artifact God-Slaying Sword Array. The leaderboard's announcement left the priest stunned. A Great Luo Heavenly Immortal is only 9th. Then aren't the ones above Saints or Saint Kings? Holy crap, 9th place is already a Great Loa Heavenly Immortal. I can't even imagine the ones above. 8th place, Mid Great Loa Heavenly Immortal. 7th place, Peak Great Loa Heavenly Immortal. 6th place, Peak Great Loa Heavenly Immortal. As the names were revealed, a Peak Great Luo Heavenly Immortal was only ranked 6th. This meant the top 5 could very well be quasi-saints or even saints. Those 5 would likely be the absolute strongest in the nation. The 5th place might be a massive turning point. Everyone waited with bated breath. 5th place, Slaughtering True Person. Realm, Quasi-Saint. Reward, Innate Supreme Artifact, Tyrant Dragon Cauldron. Far away overseas in a country that had manifested in a spare game, within a hidden underground syndicate. What? I'm only 5th. Wang Guozhang, who had fled Huaxia, shot up, sweating profusely. He never expected his quasi-saint realm to only rank 5th. That meant there were 4 people stronger than him. A profound sense of crisis washed over him. It seemed staying here wasn't a long-term solution. 4th place, Heaven's Tao Forces My Hand. Realm, Quasi-Saint. Reward, Innate Supreme Artifact. Boundless Immortal Mirror. Innate Pill. Saint-Breaking Pill. But 4th place is still a quasi-saint? Then 3rd place must be a saint, right? Hurry up, I can't wait to see what 1st place is. 3rd place, Mighty Heavenly Dragon Holy Maiden. Reward, Innate Supreme Artifact. Demon Subduing Pagoda. Holy Body, 5 Elements Holy Body. When everyone saw the 3rd place reward, they were flabbergasted. A holy body, something only found in novels, actually appeared. Was this exclusive to the top 3? 2nd place, Who Else Can Beat Me? Realm, Saint King. Reward, Innate Supreme Artifact, 5 Elements Heavenly Saber. Holy Body, Longevity Holy Body. A Saint King is only ranked 2nd. The moment the 2nd place was announced, the entire nation was dumbfounded. This was a Saint King. And it was only 2nd place. Could the 1st place possibly be stronger than a Saint King? However, everyone quickly reasoned that the 1st place was likely a peak Saint King, or perhaps even a quasi-emperor. But regardless, the 1st place would undoubtedly be the absolute strongest person in all of Huaxia, bar none. Everyone stared wide-eyed, completely fixated on the golden leaderboard. But right at that moment, the sky changed. Dark clouds gathered, thunder roared, and lightning flashed. Colossal 5-clawed golden dragons materialized, soaring above the storm clouds, letting out deafening roars that shook the heavens. It was a breathtaking, awe-inspiring scene. As if welcoming an emperor, Yan Yu's heart pounded against her ribs, and she wasn't the only one. Fairy Piao Miao felt exactly the same. 1st place, Xiaoyao Tianzun. Realm, Supreme Great Earth. Reward, Heavenly Tao Supreme Artifact. Slaughtering Blood Sword. Mountain and River Bell. Holy Body, Heavenly Sovereign, Holy Body. The 1st place was finally revealed. When everyone saw those 4 words, the entire nation held its breath. Silence fell over Huaxia, but seconds later the country erupted in an absolute frenzy. Holy shit! What is this? What realm is Supreme Great Earth? It completely skipped Saint King and went straight to Supreme Great Earth? I thought Saint was crazy enough, but there's actually something this terrifying? That's the absolute peak realm in the game. Is there a cultivator who can explain this? I'm a cultivator, I'll explain. Supreme Great Earth is the absolute highest realm in the game. Below it are many realms: Heavenly Emperor, Immortal Emperor, Quasi-Emperor. Only above Heavenly Emperor is Supreme Great Earth, which means this realm can effortlessly crush everyone else in the country combined. Crush? With a single thought, he could blow up the entire blue planet. Hearing the cultivator's explanation, the ordinary citizens completely panicked. Blow up the blue planet with a single thought? A power thousands of times more terrifying than a nuclear bomb, and it belonged to a single human. He was the Supreme Great Earth. Yan Yu stared at the leaderboard, her beautiful eyes wide with shock. She thought Xiaoyao Tianzun being a Saint King or Quasi-Emperor would be incredible enough, but he was actually at the peak Supreme Great Earth. This existence, who could destroy a planet with a thought and wander the cosmos freely, was her Tao companion. Xiaoyao Tianzun, does he still remember me? Next to her, Director Li Jiang noticed her reaction. Vice Director Yan, from your tone, you seem to know this Xiaoyao Tianzun. He was my Dao companion in the game. We played together, Yan Yu answered honestly, her face flushing slightly at the memory, feeling a bit embarrassed. As soon as she said this, everyone around them turned to stare. Vice Director Yan's Dao companion is Xiaoyao Tianzun. Then could Vice Director Yan invite him to join our branch? If so, we'd instantly become the strongest department in the country. Hearing the murmurs, Li Jiang's eyes lit up. Exactly. Can you invite Xiaoyao Tianzun to join us? If he comes, I'll gladly give him the director's seat. Yan Yu's eyes dimmed, and she shook her head with a sigh. I can't, because I have no idea who he is in real life, nor do I have his contact info. I only know his in-game name. The group instantly deflated like pop balloons, looking disappointed. Yan Yu, however, looked back up at the golden leaderboard, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. Who are you really? Will we ever meet again? Meanwhile, Fairy Piao Miao's reaction was entirely different. I have to find him. Fairy Piao Miao stood with her hands on her hips, throwing her head back, and laughing uproariously. Who would have thought her Dao companion was the absolute number one, the peak existence? How cool would it be to brag about this? No matter what, I must find Xiaoyao Tianzun in real life and cling to his coattails. Guards, Fairy Piao Mao shouted. Several servants and bodyguards instantly rushed in. Search the entire internet for Xiaoyao Tianzun. Do not miss a single detail. For 10 whole years, I played a cultivation game straight through the night. In that game, I was the undisputed number one on the global server leaderboards. My cultivation had reached the peak of the supreme great earth. I was above all and second to none. I had countless god-tier artifacts and weapons, but I never expected that after 10 years the game would actually manifest into reality. All the cultivation and artifacts transferred directly to my real body. Just then, the primordial voice echoed once more. The cultivation golden leaderboard has concluded. Rewards will be distributed in 2 days. The voice faded and the golden leaderboard vanished from the sky. Watching it disappear, my gaze finally shifted back. I wondered how Wuxia was evaluating me right now. Were they afraid or happy? I closed my eyes and cast my divine sense over all of Wuxia, seeing and hearing everything. What do? We have such a terrifying emperor, and he's completely uncontrollable. Who knows if he'll suddenly get angry and wipe us all out. Yeah, we can't afford to offend him. Nobody say anything bad about the emperor. His divine sense can probably see all of us. He might be watching us right now. Is it a good thing or a bad thing to have someone this powerful? If he's evil, we'll never have a day of peace. I retracted my divine sense, my brow furrowing heavily. I didn't expect the Supreme Great Earth title to terrify everyone so much. It seemed I needed to do something to ease their minds. Just then, the dorm door flew open, and Luotao rushed in, looking frantic. Did you hear that Xiaoyao Tianzun is the Supreme Great Earth? And the Cultivator Management Department posted a bounty. They're searching for Xiaoyao Tianzun across the whole internet. He looked up, only to be stunned. The dorm was completely empty. Luotao scratched his head in confusion. Just as he was about to sit down, a primordial voice echoed in his mind. I am Xiaoyao Tianzun. The voice seemed to detonate inside his head, yet also whispered right in his ear. Luotao jumped in shock, looking left and right, trying to find the source of the voice, but saw no one. And it wasn't just him. The entire nation heard the voice. Men, women, children, the elderly, even those stationed at the borders as long as they were within Wuxia, they heard it. Countless people across the country stopped what they were doing, freezing in place and looking around. It's Xiaoyao Tianzun's voice. Why does it sound exactly like the golden leaderboard's voice? So ethereal and divine. It actually makes me feel safe. Quiet, everyone. Let's hear what the big shot Xiaoyao has to say. It definitely won't be anything bad. At the Kindu branch, the moment my voice sounded, everyone stopped working and instinctively looked up at the sky, soon realizing it wasn't the golden leaderboard but Xiaoyao Tianzun himself. But the strongest reaction came from Yan Yu. The very second she heard the voice, she vanished from her spot and reappeared high in the sky, looking around frantically. But, as expected, she failed to find him. She lowered her head in disappointment, not catching even a glimpse of him. Then, the voice resonated in everyone's ears once more. I did not expect the golden leaderboard to expose my realm. However, I want to assure everyone here, I will not casually destroy the blue planet, nor will I wipe out humanity. Hearing this, the people of Wuxia finally understood why the mysterious Xiaoyao Tianzun was speaking to them. He knew they were terrified he might be a threat, so he came forward to explain. I know many of you are looking for me. In short, whether for good or ill, I will not reveal myself. I am a citizen of Wuxia. If necessary, I will step in to help. But I will not join any organization. Hearing him say, I am a citizen of Wuxia, made the entire nation heave a sigh of relief. As long as they remembered that Xiaoyao Tianzun was one of them, they felt a profound sense of security. After a long while, when my voice didn't return, people slowly went back to their normal lives. Their fears had largely dissipated. They no longer worried that the world would be destroyed overnight. Instead, they felt protected. With a supreme great earth guarding Wuxia, who would dare invade? Soon, 2 days flew by. Since Xiaoyao Tianzun's nationwide broadcast, the crime rate had dropped to near zero. Everyone knew there was a pair of eyes watching them from above, seeing everything they did. It perfectly embodied the old saying, man proposes, God disposes. Out of billions in Huaxia, only a small fraction had become cultivators. The vast majority were still ordinary people. Therefore, the government decided to launch the era of universal cultivation. They completely restructured select primary schools, middle schools, high schools, and universities into cultivation academies, teaching ordinary students how to cultivate from a young age, allowing them to shed their mortal shells. Kindu University was one of them. In just 2 days, it was converted into a cultivation university, and everyone was automatically enrolled in the cultivation department. However, they still had to study math, physics, and chemistry every day as a backup, because not everyone had the talent for cultivation. The school's new principal was Yan Yu. I, on the other hand, hid my cultivation and became a counselor at the nascent soul stage. Just then, dark clouds gathered in the sky once more. The primordial voice boomed again. Artifact manifestation will commence in 1 hour. Everyone in the country heard it. The brief period of peace was once again shattered, replaced by a buzzing excitement. Excellent. I've been waiting for this day. I remember every player gets a beginner artifact when they reach the foundation establishment stage. I'm exactly at that stage. With artifacts manifesting, will pets and mounts be next? At that moment, I was standing on the sports field. I wasn't particularly concerned about the artifact manifestation because they couldn't pose a threat to me. Besides, the most powerful artifacts were already in my hands. Time flew by, and the hour quickly passed. The people on the field were still sitting cross-legged, drawing spiritual energy into their bodies. When the sky rumbled again, everyone looked up at the same time. The entire nation stopped what they were doing and gazed up at the sky. In 1 hour, 100,000 body-tempering stage demonic beasts will descend randomly across the globe. The primordial voice echoed 3 times, striking terror into the hearts of everyone in the country. What? Demonic beasts are coming? This soon? And 100,000 of them? That's way too fast. We haven't even really started cultivating yet. 100,000 descending randomly? What are we supposed to do? Panic swept across the nation. The beasts were arriving too quickly. Ordinary people had absolutely no means to defend themselves. They could only pin all their hopes on the cultivator management department. Just then, thousands of golden rays shot down from the heavens, piercing the sky and striking the earth like countless arrows. Instantly, a beam of golden light enveloped me. The students on the field saw this clearly and gasped in surprise. Don't worry, it's just the artifact manifestation. Counselor Chen is at the nascent soul stage. Of course he gets artifacts, Lo Tao explained with a smile, a hint of envy in his eyes. Moments later, the golden light dissipated. In its place, a simple, unadorned ring appeared on the ring finger of my right hand. I looked at the ring, a faint smile playing on my lips. It looked like an ordinary ring, but it held a universe within. It was a storage ring. The space inside was large enough to hold the entire blue planet. I sent my divine sense inside. The artifacts within were piled up like mountains. Every artifact I had collected over 10 years of playing was right here. Soon, I noticed 2 artifacts hovering above the mountains of gear, emitting a faint golden glow. One was a small, exquisite, blood-red sword. It was the Heavenly Tao Supreme artifact rewarded by the golden leaderboard, the Slaughtering Blood Sword. The other was an incredibly lifelike painting of mountains and rivers. The moment I saw these 2 artifacts, the knowledge of how to use them instantly flooded my mind. The Slaughtering Blood Sword was a unique artifact that grew stronger by absorbing blood. When killing enemies, it would automatically drain their blood and transfer the energy to its master. Anyone who touched this sword, even without being cut, would instantly have all their blood drained and violently explode. If the master was injured, the blood stored within would instantly heal them. Even if I only had a single breath left, as long as the sword had enough blood, it could restore me to peak condition. However, I wasn't very interested in it. I didn't really need it. I could obliterate enemies with a single thought. I then looked at the mountain and river painting. This was an artifact that contained a miniature world. It could store anything, even living beings. Anyone or anything sucked inside would be trapped, unable to escape, completely at my mercy. Inside the painting, I was the creator god. Master, I am little sword, I am little river. 2 voices suddenly rang out from within the storage space, startling me. These artifacts could talk, but I quickly realized what was happening. These 2 artifacts had developed their own independent artifact spirits. They possessed their own sentience and intelligence, allowing them to speak. They would slowly grow stronger over time. With that, I retrieved the 2 artifacts and placed them inside my Dantian. The spiritual energy there would nourish them and help them grow rapidly. Seeing the artifacts glowing with a faint 7-colored light, I knew they were actively absorbing the energy. I smiled but didn't say anything, retracting my divine sense and looking at the students. Luo Tao, come here for a second. Lo Tao, who was busy teaching the students, heard my voice and quickly ran over. What's up? I didn't say a word. I simply waved my hand, and over 20 artifacts dropped to the ground. They were all top-tier postnatal artifacts. Take these. Give them to your parents and Lanlan. Seeing the various artifacts glowing with spiritual energy on the ground, Lo Tao's eyes widened. Holy crap! Where did you get all these? Are you giving them all to me? Just take them. I have plenty more, I said with a light chuckle. With mountains of artifacts piled up in my ring, I probably wouldn't use them all in my lifetime. I might as well give a tiny fraction to Loi Tao and his family. The dark clouds in the sky had yet to disperse, but suddenly a hole opened up, and a golden beam shot down. Artifact Golden Leaderboard is now open. As the primordial voice echoed, a scroll descended from the sky and slowly unfurled. But the people of Huaxia were no longer in the mood to care about the leaderboard. The demonic beasts were almost here. For 10 whole years, I played a cultivation game straight through the night. In that game, I was the undisputed #1 on the global server leaderboards. My cultivation had reached the peak of the supreme great earth. I was above all and second to none. I had countless god-tier artifacts and weapons, but I never expected that after 10 years, the game would actually manifest into reality. All the cultivation and artifacts transferred directly to my real body. Report. According to our investigation, the unknown territories that appeared a few days ago are now brimming with endless spiritual energy. It is vastly purer than anywhere else on the blue planet. A female soldier stood before Li Long, delivering her report. Li Long had dispatched personnel to investigate the moment he learned the beasts were manifesting. The primary targets were the newly formed, unknown territories within Huaxia's borders. These were the desolate areas created when the blue planet expanded, yet they contained forests, rivers, and complete ecosystems. They were massive, some as large as 2 cities combined. They had just discovered that these areas were flooded with dense spiritual energy. This strongly indicated that the demonic beasts would likely spawn there. The most terrifying part was that some of these territories were very close to major cities, or even wedged right between them. If a massive horde of beasts appeared there, ordinary citizens would undoubtedly suffer. Deploy personnel to guard every unknown territory immediately. If my guess is correct, the 100,000 beasts will spawn inside them. Li Long ordered. The female soldier immediately rushed out to execute the command. Li Long looked up at the artifact golden leaderboard in the sky and sighed. He only hoped the beasts would obediently spawn in those unknown territories and not in the cities. Otherwise, 100,000 beasts randomly dropping onto ordinary civilians would be an absolute massacre. Although they had over 300 million cultivators, only 100 or so were truly powerful. They might not arrive in time and casualties would be inevitable. Police cruisers patrolled the streets, blaring warnings for every household to lock their doors and windows, hide, and under no circumstances go outside. 10 minutes until the beast manifestation. All cultivators who had joined the management department were patrolling the streets in groups of 2 or 3. If they encountered a beast, they were to kill it immediately. The beasts this time were only at the body tempering stage, so they should be relatively easy to handle. But no one dared lower their guard. This was their first real battle. Fighting these fantastical monsters for the first time was incredibly nerve-wracking. The entire nation was on high alert, waiting for the beasts to arrive. I stared at the pitch-black sky, my expression grave. Time ticked away. They're here. The sky instantly erupted with lightning and thunder. The primordial voice boomed once more. Demonic beasts manifested. 100,000 beasts descending randomly. The thunder, coupled with the primordial voice, filled the people of Huaxia with an unknown dread. The beasts were here. Instantly, 100,000 golden pillars of light rained down from the sky. They fell completely at random, some in cities, some in the unknown territories, some even in the ocean. Terrifying, oppressive roars echoed from within the pillars. In the next second, the light vanished, revealing hideous, ferocious, and muscular monsters. Coincidentally, dozens of them spawned right in the center of Kindu City, right next to a patrolling squad. Looking at the beasts, which stood 5 or 6 meters tall like small buildings, the squad members were dumbfounded. They're huge. Something's wrong. The aura they're emitting, it's peak body tempering. It's not just basic body tempering. Who cares what they are? Just kill them. A Foundation establishment cultivator gritted his teeth and charged. Seeing this, the others quickly followed, but they were only at the body tempering stage. The captain was the only one at Foundation establishment. Seeing the Foundation establishment cultivator charge, the beast wasn't afraid in the slightest. Human, I am so hungry. The beast dropped to all fours and lunged, grabbing the cultivator with a massive hand and squeezing tightly. The cultivator screamed in agony. They were all newly manifested cultivators with 0 combat experience. Forget fighting demonic beasts, they hadn't even fought other cultivators. The Foundation establishment cultivator roared, summoning a magical artifact, and slashed down. The blade instantly severed the beast's arm, making it roar in pain. Now's our chance, attack it together. Seeing the opening, the other body-tempering cultivators rushed forward. The beast roared again and threw a punch, landing a direct hit on one of them, instantly knocking him unconscious and severely injuring him. Stay back. Let me handle it. The captain recovered, shouting angrily. He channeled his spiritual energy and engaged the beast in close combat. After sustaining heavy injuries, he finally managed to kill it. But he was completely exhausted. This is too hard. These beasts are too strong. They're not normal body tempering level at all. The Foundation establishment cultivator slumped to the ground, panting heavily. Just then, 2 more roars echoed nearby, making his heart drop. Meanwhile, standing on my dorm balcony, I observed everything with my divine sense. The beasts had all manifested mostly within cities. The cultivator management department was mobilized, but they were severely understaffed, and the beasts were too spread out. They couldn't provide backup in time. All 100,000 beasts were at the peak body tempering stage, with real combat strength matching Foundation establishment. Even cultivators at the same level struggled to kill them. Perfect timing. Let's test out these artifacts. The corners of my mouth curled up. With a single thought, the two artifacts instantly appeared before me, a small sword and a painting. Go out and play. Kill any demonic beast you see. Yay! We finally get to go out and play. Don't break anything out there. The two artifacts were ecstatic to be let out. Let's see who can kill more beasts. You're on. With a sharp whistle. The two artifacts transformed into streaks of red and blue light, vanishing into the horizon. I smiled helplessly and continued to observe Huaxia with my divine sense. Elsewhere in Kindu City, a window shattered, and a ferocious beast burst into an ordinary family's home. A girl in her 20s was inside, terrified out of her wits, crying and screaming for help. The beast licked its lips, slowly approaching her. Just as she thought it was over, she heard a strange sound. It sounded like a sword ringing. A flash of crimson light cut through the air. Thud. The beast's head cleanly detached from its body and rolled to a stop right next to her. The most bizarre part was that the beast's massive, muscular body instantly shriveled up, turning into a deflated, bloodless husk. Staring at the severed head, which was larger than a basketball, the girl completely forgot her fear and her tears. She was just utterly bewildered. What just happened? Suddenly, a childlike voice echoed in the room, making her shudder. Big sister, I got rid of it for you. Bye-bye. This bizarre scene left her terrified. Were there ghosts alongside the demonic beasts? Just like that, the red and blue streaks of light zipped across Kindu City, leaving nothing but devastation in their wake. Wherever they went, the beasts would either suddenly shrivel up and explode or be sucked away by some mysterious force and vanish entirely. This strange phenomenon left the cultivators who were just about to attack completely dumbfounded. What's going on? It's over before we even made a move. Meanwhile, outside an unknown territory, Yan Yu led her team to the perimeter. Captain, there must be thousands of beasts in there. With your strength, we can wipe them out completely. Yan Yu nodded. With her Mahayana stage cultivation, exterminating thousands of peak body tempering beasts was as easy as flipping her hand. But before she could launch an attack, she suddenly felt a terrifying aura approaching rapidly from behind. The pressure was even more overwhelming than what she felt from director Li Jung. It far exceeded the Tribulation Transcendence stage. Enemy attack, Yan Yu shouted, spinning around. She saw a streak of red light approaching at breakneck speed. It was so fast she couldn't even see what it was. It instantly blew past them and charged straight into the unknown territory. So many beasts, I'm definitely going to win, a child's voice echoed from within, startling Yan Yu and her team. Soon they saw the true form of the unidentified object. It was a small red sword. Wherever it flew, the beasts were instantly drained dry, turning into lifeless husks. In less than 10 seconds, over 1,000 beasts violently burst into bloodless skins, lying silently on the ground. Dead silence, so strong, it insta-killed so many beasts. Is that an artifact? It has to be. Does it have a master, or is it unowned? I don't see anyone around. Could it be a masterless artifact that appeared after the manifestation? If so, I could claim it. The team members suddenly recalled tropes from novels, where masterless artifacts roamed free, and talking artifacts were usually incredibly powerful. If they could get their hands on it, they'd be set for life. Grab it. If we let this artifact go, we'll regret it forever. Suddenly, a golden core stage man charged forward, reaching out to grab the small sword, his eyes filled with intense greed. The small sword noticed the man's actions and snorted coldly in anger. You think you're worthy? Other than my master, no one is worthy. To think someone dared to try and capture it. Delusional. The small sword scoffed and shot forward like a bolt of lightning. Seeing this, Yan Yu realized things were taking a turn for the worse. But it was too late. The man who tried to grab the sword was instantly drained dry, turning into a shriveled husk. Thud. He dropped to the ground. Seeing their comrade turn into a lifeless skin before their eyes, the team was horrified, but also burning with fury. Li Dong. Damn it. A Foundation establishment boy, blinded by rage, tried to charge forward again. Thankfully, Yan Yu forcefully held him back. We apologize for our offense. Yan Yu cupped her hands and bowed respectfully. She had heard the artifact claim it had a master, and the aura it emitted was on par with hers. This proved it was an artifact with a spirit belonging to a Mahayana stage cultivator or higher. The master behind such an artifact was definitely not someone they could afford to provoke. Apologizing was the safest option right now. Why should we apologize? It killed a member of the cultivator management department without a word. Does it think we're easy targets? We have great low heavenly immortals backing us. Exactly. If others find out we were killed and still apologized, how humiliating would that be? This artifact might be strong, but our department isn't useless. We have great low heavenly immortals holding down the fort. As long as it's not the top 5, we have nothing to fear. This artifact kills indiscriminately. Its master is probably just as bad. Just as Yan Yu was about to say something, lightning flashed across the sky. Thunder boomed, and the primordial voice, But before she could finish, lightning flashed and thunder roared, and a primordial voice echoed in their minds. A measly great Luo heavenly immortal. The voice carried an overwhelmingly powerful pressure. Except for Yan Yu, the others instantly fell to their knees, completely unable to lift their heads. Then, the sound of bones snapping echoed as the kneeling members cried out in agony. The pressure had shattered the bones in their arms and legs. Only Yan Yu recognized the voice. It was Xiao Yao Tianzun. If he has any complaints, he can come find me, the primordial voice snorted coldly. Yan Yu then heard a horrifying sound, the sound of Dantian's shattering. Soon after, the pressure vanished, and the small sword was gone. The people kneeling on the ground screamed in sheer agony. Their limbs were crippled, and their dantians were destroyed. They were reduced to cripples. A fate worse than death. What garbage, Xiao Yao Tianzun. Just because of one sentence he ruins our cultivation? He's just a loser who played a game. If the game hadn't manifested, could he be this arrogant? A man cursed angrily, refusing to accept his fate. But the moment he finished speaking, a bolt of lightning struck down from the sky, instantly incinerating him. Not even ashes remained. The others turned pale with terror, tightly shutting their mouths, not daring to utter another word. Just then, the primordial voice echoed from the sky once more. The emperor cannot be insulted. Yang Yu could tell this wasn't Xiao Yao Tianzun's voice, but the true voice of the heavenly Tao. It was cold and utterly emotionless. Seeing the team she brought crippled or dead, Yan Yu felt helpless, but there was nothing she could do. Who told them to offend Xiao Yao Tianzun? Meanwhile, in the Kindu University dorm, I retracted my divine sense, looked up at the sky, and smiled slightly. Good job. Emperor, it has been too long. I merely delivered a severe punishment on your behalf. It was nothing, a voice echoed in my mind. It was the same voice that summoned the lightning to smite that man. However, it sounded much calmer now. This was the heavenly Tao. Ever since the cultivation manifestation day, I sensed an unusual aura in the sky, but its cultivation level was only at the immortal emperor stage, far beneath mine. All right, enough. You risked exposing yourself to intervene. You must want something from me. What is it? I asked casually. The emperor's divine foresight is truly unparalleled, the heavenly Tao of this new world. However, I am only at the immortal emperor stage, and my realm is regressing daily. I foresee that one day this new world will face an unprecedented crisis. Therefore, I beg the emperor, if this world truly faces destruction, please lend your aid. Fine, I nodded calmly, agreeing to the request. Thank you, emperor. I must go process the manifestations now. Farewell. With that, the heavenly Tao departed. I wonder if Little Sword and Little River have finished killing. Let's get something to eat first. I stretched and walked out of the dorm. At my realm, I didn't need to eat. I would never starve. But who could resist the temptation of good food? Half an hour later, at the Dragon Department headquarters in the capital. Report. Within 1 hour, all 100,000 demonic beasts have been annihilated. A soldier reported to Li Long. Excellent. That was beautifully done. Much faster than I anticipated. Li Long nodded in satisfaction, praising the effort. However, it wasn't our people who killed them. The soldier hesitated for a few seconds before reporting truthfully. Not our people? Then who? The top 5 rankers? Li Long was stunned. That was the only logical explanation, though he didn't know which one. It was artifacts. Li Long was even more bewildered. He didn't understand. Please look at this. The soldier picked up a tablet and played a video for Li Long. This is footage captured by our satellites 20 minutes ago. Li Long took the tablet and frowned, watching the video closely. In the video, a terrifying demonic beast was charging at a group of ordinary citizens, but in the next second, a streak of red light flashed by, and the beast was instantly reduced to a bloodless husk of bones and skin, collapsing silently to the ground. Then, 2 streaks of light, one red, one blue, crisscrossed across Kindu City at speeds exceeding the speed of light. The footage couldn't even capture their true forms, only afterimages. What is this? Li Long exclaimed in shock. It's too fast. These are artifacts. This footage is slowed down 150 times, the soldier said, playing a second video. Li Long was astounded. Even slowed down 150 times, the image was still blurry. What kind of speed was this? Do we know whose artifacts these are? Li Long looked up at the soldier. No. We only know that these 2 artifacts traversed all of Huaxia at blinding speeds. In just half an hour, they frantically slaughtered the beasts. They alone eliminated over 70,000 beasts. They drastically accelerated our mission. Hearing this number, Li Long's eyes widened in sheer shock. Whose artifacts could possibly possess such devastating power? A sword and a painting. Li Long's eyes suddenly lit up as a realization struck him. Just then, another soldier walked over. Report. The Kindu branch has requested an urgent video conference. Moments later, the screen flickered to life, and Li Jung appeared. What is it? Li Long asked calmly. Report. All beasts have been annihilated, but we had very little to do with it. It was the work of 2 artifacts. I know that already. Tell me something I don't know. We've identified the owner of the artifacts. It's the number 1 ranker on the golden leaderboard. Xiao Yao Tianzun. Ha ha ha. I knew it. Li Long laughed. I remember his rewards were a sword and a mountain and river bell. It seems he really is from Huaxia, and his heart isn't completely cold. But he crippled 4 of our men and killed 1. Li Zheng's expression was grave as he hesitated for a moment before reporting the details. The moment he said this, Li Long's smile froze. The others in the room were equally shocked. After hearing the whole story, Li Long sneered and shook his head. Trying to steal an emperor's artifact and then insulting him, crippling them was Xiaoyao Tianzun showing immense mercy. A mere golden core cultivator trying to steal from a supreme great earth. That's not just seeking death, it's begging for it. They are no longer part of this department. They are cripples. It's a massive blow to them, but we won't interfere. It's exactly what they deserve. Li Long's voice was ice cold. Insulting an emperor brings heavenly punishment. They brought this upon themselves. Just then the door to Li Zheng's office burst open, and Yan Yu rushed in. Seeing her barge in so rudely, Li Zheng's face darkened.
Couldn't she see he was in a meeting? He was about to reprimand her when her words made his face pale drastically. Director, those guys who were kicked out are causing trouble again. They're live streaming online, publicly condemning Xiaoyao Tianzun. Over 100,000 people are watching. Li Long, who heard this through the screen, was horrified. Which streaming platform? Shut it down immediately. Do they have a death wish? Condemning a supreme great earth on a live broadcast? Li Zheng nodded quickly, looking at Yan Yu. But before he could issue the order, a deafening crack of thunder boomed across the sky. The emperor cannot be insulted. The voice was cold and emotionless. Yan Yu knew instantly this wasn't Xiaoyao Tianzun. It was the heavenly Tao. The emperor was furious. What bullshit, Xiaoyao Tianzun? He's just a basement-dwelling loser who got lucky with superpowers. If the game hadn't manifested, he'd be a nobody in real life. Exactly. Who the hell plays a crappy game for that long anyway? And then, he cripples us without a single word. How are we supposed to live now? The group of cripples ranted on the live stream, completely omitting the part where they tried to steal the artifact. They painted Xiaoyao Tianzun as a cruel, bloodthirsty tyrant who attacked without warning. The viewer count had reached several 100,000. Seeing hundreds of thousands of netizens expressing outrage on their behalf, the cripples sneered inwardly. However, in the next second the sky lit up with lightning and thunder. Even the Artifact Golden Leaderboard, which was still announcing rankings, paused its broadcast. Seeing this, the group panicked, realizing something was terribly wrong. The emperor cannot be insulted. The moment the voice echoed, cold sweat drenched their bodies. Was Xiaoyao Tianzun coming? Did he really dare to kill them in front of hundreds of thousands of people? Was he not afraid of turning all of Huaxia against him? Looking up at the sky, though terrified, they still clung to the belief that Xiaoyao Tianzun wouldn't dare kill them in front of such a massive audience. Sigh. A single sigh echoed in the air. One of the crippled men instantly exploded into a mist of blood right in front of the camera. The others were instantly drenched in his blood and gore. It happened so fast they didn't even have time to react. The millions of viewers watching the stream were equally stunned. The man simply exploded following a sigh. Xiaoyao Tianzun really dared to kill. He actually killed someone in front of a national audience. Now, they were truly terrified. I'm sorry, Emperor. I was disrespectful. Please have mercy, spare me. One man cried out at the sky. If he weren't already crippled, he would be on his knees begging. But the moment he finished speaking, he exploded as well. Blood splattered onto the remaining survivors once more. Apologizing was too little too late. Death was their only reward. The remaining 3 exploded simultaneously. The 5 people who had just been condemning Qianlong on the livestream were now utterly annihilated, their souls destroyed, their bodies reduced to a gruesome mix of blood, bone, and flesh. You couldn't even extract DNA from the mess. Before the viewers could process what happened, the livestream was abruptly shut down. But it was too late. Many had already screen-recorded the broadcast and uploaded it online. Instantly, dozens of threads popped up on internet forums, with netizens clearly divided into 2 camps. However, it didn't take long for the government to issue an official response. It was a video of Li Zheng, director of the Kindu branch, personally apologizing. Due to my poor management, individuals within our department caused this incident by starting trouble and spreading malicious rumors. The truth of the matter is, after hearing Li Zheng explain the full story, the netizens finally understood. At the end of the video, Li Zheng led the entire Chindu branch in a deep bow, hoping Xiaoyao Tianzun wouldn't be angry. Even Li Long created an official account and posted begging for Xiaoyao Tianzun's forgiveness for their poor management. Meanwhile, in my dorm, I saw the posts online and smiled. Angry. I was never angry. Who gets angry over the actions of ants? I ignored it and looked up at the sky. The Artifact Golden Leaderboard was still broadcasting, currently at the 50th place. Suddenly, a purple bolt of lightning tore across the sky, accompanied by a deafening thunderclap. The second wave of demonic beasts will descend in 3 hours. 1 million body-tempering beasts. 100,000 Foundation Establishment beasts. Again, the entire nation panicked once more. This was too sudden. Meanwhile, Li Long rapidly issued orders to all branches across the country. Fully fortify the unknown territories. That is the most likely spawn point for the beasts. And deploy at least 1 patrol squad in every major city. One crisis after another. I looked at the sky and muttered to myself. With a casual wave of my hand, the mountain and river painting appeared before me. Master, did you need Little River for something? Go protect Lo Tao and his family. Understood. Instantly, Little River turned into a streak of light and vanished into the horizon. Master, what about me? Little Sword appeared out of thin air, asking anxiously. Seeing Little River get an assignment while he didn't, he thought he had fallen out of favor. You just wait. When the beasts arrive, you can go play. I smiled helplessly, looking toward the wilderness. I still didn't plan on intervening this time. The situation hadn't reached a point where humanity couldn't handle it. If I stepped in, I could obliterate all the beasts instantly. It would only take a single thought. But if I did that, everyone else wouldn't grow. True growth only comes from battle. I could protect them for a moment, but not forever. The enemies would only become more numerous and stronger. Their own growth was what mattered most. Besides, these low-level beasts didn't require my personal attention. Any cultivator above the Mahayana stage could easily wipe them out. Just then, I suddenly turned my gaze in a specific direction, my eyes narrowing. It was the direction of High City, over 5,000 kilometers away from Kindu. But I could see it clearly. Several men dressed in black, wearing masks, were sneaking through the water. They were surrounded by strange, bubble-like shields that allowed them to breathe underwater. People from the Ninja Empire? Seeing that everyone was busy preparing for the beasts, these ninjas had secretly crossed the ocean and infiltrated Huaxia. What were they plotting? For 10 whole years, I played a cultivation game straight through the night. In that game, I was the undisputed #1 on the global server leaderboards. My cultivation had reached the peak of the supreme great earth. I was above all and second to none. I had countless god-tier artifacts and weapons, but I never expected that after 10 years, the game would actually manifest into reality. All the cultivation and artifacts transferred directly to my real body. As the entire nation of Huaxia went on high alert, preparing to defend against the new wave of demonic beasts, over 5,000 kilometers away in High City, several suspicious men in black suits and masks were diving underwater. They were enveloped in strange water-repelling barriers that allowed them to breathe. They were people from the Ninja Empire. Seeing everyone preoccupied with the incoming beast horde, these ninjas had stealthily crossed the sea to infiltrate Huaxia. What were they up to? I vanished from my spot, deciding to go meet these little grunts. On the coast of High City, the 4 ninjas emerged from the water, looking around cautiously. After confirming there were no Huaxia people manifest, I saw online that they can actually fly. Why did they get such a powerful game? And we're stuck with garbage skills like shadow clones. It's not fair. Every country manifested a different game. Ours seems to be the worst. But once we become high ninjas, we can control all sorts of ninjutsu. We'll definitely be stronger than the Huaxia people. Let's put that aside for now. Let's give our Huaxia friends a little gift, one of them sneered, pulling out a thick stack of videotapes. The Ninja Empire didn't manifest demonic beasts. They manifested their own local supernatural entities: yokai, Sadako, the slit-mouthed woman, Kappa, and other urban legends. Their purpose for coming here was to introduce these entities to Huaxia. The Ninja Empire had manifested their monsters 2 days before Huaxia. They had already tested it. As long as these entities spent a day with someone, that person would be tainted with demonic aura, completely mesmerized. Watching the videotapes would invite Sadako's deadly curse. Just as they were gloating, a young voice suddenly echoed from above. Gifts? We don't accept used goods. The ninjas gasped in shock. They instantly scattered in different directions. Looking up at the sky in terror, they saw a young man standing midair, smiling down at them. Do you Huaxia people always have to act so mysterious? I looked at him, then at their all-black outfits that covered everything but their eyes, and chuckled. I don't understand what you're saying. Attack him! The lead ninja ordered, pulling 3 shuriken from his coat and hurling them at me. The moment the shuriken hit me, they produced a sharp clink of metal against metal and fell to the ground, not even scratching my clothes. Is that all? I smiled faintly. If we can't beat him alone, let's attack together, the ninja yelled, realizing his attack was useless. Instantly, the ninjas rapidly formed hand seals. Several clones materialized beside each of them. Surrounded by ninjas, I just smiled. This skill isn't bad, but it's only not bad. In the next second, 20 ninjas started running clockwise around me, their speed increasing until they became a blur. You Huaxia people can't even see us, can you? Are you scared? This is our true power. Die, Huaxia scum. The 20 ninjas lunged at me simultaneously, sharp shuriken aimed directly at my throat. Kneel, I commanded softly. A tiny sliver of pressure erupted from me. Everyone was instantly blasted backward. The summoned clones dissipated into nothingness in midair. The 5 true ninjas crashed to the ground, coughing up blood, feeling as though their internal organs were ruptured. Who are you? One ninja clutched his chest, staring at me in terror. I'm just a normal student. I smiled. We're not done yet, another ninja roared, rapidly forming hand seals again. Die, he roared, his hands moving in a blur as he formed rapid seals. In the next second, a massive torrent of fire erupted from his mouth, completely engulfing me in a raging inferno. Ha ha ha! This is a high ninja's exclusive ninjutsu. You're dead, Huaxia scum. How arrogant, trying to block ninjutsu with his physical body. He must have a death wish. But their mocking laughter abruptly died. As the roaring flames slowly dissipated, the figure standing within the inferno was gradually revealed. There wasn't a single scorch mark on my body. Even my clothes were perfectly pristine, as if I hadn't just been standing in a raging fire. Impossible, the high ninja gasped in horror. This was his proudest fire ninjutsu. He could effortlessly burn the slit-mouthed woman to ash with this. He had killed countless yokai with this move, so why was it completely useless here? Let me show you what real fire looks like, I said with a faint smile, looking at these clowns. Slowly, I raised my right hand and snapped my fingers. Instantly, the high ninja was engulfed in terrifying purple flames. The high ninja screamed in agonizing pain. The sickening sizzle of roasting flesh echoed through the air, accompanied by the acrid stench of burning meat. The remaining ninjas were paralyzed with terror. What kind of jutsu was this? A simple snap of the fingers caused a man to spontaneously combust. Absolute dread seized their hearts, making their legs turn to jelly as they stood there dumbfounded. Right now, only one word echoed in their minds: run. Reacting purely on survival instinct, the ninjas rapidly formed hand seals. Poof! Thick smoke bombs detonated, concealing their escape as they vanished without a trace. Think you can get away? I chuckled, staring at the spots where these ignorant fools had just been. I slowly raised my right hand. Instantly, a figure flew back out of the distant woods, flying straight into my grasp as my fingers clamped around his throat. As for the other fleeing ninjas, they simultaneously exploded into mists of blood. They died without even knowing how it happened. Please let me go, I beg you, the ninja choked out, dangling from my grip. What are you doing in Huaxia? Terrified out of his mind, the ninja didn't dare hide a single detail and spilled their entire plan. It turned out they wanted Huaxia to experience the terror of Sadako firsthand, hoping to plunge the country into further chaos. And they weren't just targeting Huaxia. They hadn't spared any other neighboring nations. Any country bordering the ninja empire was on their hit list. You people truly disgust me, I sneered, looking at him with utter revulsion. With a casual flick of my wrist, I tossed him aside. Midair, the ninja exploded, his soul completely shattered. I then turned my attention to the videotape left on the ground. I waved my hand and the Sadako tape flew into my grasp. I was genuinely intrigued. What exactly was Sadako like? To think that because of this game manifestation, the monsters from horror movies actually became real. I might as well take it back and have a look. I vanished from the spot and reappeared inside an old electronics repair shop. As luck would have it, this shop had an old VCR. It was ancient, but it still worked. I bought it for a few $100, stored it away, and teleported back to my dorm. I plugged it in, hooked the AV cables to the TV, and slid the tape into the deck, ready to see Sadako's true face. Ever since I watched that movie as a kid, I always had this overwhelming urge to brush her hair aside and see what her face actually looked like. The VCR whirred to life, the reel spinning as the picture slowly flickered onto the screen. Suddenly, the TV started to glitch. Static hissed and popped, but amidst the static, the old well on the screen began to subtly shift. Two hands, pale and withered like dry bone, abruptly clamped onto the edge of the well. As the screen violently distorted, a figure slowly pulled itself up. Clad in a filthy white dress, her long black hair completely obscuring her face, Sadako crawled out of the ancient well. Now this is interesting. I sat back, crossing my legs, calmly watching Sadako crawl straight out of the television screen. And when she got close enough, I deliberately released just a tiny sliver of my divine sense, locking my gaze onto her. Instantly, Sadako froze. Slowly, her spectral body began to violently tremble. She had just sensed an unimaginably terrifying soul power, a soul power so absolute it could crush and obliterate her very essence in a microsecond. In the next moment, Sadako scrambled backward in sheer panic, desperately trying to crawl back into the well inside the TV. But suddenly, she hit an invisible wall. She couldn't get back inside. She turned her head in terror, frantically pounding on the television screen, her panicked and terrified demeanor almost pitiful. Stop struggling. I've sealed the space. You can't go back now, I said with a light chuckle, standing up and slowly walking toward her. Let's see what you really look like. But as I reached out and pulled her messy hair back, I was deeply disappointed. It was just an ashen, featureless face completely blank. It was bizarre and undeniably creepy. This was probably due to the Ninja Empire's specific lore setting. In their version, Sadako simply didn't have a face. She was always meant to be seen with her hair covering her lack of features. Well, since the show's over, it's time for you to die. I raised my hand, preparing to obliterate her soul. But suddenly an idea struck me, and the corners of my mouth curled up into a wicked smirk as I looked down at the shivering ghost. Since the Ninja Empire was so generous to send this gift all the way over here, it would be extremely rude of me not to return the favor, wouldn't it? Let's send them a grand return gift. With a single thought, a surge of incredibly pure spiritual energy blasted directly into Sadako's body. After a few seconds of agonizing shrieks, she collapsed limply to the floor. But she quickly pulled herself up, crawling submissively to my feet, pressing her forehead tightly against the ground. Master? She stammered in broken Huaxia dialect. I nodded in deep satisfaction. That infusion of energy didn't just push her cultivation to the peak of the Foundation establishment realm, it even forcefully evolved her soul to the golden core level. More importantly, I branded the very depths of her soul with my unique imprint. From now on, Sadako was my absolute servant. Her life and death were determined by my single thought. Betrayal was physically impossible. Now that your strength has increased, have your abilities evolved as well? Yes, Master. I am no longer limited to manifesting through videotapes. I can now emerge from phones, computers, and any electronic device, instantly crossing thousands of miles. Excellent. Then head back to your hometown for me, I commanded with a dark smile. With a flick of my wrist, Sadako was sucked back into the television, and the VHS tape automatically ejected, flying right into my hand. Go to the Ninja Empire and start a massacre. I tossed the tape out the window. It instantly accelerated, turning into a streak of light that vanished into the horizon, heading straight for the Ninja Empire. I really wondered what kind of delighted expressions those ninjas would make when they received this massive surprise. As time ticked by, night finally fell. The dense, dark clouds completely blotted out the twilight. Countless streaks of purple lightning ripped across the sky. Demonic beast manifestation begins. Locations are fully randomized. As millions of golden pillars crashed down, beasts materialized all over the country. But this time, very few spawned in the unknown territories. The vast majority of them dropped directly into the cities. It felt as if it was intentionally orchestrated. The citizens of Huaxia were thrown into absolute panic once again, and the cover of night only amplified their terror. Pairs of glowing red eyes flashed in the darkness, swaying like crimson lanterns in the wind. Immediately, the operatives from the Cultivator Management Department engaged the enemy. The top rankers from the Golden Leaderboard also joined the fray. Standing on my balcony, even without using my divine sense, I could see several figures soaring through the night sky. With casual strikes, they obliterated entire packs of beasts. With these powerhouses taking action, I figured the crisis would be resolved in under half an hour. Just then, Little Sword flew out, hovering excitedly in front of me, practically vibrating with lethal intent. "Master, I want to go play too." "Go on then," I laughed, indulging my weapon's bloodlust. Suddenly, rolling thunder echoed across the heavens. The Artifact Golden Leaderboard broadcast has concluded. In 3 days, pill manifestation will commence. Ah, the pill manifestation was coming. I couldn't help but raise an eyebrow in pleasant surprise. I waved my hand, and the object shot out of the crater, landing squarely in my palm. It was a crystal-clear blue, stone-like object. Oddly enough, I couldn't sense even a trace of spiritual energy or any power fluctuation coming from it. It felt like the most ordinary, useless rock in existence. "What is this?" I transmitted a question to the Heavenly Tao. "I am unsure, Emperor. Its underlying rules and properties clash entirely with this universe. I can sense that it absolutely does not belong to this world. It is highly likely an extraterrestrial object." Hearing this, my expression grew incredibly solemn. If this was an extraterrestrial object, did that mean aliens actually existed? But my divine sense was vast enough to blanket the entire cosmos, and I hadn't seen any trace of alien life out there. So where did this thing come from? I advised the Emperor to keep it safe. It may reveal its purpose in the future. Just as I was about to store it away and leave, a harsh voice barking in English interrupted me. "Who the hell are you? We saw this treasure first." I turned around to see 5 foreigners standing not far away. The one who had just yelled was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed man, currently pointing an accusatory finger at me. I completely ignored him, securely storing the blue stone away, and prepared to leave. Zit! Suddenly, a high-intensity energy beam lanced through the air, striking the ground precisely an inch from my foot. Seeing this blatant provocation, my eyes turned icy cold as I glared at the foreigners. "Huaxia scum, you trespass on our territory and steal our property. Aren't you acting a little too arrogant? Do you think our superpower empire is a joke?" As an honor student at Kindu University, my English comprehension was flawless. I understood every single arrogant word. "Die," I commanded softly. Boom! The arrogant blonde man instantly exploded, turning into a cloud of blood mist that rained down on the surrounding foliage. It happened so fast, so abruptly, that his 4 companions were frozen in absolute horror. They stared at the bloody mist that used to be their teammate, paralyzed by fear, unable to even breathe. "You Huaxia bastard! You murdered my boyfriend! I'll kill you!" the woman shrieked hysterically. With a sweeping gesture of her arm, countless bolts of violent lightning tore down from the sky, striking directly at me. I watched the incoming lightning with mild amusement and didn't even bother to dodge, allowing the full force of the blast to strike my body. Seeing her attack land perfectly, a vicious joy flashed in the woman's eyes. But as the smoke cleared, her smile vanished. Frantic and bordering on madness, she waved her arms wildly, calling down a relentless barrage of thunderbolts. The rest of the team didn't hold back either, instantly triggering their transformations. One man expanded into a massive, 7-meter-tall green behemoth, leaping high into the air to crush me. Another man moved so fast he became a blur of lightning, instantly appearing beside me and unleashing a flurry of hyperspeed punches. The last woman's hands erupted in roaring flames as she hurled over a dozen massive fireballs my way. The clearing exploded into absolute chaos, but their fury was quickly replaced by sheer suffocating disbelief. I just stood there completely unfazed, my expression perfectly calm. Their combined relentless attacks struck my body and simply evaporated into nothingness. This bizarre, impossible reality sent shockwaves of terror through their minds. The speedster was the first to realize the terrifying truth. They were hopelessly outmatched. "Meal," my voice echoed, casual and indifferent. A tiny sliver of my pressure erupted outward. And instantly,
Every single one of them was blasted backward like rag dolls. I really didn't want to slaughter people randomly today. You only have yourselves to blame. With a sharp glare, the speedster suddenly exploded midair, blood and gore raining down in all directions. Witnessing this absolute massacre, the remaining survivors were finally slapped back to reality. Their rage evaporated instantly, entirely replaced by primal, bone-chilling terror. What the hell are you? The green giant shrank rapidly back into a normal human, trembling violently as he demanded answers. You don't need to know. I casually pointed a finger at him. Instantly, a finger-sized bloody hole pierced straight through his forehead. The life faded from his eyes, and he slumped lifelessly to the dirt. I then slowly turned my icy gaze to the woman who controlled the lightning. You really like playing with lightning, don't you? No, I hate it. Please, I beg you, spare me. Seeing me effortlessly execute her teammates without lifting a finger, any trace of defiance she held was utterly crushed. Die, I commanded softly. Instantly, a blinding flash of crimson lightning tore across the sky. In the blink of an eye, the perfectly clear sky was violently choked by pitch-black thunderclouds. What kind of godlike power was this? With just a single word, he completely altered the weather and summoned a storm. Are you an SSS rank Esper? She shrieked. There were only 10 SSS rank Espers in the entire superpower empire. She never imagined she would run into a Huaxia citizen with such apocalyptic power. Operating purely on instinct, she assumed the entire world had manifested the exact same superpower-based game. She had absolutely no idea that Huaxia had manifested immortal cultivation. What garbage Esper is worthy of being compared to me? I scoffed disdainfully. Could these mutant freaks even hold a candle to a cultivator who could soar through the heavens, slay immortals, sever demons, breach the celestial courts, and storm the underworld? There was absolutely zero comparison. I spoke again. A colossal crimson lightning dragon breached the dark clouds, roaring as it dove straight toward the remaining survivors below. The dragon's roar shattered the heavens, echoing for tens of thousands of miles. In a matter of seconds, the last of them were vaporized into dust, permanently erased from this world. I shook my head, feeling incredibly bored by the whole encounter. During that brief skirmish, I had deliberately held back my attacks just to gauge their actual strength. The result? The power they displayed was barely on par with the Foundation Establishment realm. Their so-called fire and lightning attacks were all flash and no substance loud thunder, but tiny raindrops. Practically useless. Their true destructive output was pathetic. However, I did catch an important detail. SSS rank. That meant Espers also had a strict hierarchy of realms. The higher the rank, the stronger the power. I sincerely wondered what cultivation realm an SSS-ranked Esper would be equivalent to. I just hope they don't disappoint me too much. But right now, the most crucial task was to return and study that stone. I needed to figure out exactly what it was. If it posed even the slightest threat to the blue planet, I would obliterate it immediately. In a flash, my figure vanished from the forest, instantly returning to my dorm room. Just 2 minutes after I left, a massive contingent of Superpower Empire soldiers arrived at the coordinates. Seeing the absolutely decimated landscape and the remnants of the fierce battle, they were paralyzed with shock. Meanwhile, back in my dorm, I stared down at the blue stone sitting on my desk, which I had just neatly sliced into 2 perfect halves. I fell into deep thought. What kind of origin did this thing have? What exactly was this stone? Even now, examining it closely, I couldn't sense the slightest trace of spiritual energy or energy fluctuation. Furthermore, binding it via blood drip was completely ineffective. Even when I cleanly cut it in half, there was absolutely zero reaction. Could it really just be an incredibly tough but otherwise ordinary rock? But remembering the Heavenly Tao's shocked tone, claiming it originated from another planet, that alone proved it was far from ordinary. Forget it. I won't overthink it for now. I tossed it back into my storage ring and ignored it. If it truly was an alien artifact left on the blue planet, and if it was something valuable, its original owners would definitely come looking for it. I could just interrogate them when the time comes. Meanwhile, back in the devastated mountain forest, a white-haired soldier of the Superpower Empire swallowed hard as he surveyed the gruesome scene. A fully equipped elite Tier 1 squad had been slaughtered in the most brutal way imaginable. Who was the enemy? Was it vampires? Werewolves? Or perhaps an alien predator? The Superpower Empire had fully manifested various monsters 2 days ago. Among them, the absolute most terrifying were the alien predators, followed closely by the high-level vampires and werewolves. We have to stop them before they spread. But where do we find them? I'm not sure. Perhaps we could use our satellites to see what just happened here, the captain of the squad suggested grimly. Understood. I will return to base and analyze the satellite feeds immediately. A soldier saluted. With a swift motion, a pair of brilliant white angelic wings sprouted from his back, and he shot into the sky. Whoever dared to slaughter our elite espers, I swear I will make you pay. The captain stared at the ruined landscape, his expression incredibly dark. At the Superpower Empire military base, the angelic soldier rushed into the command center and immediately pulled up the satellite recordings. As he rewound the footage, figures began to appear on the screen. When he reached the 5-minute mark, he saw Bruno Bell and his elite squad, and standing right in front of them was a single person. That must be the enemy. He quickly hit pause and zoomed in on the figure. Suddenly, his eyes widened in disbelief. The man's face was completely obscured. It was a blur, as if a pixelated mosaic had been slapped over his face. This was the nation's most advanced military satellite. It could zoom in close enough to count the legs on an ant on the ground, yet it couldn't capture this person's face. No matter how much he zoomed in or enhanced the image, the figure remained a hazy blur. He couldn't even determine the person's gender. What the hell was going on? How is it? Did you get a clear shot of him? The captain walked into the command center and asked. The angelic soldier, his face still pale with shock, shook his head. I found him, but I can't see his face. It's like a hacker infiltrated our system and censored him with a mosaic. What do you mean? The captain frowned heavily and stepped up to the monitor. He grabbed the mouse and tried zooming in himself. As he magnified the image, his expression morphed into pure astonishment. He really couldn't see it. No matter what filters or enhancements he applied, the face remained completely obscured. Cold sweat began to bead on the captain's forehead. Soon, he was drenched. The most advanced military satellite in the world couldn't see this person's face. Was this a new alien species? As they continued watching the playback, the results terrified them even more. Bruno Bell, the man made of living steel, was instantly obliterated, and they didn't even see the enemy move. The combined relentless attacks of the entire elite squad did absolutely nothing to him. The enemy didn't even flinch. For the entire brief encounter, the enemy was just toying with them. He was treating the elite Esper squad like ants. These realizations sent shivers down their spines. Captain, this guy is extremely dangerous. I need to report this to command immediately. Our nation might be facing an unprecedented threat. The captain didn't dare delay. He pulled out a secure satellite phone ready to contact the higher-ups. But in the very next second, warning, connection to Apollo satellite lost. Instantly, the entire military base was bathed in flashing red lights, and piercing alarms blared. The personnel and soldiers panicked, frantically typing on their keyboards. The captain was dumbfounded. The Apollo satellite. Wasn't that the exact satellite they were just using to view the footage? That satellite was exclusively assigned to their military base. They had petitioned for a whole year to get it. How could they lose the connection? What the hell just happened? Captain, I think we messed up, the angelic soldier stammered in terror. If someone claimed this had nothing to do with them, it would be an absolute lie. The very second they used the Apollo satellite to spy on that man, it disconnected. Was this being some kind of eldritch, indescribable entity? Were they not even allowed to look at him? What's going on here? A balding, overweight man in a senior officer's uniform stormed into the room, shouting angrily, "Report, General. We've lost contact with the Apollo satellite and we don't know why." A technician, sweating profusely, reported frantically, "Request access to the nearest available satellite immediately. Find out what happened to Apollo," the general barked. Just as the words left his mouth, the secure red phone on the technician's desk rang. He practically lunged to answer it. The moment he put the receiver to his ear, his pupils dilated violently. His breathing hitched, and a look of absolute, unadulterated terror washed over his face. "Our report, General, the Apollo satellite had exploded." "What?" The general roared in disbelief. Suddenly, he clutched his chest, gasping for air, and collapsed heavily to the floor, unconscious. The angelic soldier stared blankly, repeating those words in a daze. The satellite, perfectly fine moments ago, just exploded. What kind of monstrous power was this? But the most terrified person in the room was the captain. Just moments ago, he wanted to hunt this person down. Now that thought was completely erased from his mind. In fact, he wanted to find a hole and hide. What kind of godlike existence could instantly detonate a satellite in orbit? The captain slumped to the floor, consumed by primal fear. He was absolutely certain this was a warning. If they kept investigating, the next thing to explode wouldn't be a satellite, it would be him. For 10 whole years, I played a cultivation game straight through the night. In that game, I was the undisputed number one on the global server leaderboards. My cultivation had reached the peak of the supreme great earth. I was above all and second to none. I had countless god-tier artifacts and weapons, but I never expected that after 10 years, the game would actually manifest into reality. All the cultivation and artifacts transferred directly to my real body. Emperor, someone was just spying on you. I've already destroyed their tool for you. A voice echoed from the sky. Hearing this, I looked up, waved my hand dismissively, and nodded. The moment they accessed the satellite feed, I already knew. No one could spy on me with divine sense or electronic devices without me noticing instantly. However, before I even had to lift a finger, the heavenly Tao acted first. I was quite pleased with its initiative. "Emperor, did you discover any secrets within that stone?" "No special secrets. It didn't react at all," I replied calmly. "It seems this extraterrestrial object is far from simple. You claim it's from beyond this world, yet I haven't sensed any alien life forms besides what's on the blue planet." "Emperor, I dare not speak of it. I am terrified to speak of it." The heavenly Tao's voice actually trembled. "Fine, whatever. Don't interrupt my rest," I said, waving it off as the heavenly Tao's presence faded. I stroked my chin, deep in thought. What kind of entity could terrify the heavenly Tao so much that it wouldn't even speak its name? I rubbed my temples. There were simply too many unknowns. Why did the game manifest in the first place? What exactly was that blue stone? And what was the heavenly Tao so terrified of? I had no answers to these questions. But regardless of what it was, if something wanted to invade this world, they'd have to go through me first. Rumble! The sky crackled with deafening thunder once more. The primordial voice echoed across the heavens. In 16 hours, demonic beasts will manifest again. This wave, 5 million body-tempering beasts, 1 million foundation establishment beasts, 100,000 golden core beasts. Immediately following the announcement, Luo Tao's phone and mine buzzed simultaneously. I picked it up and saw it was a notification from our WeChat group. It was a message from Yan Yu. The beasts are arriving in 16 hours, and the situation is critical. The cultivator management department is severely understaffed. We urgently need the university to organize patrol squads. Anyone willing to volunteer, please sign up. Requirement, peak body tempering realm or higher. Reading the message, my eyes lit up. I had nothing better to do anyway. I might as well go out and have some fun. Maybe I'd even find something interesting. So Loi Tao and I enthusiastically signed up for the patrol. Yan Yu was thrilled to see my name. She even appointed me as a squad leader and assigned 5 foundation establishment students to my team, asking me to guide them. The next day at dawn, Loa Tao and I arrived at the sports field. 2 rows of male and female students were already lined up. Seeing us, they shouted in unison, "Good morning, Teacher Chen. Very good. You're full of energy." During the patrol, everyone must obey my commands. No one is to act independently. As long as you stay close to me, I guarantee your survival. But if you run off on your own, you bear the consequences. Understood? Understood, they roared together. Excellent. Good spirit, we will wait for the beasts to arrive and exterminate every last one of them. None shall return. Seeing the fiery determination in the students' eyes, my own blood began to pump a little faster. On second thought, I had been keeping way too low a profile. Since these beasts were practically throwing themselves at us, why not truly embrace this cultivation life? I'll use my nascent soul strength to go on a killing spree. At exactly 6 a.m., the primordial voice echoed. Demonic beast manifestation begins. Locations randomized. Golden pillars of light rained down from the sky. Astonishingly, 7 or 8 pillars landed right on the sports field. Seeing this, the students panicked and quickly backed away, fear evident on their faces. I simply stepped forward, a calm smile on my face. Talk about a free delivery. I didn't even need to lead them out to hunt. The test subjects came right to our doorstep. Hold your ground, do not retreat. Step forward and kill. I guarantee your safety. Hearing my command, the students stopped retreating, but they were still hesitant. The golden light faded, revealing several massive, hideous, demonic beasts. Facing these towering monsters, no one dared to make the first move. These were all peak foundation establishment beasts. I'll show you how it's done. Lo Tao grinned fiercely and charged forward with a few powerful strides. A small spinning sword materialized in his hand. It was the artifact I had given him earlier, the Guardian Small Sword. It was an all-purpose artifact, capable of both offense and defense. With a sharp hum, the sword slashed across a beast's abdomen, leaving a deep, bloody gash. This was a peak foundation establishment beast. Holy crap, that artifact is insane. After landing a strike, Luo Tao didn't get greedy. He quickly retreated. Enraged and in pain, the beast lunged at him, its massive maw snapping shut, but Luo Tao swiftly dodged it. Seeing Luo Tao's fierce display, the other students cheered wildly, shouting his name to hype him up. Hearing the girls cheering for him, Lo Tao's adrenaline spiked. Getting a little carried away, he charged back in. But this time, he wasn't so lucky. The beast was ready for him. The moment he closed the distance, the monster launched a vicious counterattack. Oh crap. I'm dead. Lo Tao tried to backpedal, but it was too late. The bat-like monster lunged, its jaws inches from his face, and then it abruptly exploded into a shower of gore. Focus. Don't be afraid. It's just a minor setback, I said with a gentle smile, standing not far away. Holy shit. Teacher Chen is a badass. When did he even attack? He didn't even move his hands. It just exploded with a single thought. Is this the power of an Ascent Soul big shot? These beasts are beyond your current capabilities. Let me handle them, I stated calmly. The students here were mostly at the foundation establishment or body tempering stages. These beasts were peak foundation establishment. It was too much for them. I took a step forward. Without emitting any pressure, I simply reached out and opened my hand. Instantly, all the beasts on the field were violently yanked into the air. As I slowly closed my fist, the massive beasts were crushed together into a single grotesque ball and then violently exploded. The students watched the scene as if they were looking at a god. Was this really the power of an Ascent Soul cultivator? Obliterating a pack of beasts with a single thought, effortlessly. Every single student looked at me with eyes full of burning desire and awe. You're still too weak. When you reach the Ascent Soul stage, you'll be able to do this naturally, I said casually, waving my hand. A small blood-red sword flew out, stopping right in front of me and rapidly expanding in size. I looked at the students, my expression calm. Get on the sword. With a single thought, the massive sword shot into the sky, piercing the clouds and soaring across the horizon. I decided to take them to an area swarming with body-tempering beasts so they could get some real combat experience. An unknown territory not far from Kindu City seemed like a perfect spot. A few moments later, we landed in the unknown territory. Looking at the hundreds of beasts roaming the area, I spoke slowly. The beasts here are all at the body tempering stage. Perfect for your training. Begin. Remember what I told you, aim for the head. Hearing my instructions, the group was still a bit nervous, but Luotao was fearless. He took the lead, charging right in and swiftly decapitated a beast. Seeing his ferocity, the others bolstered their courage and rushed into the fray. Many didn't have artifacts and had to rely on basic punches and kicks, infused with spiritual energy. However, they were still rookies who had never fought real monsters before. They had zero combat experience. They didn't even know how to dodge properly. When a beast attacked, their instinct was to squeeze their eyes shut and scream. Watching this display, I shook my head and pointed a finger. A beast lunging at a student instantly dropped dead. When you see an attack coming, dodge. Don't just close your eyes and wait for death. You're here to kill the enemy, not to serve yourselves up as dinner. Time ticked by. At 8 a.m., the sky suddenly darkened again. The bright morning sun was completely blotted out by thick storm clouds. Lightning tore across the sky. The familiar Artifact Golden Leaderboard descended upon the mortal realm once more. Artifact Golden Leaderboard is now open. Announcing the top 10. 10th place, Slaughtering True Person. Artifact Premium Postnatal Artifact. Reward. Artifact Forging Materials. Can be used to upgrade artifacts. Seeing this reward, everyone was stunned. Even I was slightly intrigued. The 2 Heavenly Dao artifacts I possessed were low-grade Heavenly Dao artifacts, awarded by the Golden Leaderboard based on its minimum payout settings. If I could upgrade them, they would become mid-grade. However, since my name hadn't appeared yet, I guessed I would be 2nd or 3rd place. That was because this artifact leaderboard didn't count the artifacts rewarded by the Cultivation Leaderboard. If it did, I would undoubtedly be 1st. If my guess was correct, 1st place should be Who Else Can Beat Me. He had obtained the highest tier innate supreme artifact in the game, and he was the only one who had it. The leaderboard continued its broadcast and had now reached the 6th place. 6th place, Fairy Piao Miao, Artifact Premium Innate Spiritual Artifact. Reward, Soul Returning Pill. Grade 6. Hearing this name, I raised an eyebrow. I must have given her that artifact. Back in the day, I showered my Dao companions with pills and gear, but the ones I spoiled the most were Daffodil and Fairy Piao Miao, simply because they were the most active, played the longest, and we were roughly the same age, so we got along well. The reward pill was quite nice. I vaguely remembered it. It was a pill you had to buy from the cash shop to survive tribulation transcendence. It protected your soul from dissipating, greatly increasing the success rate of transcending a tribulation. If given to a mortal, it could anchor their soul to their body, essentially bringing them back from the brink of death. It was a grade 6 pill. When the people of Huaxia realized the miraculous effects of this pill, they were consumed by envy. The ultra-rich billionaires across the country immediately flooded social media and forums with purchase offers. Some offered 100 million, some 500 million, and some even pushed it to $1 billion or 10 billion. All just to buy this miraculous pill that could revive the dead. Meanwhile, in a luxurious villa, when Fairy Piao Miao saw she was about to receive this divine pill, she was ecstatic. This pill is perfect for Grandpa. Her grandfather's body was failing. He was 120 years old. Although her early tribulation transcendence cultivation was enough to extend his life by another 30 years, his bones and meridians were too degraded for him to actually cultivate, but this pill could preserve his soul. She could keep him alive until she found other pills to restore his youth. But the very next second, the leaderboard announced the next name, and the reward left her stunned. How could her rank be higher than mine? When the nation saw that Daffodil's rewarded pill was even more potent, they immediately started badgering her, begging her to sell it. Mortal greed truly knows no bounds, Yan Yu muttered, turning off her phone in annoyance. The moment her name was broadcasted, she was inundated with calls from self-proclaimed billionaires. It was natural for humans to desire immortality, especially the wealthy elites. Which one of them wanted to die? They spent their entire lives amassing fortunes just to enjoy life. Why would they want it to end early? Standing nearby, Director Li Zheng looked up at the golden leaderboard and sighed. Since ancient times, death comes for us all, but who truly wishes to die? Now that a pill capable of reviving the dead is right in front of them, how could they not go crazy for it? I know, but this pill shouldn't really belong to me. I wouldn't even be on this leaderboard if it wasn't for Xiao Yao Tianzun gifting me those artifacts. Yan Yu replied softly. The golden leaderboard continued its announcements, finally reaching 2nd place. I stared at the leaderboard. If I wasn't mistaken, 2nd place should be me. My name hadn't popped up yet, and there was no way I could be 1st. 2nd place. Who else can beat me? Artifact, Premium Innate Supreme Artifact. Reward, Artifact Forging Formula. Dragon Blood Undying Grass. Seeing the 2nd place announcement, I froze. It wasn't me. It was who else can beat me. How is this possible? Was there another player in the game who managed to roll an innate supreme artifact? And even up until the game shut down, a 2nd innate supreme artifact was never announced. I frantically searched through my 11 years of in-game memories. Suddenly, my body stiffened, and the corner of my mouth twitched into an incredibly awkward smile. Ah, so that's what happened. When the entire nation saw the second place name, they were in an uproar. Don't tell me first place is Xiao Yao Tianzun again. Of course it is. He's the supreme great Earth. It's completely normal for him to have a bunch of overpowered artifacts. The reward must be insane. But then again, a big shot like Xiao Yao Tianzun probably doesn't even need rewards. His cultivation alone is enough to conquer the world. Just as the nation was discussing this, a massive anomaly occurred in the sky. The dark, oppressive clouds were suddenly pierced by countless motes of golden light. They fell like a shower of stars, illuminating the darkness and leaving everyone utterly mesmerized. Then, a deafening chime, like a colossal temple bell, resonated across the entirety of Huaxia. Everyone's hearts pounded against their ribs. They stared, slack-jawed. Brilliant rays of purple divine light began to cascade from the heavens. Every cultivator who possessed an artifact suddenly felt it vibrating violently within their dantian, as if resonating with something immense. In the next second, the artifacts shot out of their bodies and flew straight into the sky. Millions of artifacts of all shapes and sizes hovered in the heavens, radiating dazzling rainbow-colored light. And then, incredibly, they all tilted downward, facing the golden leaderboard, as if bowing in reverence. They were welcoming their king. The primordial voice boomed again, far louder and more majestic than before. First place, Xiao Yao Tianzun. Artifact, low-grade innate sovereign artifact. Reward, mid-grade heavenly Dao artifact. Sky-piercing pagoda. Longevity pill. Everyone who heard this voice trembled to their core. Whenever the first place was announced, the heavens and earth would respond with a miraculous anomaly. I didn't expect the anomaly to be this extravagant. It even summoned everyone's artifacts into the sky to pay homage. I stared at the golden leaderboard. I honestly didn't expect the rewarded pill to be a longevity pill, but given my current lifespan, it was practically infinite. Even if the universe exploded, I would survive. I'll just give this pill to someone destined for it when the time comes. 1,000,000 golden core beasts. 100,000 Nascent soul beasts. In 4 days, select sex will manifest. The primordial voice boomed continuously. Finally, the artifact golden leaderboard vanished, and the sky returned to its clear state. Will they disguise themselves as us and assassinate us in secret? Chen Lang, do you know what this demon realm is? Luo Tao asked anxiously. This demon realm doesn't sound good at all. I know. It's an entire realm filled with demonic beasts. In the game, the ultimate demon emperor boss is at the immortal emperor stage, I recalled. In the game, there was indeed a boss named the demonic dragon emperor. In the demon realm, an immortal emperor was equivalent to a demon emperor stage. However, this boss used to get beaten up by me 3 times a day, because if you beat him, there was a chance he'd drop a baby dragon pet. Who wouldn't want a baby dragon? I remember grinding out thousands of baby dragons, but I only raised one. The rest were just tossed into my cave dwelling. If this demonic dragon emperor manifested into reality, he would be the second strongest existence on the blue planet, right below me. If I wasn't around, he would dominate the planet in minutes. But he probably won't appear that quickly. At this rate, it'll be at least half a month. Half a month is fast. I just hope Xiao Yao Tianzun kills that demonic dragon when the time comes. Otherwise, the world is doomed. He probably will. I smiled faintly, but then my eyes suddenly narrowed. I have something to take care of. Talk to you later. With that, I vanished, reappearing on the school rooftop a second later, looking up at the sky. What is it? Emperor, my cultivation is slowly recovering. The heavenly Dao's voice echoed in my mind, sounding incredibly excited. Your cultivation is slowly recovering? I was puzzled. What do you mean? Are you returning to your peak? Yes, I might even surpass the immortal emperor stage. Why is this happening? I remember you saying your cultivation was constantly degrading. That is correct. But for some reason, I just felt my cultivation slowly increasing. The spiritual energy in the world has noticeably thickened. And most importantly, I can clearly feel that the blue planet's overall defense is strengthening. Previously, it might not have been able to withstand the aura of an immortal emperor, but now it can. Hearing this, I was stunned. The blue planet's defense was strengthening, the heavenly Dao's cultivation was recovering, spiritual energy was increasing. These signs, it feels like a terminal lucidity, like the blue planet is making one final desperate struggle. You are correct, Emperor, which is why I must inform you this world has a seal. Hearing this, my heart skipped a beat. What do you mean by a seal? I demanded. My suspicions were correct. This game manifestation wasn't a blessing. It felt like a massive, deeply hidden conspiracy. I can only say this much, I am under a heavenly restriction. If I reveal any more, I will be obliterated. When the time comes, this world will face absolute destruction. The world is making its final stand, and I feel that day is approaching rapidly. Emperor, remember your promise. I hope that when the time comes, you will protect this world. I will, I replied firmly. I am a citizen of this world. As long as it is within my power, I will intervene. I was a Huaxia citizen through and through. I was perhaps the luckiest person alive or the unluckiest. Through a simple game, I gained unparalleled cultivation and status. If anyone else had obtained this godlike power, they probably would have tried to conquer the world on day one. But I had no desire to rule. If I just casually destroyed everything, how boring would the rest of my life be? Who plays a game with God mode cheats on day one and instantly clears it? Where's the fun in that? Life like a game is about enjoying the process. If they don't bother me, I won't bother them. It's that simple. Thank you, Emperor. The heavenly Tao bowed respectfully. I nodded, watching the direction the heavenly Tao departed, falling into deep thought. The mysteries piling up before me were growing more numerous by the day. The unidentified extraterrestrial object. Why the game manifested. Spiritual energy. The heavenly Tao's recovering cultivation. And the so-called seal, why seal the blue planet? Was this a good thing or a bad thing? The most alarming part was that with my supreme cultivation, I couldn't even detect the seal. Yet the heavenly Tao knew about it. What exactly was going on? As I pondered, a smirk slowly crept onto my face. This is getting more and more interesting. I felt like I was slowly recapturing that feeling of exploring a vast new world when I first started playing the game. This feeling ignited a fire in my blood. I felt energized. Whoever is behind this, I will definitely drag them into the light. For 10 whole years, I played a cultivation game straight through the night. In that game, I was the undisputed #1 on the global server leaderboards. My cultivation had reached the peak of the supreme great earth. I was above all and second to none. I had countless god-tier artifacts and weapons, but I never expected that after 10 years, the game would actually manifest into reality. All the cultivation and artifacts transferred directly to my real body. I thought this would be humanity's stepping stone to a higher civilization, but it seemed a massive conspiracy was hiding behind this manifestation. After concluding my conversation with the heavenly Tao, Loa Tao and I headed to a local bar. Looking around, I realized that in this post-manifestation era, these bars were actually busier than before. I could tell that 80% of the patrons were cultivators, though their realms were low. The highest was only at the foundation establishment stage. There were also a few espers. My gaze shifted to a table where a blonde, blue-eyed foreigner sat. The woman next to him also emitted energy fluctuations, but there was something strange about her. Huaxia had many espers now. I saw them every day. And the energy fluctuation she emitted was identical to the espers I had seen before. However, these Huaxia espers were incredibly low profile. They rarely used their powers, choosing to live like ordinary people. After singing karaoke for about an hour, one of our classmates said he was going out to buy some barbecue for a late-night snack. We didn't think much of it and kept singing. 10 minutes later, Lo Tao turned around to hand me the mic, only to realize the classmate was gone. He was just here. When did he leave? Lo Tao scratched his head, confused. Meanwhile, in a dark alley outside, a man and a woman stood together. The man was from Huaxia, and the woman was a brunette foreigner. They seemed ready to engage in some indecent activities. But just as the man embraced the woman, preparing for the next step, the woman's mouth suddenly elongated, revealing a pair of sharp fangs that she viciously sank into the man's neck. The man screamed in agony. Instinctively, he threw a punch at her stomach. But to his horror, the punch did absolutely nothing. Even though he was only at the body tempering stage, his body had been cleansed and strengthened by spiritual energy. How could he fail to even budge a woman? You Huaxia people have delicious blood. What kind of monster are you? The man yelled in terror, struggling desperately to break free. But no matter how hard he tried, her grip was ironclad. The woman ignored him, burying her fangs deeper into his neck. But just as she latched on, she was violently blasted backward. It was as if she had been hit by a truck, slamming heavily into the brick wall. The man was stunned. What just happened? Then a voice echoed from behind him. He turned around and instantly burst into tears of relief. Teacher Chen, you're here. Leave this to me. Go get the barbecue and head back, I said calmly. The man didn't hesitate. Terrified, ashamed, and embarrassed, he scrambled away as fast as his legs could carry him. I slowly walked toward the woman. A vampire. This woman was the foreigner I had spotted in the bar earlier. I knew her energy signature felt off. It turned out she was an esper and a vampire. Who are you? William, help me, the woman shrieked, slumped on the ground, coughing up blood, completely unable to stand. Save your breath. Your little friend left early. I usually turn a blind eye when you prey on others, but targeting my student, I can't let that slide. You dare kill me. Our royal family will never forgive you, she hissed. Hearing this, I laughed lightly and reached out my hand. Is this your royal family? Instantly, a devastatingly handsome blonde foreign man wrapped in a black cloak was caught by the throat and held dangling in my grasp. The woman's eyes widened in sheer disbelief. Mem, my king. When the blood curse awakened within her, her vampire bloodline naturally activated. It was he who ordered her, William, and the other elders to secretly infiltrate Huaxia and gather fresh blood for the king. As long as they fed the vampire emperor, even thousands of miles away, could absorb the power through their bloodline connection to restore his strength. But why was he suddenly here? How did this man pull him across such a vast distance? Just who was this Huaxia man? Who are you? Why am I here? The vampire emperor was equally terrified, staring at me in horror. Wasn't he just lying in his coffin? How did he end up here? Don't panic. You've been dead for years anyway. Dying again won't hurt, I smiled, though my eyes turned glacially cold. In the next second, The vampire emperor was engulfed in roaring purple flames. Simultaneously, the women on the ground also burst into purple fire. And it wasn't just them. All across Huaxia, several foreign women who were currently serving clients preparing to feast suddenly erupted into flames and were burned to ash. Dozens of people spontaneously combusted nationwide in an instant. Without exception, they were all foreigners. The two vampires before me were reduced to ashes, completely erased from existence. However, I noticed that where the vampire emperor had burned, a single drop of blood hovered midair. What is this? I could sense a boundless, majestic life force emanating from the single drop of blood. I reached out, levitating the blood drop above my palm, and transmitted a message. Heavenly Tao, what is this? Seeing the blood, the Heavenly Tao was silent for 2 full minutes. I am not entirely sure, Emperor. This drop of blood contains infinite Tao rhythm of life. It seems that anyone who consumes it can revive the dead, or even achieve true immortality from a single drop of blood. That made it even more overpowered than my longevity pill. But how did a lowly creature from a barbaric nation obtain such a thing? He had absolutely no right to possess it. The origin of this blood was far too mysterious. But looking at this blood, it seems to have existed for an incredibly long time. It likely predates my own birth. I do not know where the Emperor obtained this. The Heavenly Tao's words genuinely shocked me. It existed longer than the Heavenly Tao. I briefly explained what had just happened. Impossible. How could a lowly creature spawned from a cursed bloodline obtain something like this? It defies all logic. This must be a relic from the primordial era. How much do you know about the primordial era? I have forgotten. Ever since I ascended to become the Heavenly Tao, my memories of the past were completely wiped. It feels as if a seal was placed upon my mind. When I awoke, I was already the Heavenly Tao. I only know that my duty is to maintain the balance of this world. I am forbidden to interfere with the mortal realm or humanity's development. Otherwise, I will be obliterated. I slumbered for an eternity, only awakening when the game manifested. Therefore, I know very little. I deeply apologize that I cannot provide answers for the Emperor. Hearing this, I fell silent. This Heavenly Tao seemed completely clueless. It was like a child sold into forced labor. Fine. You're useless. You may leave. I stored the drop of blood in my storage ring. The sects would be manifesting soon. Since the Heavenly Tao knew nothing, surely the legendary figures from those cultivation sects would know something. I'd ask them when the time came. Meanwhile, the atmosphere at the Dragon Department headquarters was jubilant. Ha ha ha! I never thought I'd see the day the Kimchi Empire fell this low. This is fantastic. Li Long threw his head back and laughed until he was breathless. Finally stopping to cough, he had just received a call from his superiors. The Kimchi Empire was on the brink of total collapse. Their nation was about to fall. The game they manifested was a high-tech apocalyptic survival game. They used mechas and machine guns to fight zombies and mutated flora and fauna. But as time passed, the zombies and mutated creatures grew exponentially stronger. Their mechas and guns were becoming completely ineffective. Their entire country was hanging by a thread. They desperately pleaded for help from neighboring nations. The Ninja Empire was struggling themselves. The Superpower Empire couldn't care less about them. The father had abandoned the son. So, they were forced to beg Huaxia for aid. Li Long never imagined the Kimchi Empire would have to beg them. Just thinking about it made him ecstatic. Are we going to send people over? Send them. Why wouldn't we? They are begging us. We dictate the terms. You send a team first. I will report to the higher-ups and let them negotiate the price. We'll save them, and then we'll ruthlessly mock them. He had hated the Kimchi Empire for a long time. That country constantly provoked Huaxia. They were a thorn in many people's sides. Now they had a chance to slap their faces. Why wouldn't they take it? Not only will we go, but we will slap them hard. Make sure to give them a hard time. Don't let them think salvation comes cheap. That very night, a soul formation expert led the expedition, leading 10 Golden Core and 100 Foundation Establishment cultivators. They flew aggressively on their swords toward the Kimchi Empire. In just 2 hours, they completely eradicated all zombies and mutated creatures within the small nation's borders. This action utterly shocked the entire Kimchi Empire. The monsters they had risked their lives to fight, the monsters that nearly destroyed their country, were casually wiped out by the Huaxia cultivators in a matter of minutes. What exactly was going on? Huaxia's fame skyrocketed, intimidating the entire globe. It was from this night onward that the world truly realized Huaxia was not to be trifled with. The sleeping lion had awakened into a true Huaxia dragon. This relief mission acted as a global roar, shaking the world. By the next day, the entire nation knew about the previous night's events. No one expected the government to pull off such a massive flex overnight. However, this news was quickly overshadowed by the impending demonic beast manifestation, because in just 10 minutes the 24-hour mark would be reached, and the beast would descend again. The sheer volume and power of this wave far exceeded the previous ones, and to top it off, the demon realm was manifesting alongside them. Huaxia was facing an unprecedented crisis. On the rooftop of Kindu University, I stood with my hands behind my back, gazing up at the sky. This time I planned to intervene personally. I wanted to test a theory. I noticed that after every manifestation, as soon as the beasts were wiped out, the next wave was immediately scheduled. It was like an endless game loop. If they cleared the waves quickly, the next wave arrived faster. Then why don't I speed up the game's progression? It's too slow right now. Time flew by. The clear sky was instantly swallowed by dark clouds and rolling thunder. The primordial voice boomed, "Demon Realm Manifestation. The blue planet's surface area will expand by 10x. Instantly, the entire world was gripped by violent earthquakes. Buildings shook, the ground split open, and people screamed in panic. I used my divine sense to scan the globe. The planet had indeed expanded tenfold, especially Huaxia. The distances between cities had grown astronomically. The distance to High City used to be around 1,000 kilometers. Now it was at least 10,000. Countless new unknown territories appeared. But these territories were different from the previous ones. They came with ancient archaic architecture, like lost civilizations. Even the deep ocean floor now housed a magnificent gleaming palace, reminiscent of the legendary Atlantis, filled to the brim with gold and jewels. Many unknown ancient civilizations had been split apart, expanded, and ultimately merged into this one world. At that moment, I felt the spiritual energy in the world surge again, becoming even purer. Suddenly, my eyes lit up and a smile touched my lips. I see. I understand what the heavenly Tao meant now. No wonder the heavenly Tao said the spiritual energy was increasing and its cultivation was recovering. No wonder the blue planet's overall defense had strengthened. So that's how it is. When two worlds merge, how could it not get stronger? With the spiritual energy of the demon realm flooding in, how could it not increase? And as the sole heavenly Tao of the blue planet, now controlling two merged worlds, how could your strength not recover? It was highly likely the heavenly Tao could use this opportunity to break through its cultivation limits. The entire nation felt the sudden surge in spiritual energy. I feel like the air has gotten so much fresher. This isn't air, it's spiritual energy. Hurry up and breathe it in. It increases your cultivation. My cultivation is rising. I broke through to mid-foundation establishment. Ordinary people don't just stand there. Spiritual energy is incredibly useful. Breathe in as much as you can. It extends your lifespan. Hearing the word lifespan, the ordinary citizens couldn't hold back. They immediately started taking massive gulping breaths, afraid of missing out. The entire nation simultaneously engaged in deep breathing exercises. At the same time, the demon realm continued to manifest. For 10 whole years, I played a cultivation game straight through the night. In that game, I was the undisputed number one on the global server leaderboards. My cultivation had reached the peak of the supreme great earth. I was above all and second to none. I had countless god-tier artifacts and weapons, but I never expected that after 10 years, the game would actually manifest into reality. All the cultivation and artifacts transferred directly to my real body. I thought this would be humanity's stepping stone to a higher civilization, but it seemed a massive conspiracy was hiding behind this manifestation. Suddenly, the sky changed drastically. Pillars of pitch-black light, radiating a deeply sinister aura, plummeted from the heavens. Millions of these obsidian pillars crashed down, landing squarely in the unknown territories and even within some cities. As the light struck the earth, deafening, earth-shattering roars echoed across the nation. The demonic beasts had arrived, but just as the cultivators prepared to engage the enemy, a voice echoed from the sky, "Die." The voice carried a divine, absolute authority that made everyone's souls tremble, instilling an uncontrollable, instinctual urge to submit. The moment the word was spoken, every single demonic beast across the entire nation exploded simultaneously. They turned into a mist of blood and completely vanished from the mortal realm. This miraculous scene left the entire nation absolutely dumbfounded. What just happened? With a single word, "die," every beast was annihilated. That was Xiao Tianzun's voice. He intervened. But this is way too exaggerated. He literally spoke it into existence. One word, and they're all dead. That's terrifying. If he wasn't terrifying, he wouldn't be the emperor. This is the true power of an emperor. Whoever said you guys haven't seen the world was right. Forget the beasts. If he said the word, the blue planet would probably explode. You should be thanking your lucky stars he loves Huaxia. One simple word, and the entire beast horde is wiped out. Xiao Tianzun's first public display of power left the nation in absolute awe. But simultaneously, they felt incredibly fortunate. It was a blessing that the supreme power belonged to one of their own. Otherwise, no one would live to see tomorrow. Meanwhile, at the Cultivator Management Department headquarters, Li Long had just received the report. In less than a second after appearing, the entire beast horde was wiped out. And the one who did it was Xiao Tianzun. This was Li Long's first time witnessing the true power of an emperor. A single word from him accomplished what would have taken their entire force half an hour to an hour of grueling combat. This power was too terrifying, too absolute. It is the greatest fortune of our nation to have Xiao Tianzun. Li Zheng's eyes widened in shock upon receiving the news, unable to calm down for a long time. Xiao Tianzun intervened again, such terrifying power speaking it into existence. One word to slaughter every beast. Is this the power of an emperor? He is a supreme great earth. His power is far beyond anything we can imagine. Yan Yu smiled bitterly, shaking her head. Thank goodness the emperor is one of us. Otherwise I would have died long ago. It is the only blessing in this disaster, Yan Yu nodded. The disaster was the game manifestation. The blessing was Xiaoyao Tianzun. With him around, Huaxia had nothing to fear and no one would dare invade. But who is he really? Does he know who I am? I want to meet him so badly. With a single thought, I erased every beast. The entire nation erupted in celebration. But just as the people thought the crisis was over, the dark clouds in the sky stubbornly remained. The thunder rumbled even louder than before. The primordial voice boomed again. In 24 hours, demonic beasts will. Hearing the primordial voice, I smirked. It was exactly as I thought. As long as the beasts were killed quickly, the game's progression would accelerate. And the voice sounded a bit angry. Was it mad at me for killing the beasts too fast? From now on, demonic beasts will manifest globally, not sequentially. This was essentially increasing the difficulty for Huaxia. However, this also confirmed another theory of mine, the merging of the two worlds. When the time came, the cultivation world would fully merge with the blue planet. The people of both worlds would live together. The blue planet's era of technology would end, replaced by the era of cultivation. Emperor, I sensed something unsettling. The heavenly Tao's voice echoed in my mind. I frowned slightly and looked up. What do you mean? Those newly formed spaces, they carry an unusual aura. Only entities like myself can sense it. It is the aura of my own kind. Hearing this, my body stiffened. Completely stunned, the implications of this sentence were massive, completely overturning my previous theory. I originally thought the two worlds merging would simply allow the heavenly Tao to grow stronger and break through. But now, the blue planet's heavenly Tao had sensed the aura of its own kind. That left only one possibility. The other world also had a heavenly Tao, and it was coming over with the merger. But once the two worlds merged, how could they possibly accommodate a second heavenly Tao? As the saying goes, two tigers cannot share one mountain. How could two heavenly Taos peacefully coexist? A war was inevitable. A war between heavenly Taoists would undoubtedly devastate the inhabitants of both worlds and shatter the balance. I know what you're going to say. You want me to protect you. Yes, Emperor. That heavenly Tao might be an immortal emperor like me, or perhaps even stronger. A battle between us is inevitable. I beg you to assist me. I nodded firmly. You are the heavenly Tao of the blue planet. If you fall, the blue planet's destiny will plummet. I will help you. The heavenly Tao of the blue planet must not lose. If you lose, destiny will be severed. When that happens, the destiny of everyone in Huaxia will be ruined. The damage would be irreversible. Thank you, Emperor. With your word, my mind is at ease. Don't mention it. When the two worlds merge, I'll help you devour the other heavenly Tao and assist your breakthrough. Thank you, Emperor. From this day forth, whatever you command, I will walk through fire and boiling water to accomplish. The heavenly Tao's voice was incredibly emotional. If it had legs, it would probably be kneeling before me. You are dismissed. After the heavenly Tao left, I felt quite pleased. Another piece of the puzzle had fallen into place, making things even more interesting. I could already envision the day the two worlds fully merged, leading humanity into the true era of cultivation. On that day, I could freely roam the heavens and the earth, exploring vast, unseen realms. Suddenly, I froze, a thought striking me as I looked into the distance, toward the superpower empire, the ninja empire, and countless other nations. Every country had manifested a game, and today, they had all undergone massive changes, with numerous unidentified structures appearing. For example, the superpower empire now had an iconic skyscraper, a zone that looked straight out of Resident Evil, and many other incredibly mysterious areas. The ninja empire had a massive village appear, with a sign reading Hidden Leaf Village. Not only that, but an island had manifested, and on that island was King Kong. At a nuclear power plant, a colossal beast was absorbing radiation, growing larger by the second. These were monsters, characters, and locations from movies and games, and now they had all become reality. This meant it wasn't just one world merging. Every game manifested by every country was merging its respective world with ours. The blue planet was about to undergo a great convergence. Things were definitely getting interesting. Didn't that mean we'd eventually have to determine which world was the strongest? To this, I could only laugh. How could any of those worlds possibly compete with the cultivation world? In the end, they were all doomed to fall. The only ones laughing at the end would be the cultivation world would be us, the people of Huaxia. I was getting more and more excited. But right now, there was something far more important to attend to. As expected, the primordial voice echoed once more. In 1 minute, pill manifestation. In 1 hour, pill golden leaderboard. The pill manifestation. The entire nation rejoiced. Countless people eagerly awaited the pills, as this was the ordinary citizen's chance to achieve true power. After a minute of silent anticipation, a miraculous anomaly occurred in the sky. Streaks of golden light rained down from the heavens, flying at breakneck speed into the bodies of the cultivators. Finally, thank goodness I didn't give up. I've waited so long for the pills to manifest. I can finally break through to Foundation Establishment. Sorry, but I have a tribulation breaking pill. I'm at peak Foundation Establishment. Watch me face the lightning tribulations and form my golden core. Holy crap, there are lightning tribulations? Why didn't I get one when I reached Foundation Establishment? The moment people received their pills, their immediate reaction was to sit cross-legged. and immediately swallow them, closing their eyes to begin refining the energy. As they refined the pills, a faint translucent mist began to emanate from their bodies like steam. This phenomenon occurred all across the country. Regardless of their cultivator received a pill, they immediately sat down to refine it, striving for a quick breakthrough. Watching the cultivators refine their pills, the ordinary citizens were incredibly envious. The lightning in the sky grew denser, the thunder booming louder than before, like dragons roaring in the clouds. Standing on the rooftop, I gazed forward. To my eyes, massive pillars of golden light erupted from the ground, shooting straight into the heavens. These pillars of light ultimately merged with the sky itself. Heavenly Tao, what is that? I transmitted. Reporting to the Emperor, I do not see any pillars of light. The pillars of light coming from these people, you can't see them. Those golden pillars shot into the sky like the very pillars supporting Huaxia's heavens. Reporting to the Emperor, I cannot see them. Now it was my turn to be puzzled. What exactly were these pillars of light? Even the heavenly Tao of the blue planet couldn't see them. Was I the only one who could? Emperor, may I ask, what do these pillars of light look like? They're golden pillars erupting from people's bodies and shooting into the clouds, kind of like a Super Saiyan transformation from the old shows. The heavenly Tao was silent for 2 minutes. When it spoke again, its voice trembled with intense excitement. Could it be, Emperor? Are you seeing the Tao Light of Destiny? Tao Light of Destiny? What is that? 10 seconds later, after hearing the heavenly Tao's explanation, I understood perfectly. The so-called Tao Light of Destiny was the destiny provided by humanity to the world. When the average strength of a world's inhabitants surpasses its previous peak, the world itself benefits, elevating its overall destiny. The higher the world's destiny, the purer its spiritual energy becomes. The probability of heavenly treasures spawning increases dramatically, and cultivators can increase their strength much faster. The pillars of light I saw erupting from these people were the Tao Light of Destiny. It meant their personal destiny had received the world's feedback and increased slightly. The more Tao Light of Destiny there was, the brighter the world's future. In short, the more the better. I see. So that's why I'm the only one who can see it. That is correct. May I ask how much Tao Light of Destiny is there? If this world's destiny increases, my cultivation will rise with it. I could quickly return to the immortal Emperor stage. I didn't speak. Instead, I cast my divine sense into outer space, looking down at Huaxia. After 2 seconds, I replied, a lot, as brilliant and numerous as the stars. 5 minutes later, the thunder in the sky grew deafening, as if the lightning could strike down at any moment. I can't hold it back anymore. I'm breaking through. A man sitting cross-legged in Kindu City suddenly roared, the aura within his body erupting violently. It was like a chick breaking out of its shell. The lightning in the clouds instantly converged directly above his head. It gathered tightly, as if charging an ultimate attack. Come at me! Just as the man shouted, a bolt of lightning as thick as a water barrel crashed down, striking him from the crown of his head down to his toes. Again, another bolt struck. The man collapsed to the ground, nearly dead. Just one more, I have to hold on. The third bolt struck. As the crowd watched in shock, the man, trembling violently, slowly stood back up. A powerful pressure erupted from his body. He had formed a perfect golden core, and all his injuries were instantly healed. Awesome! I'm a golden core cultivator. Similar scenes played out all over the country. From the rooftop, I saw it all clearly. The lightning and the dark clouds grew denser by the second as tribulations gathered everywhere. But just then I sensed something and looked toward a specific teaching building. That was Yan Yu's office. For 10 whole years, I played a cultivation game straight through the night in that game. I was the undisputed #1 on the global server leaderboards. My cultivation had reached the peak of the supreme great earth. I was above all and second to none. I had countless god-tier artifacts and weapons, but I never expected that after 10 years, the game would actually manifest into reality. All the cultivation and artifacts transferred directly to my real body. I thought this would be humanity's stepping stone to a higher civilization, but it seemed a massive conspiracy was hiding behind this manifestation. At this very moment, after witnessing Xiaoyao Tianzun's methods, the entire nation was boiling with excitement. The news that Xiaoyao Tianzun could banish a lightning tribulation with a single word quickly shook the country. Countless people dropped to their knees, bowing in different directions, praying for his protection. The lightning tribulation was their greatest fear. Failure meant their souls would be scattered. But soon, those breaking through realized the tribulation wasn't coming at all. The sky remained perfectly clear, without a single dark cloud. They instantly realized the tribulation didn't dare to appear. It was terrified of the emperor, and had fled. Once they figured this out, no one hesitated. They quickly swallowed their pills and began breaking through. Regardless of how many people were breaking through, or what realm they were reaching, the lightning tribulation never appeared. At this moment, the entire nation cheered, collectively thanking Xiaoyao Tianzun. Peh, so cowardly. I looked at the sky and shook my head with a helpless smile. I didn't expect a single sentence from me to terrify the lightning tribulation so much it wouldn't even show its face. But I suppose this was a good thing. At least everyone could break through safely. I took one last look at the sky and left the rooftop. Although the figure had vanished in a flash, I knew I hadn't seen wrong. There really was a person standing inside the lightning tribulation. I didn't know who it was, but to be able to stand within the tribulation meant they had mastered its power. Who could it be? The mysteries were piling up, and I was getting more and more intrigued. Slowly uncovering the main storyline, this was how the game was meant to be played. Meanwhile, in a white palace-like building in the superpower empire, 5 people sat in a grand conference room. The blonde, middle-aged man sitting at the head of the table was the ruler of the superpower empire, King Norbert Orlando. The 2 elderly men sitting beside him were imperial generals, wielding supreme military authority. The artifacts have manifested into reality today. Our overall strength has doubled. Do any of you have anything to report? The artifacts have indeed manifested, but we still haven't located those specific individuals. The top 5 on the artifact leaderboard are crucial. We found them. King Norbert Orlando smiled faintly and clapped his hands. The conference room doors swung open and 5 people walked in, men and women. Introduce yourselves. I am the wielder of the Time Stone, rank 1 on the leaderboard, the Time Walker. That's the code name I chose. The red-haired man at the front introduced himself. The Time Stone. It came from the Superpower Alliance game. It was an incredibly powerful gem capable of altering time and reversing the future. It held infinite possibilities. Hearing the name of this gem, the 4 people seated at the table were visibly shocked. This was one of the most powerful gems in their game. Altering time, predicting the future, its abilities were terrifyingly absolute. Such power in the hands of their nation was like giving wings to a tiger. Following him, the other 4 introduced themselves. The Power Superman, wielding the Power Stone. It granted boundless physical strength and even the ability to copy others' powers, provided the user's body could withstand the strain. The Soul Hero, wielding the Soul Stone. He could control souls, strip them away, enslave them, or even create new ones. The Spaceman, wielding the Space Stone. He could teleport through space, expand it, rearrange it, or even create entirely new pocket dimensions. And finally, the Dream Hero, wielding the Reality Stone. He could alter reality itself. Things that were impossible could be conjured out of thin air, and logic could be rewritten at a whim. We have gathered all 5 heroes and all 5 stones. This means we are absolutely invincible in this world. King Norbert threw his head back and laughed maniacally. The others joined in, truly believing they were untouchable. Now, let us discuss our next plan. I intend to host a global tournament and invite every nation to participate. This will allow us to gauge their strength and simultaneously plunder their resources. The king looked at the group, his voice echoing in the grand hall. Agreed. With the superpower stones, victory is guaranteed. The elderly general on his left nodded. Excellent. Then it's decided. We will launch the global tournament. I will send invitations to every nation. They won't dare refuse. The king then turned to the Time Walker. Can you use the Time Stone to glimpse into our future? Tell me which nation will rise to be the strongest and which the weakest. I can try, but the Time Stone's power is taxing. My current mental strength can't handle multiple uses. In the next second, a brilliant green gem flew from his pocket and hovered over his palm. He grabbed it. Instantly, a terrifying, majestic surge of green energy erupted from the stone, enveloping his entire body. Just as everyone was looking at him with anticipation, the Time Walker was violently blasted backward, slamming brutally into the wall. His eyes widened in absolute, unadulterated terror. Who are you? Why does the future? Suddenly, the man's head slumped forward. He was dead. And right before everyone's eyes, the Time Stone shattered. A terrifying shockwave of energy erupted, blasting everyone in the room backward. The shockwave rippled across the entire superpower empire, terrifying the citizens who had no idea what had just happened. What happened to him? The king demanded, horrified. How did he just die? Was the Time Stone's energy too much for him? But why did the stone explode with him? That's the most powerful artifact in our entire game. Quick, use the Soul Stone, pull his soul out and make him explain, the king shouted, turning to the Soul Hero. The woman nodded, gripping the orange Soul Stone tightly, attempting to summon the Time Walker's soul. But after several seconds, there was absolutely no reaction. This meant the man's soul was completely erased. How can his soul be gone? That's impossible. The king was now truly panicked. Use the Reality Stone. Alter reality, bring him back to life. But once again, it was futile. The Time Walker was dead, body and soul, never to return. And while everyone was still reeling in confusion, a new figure suddenly appeared in the room. Everyone was stunned, staring at the intruder in horror. The king was shocked. When did a Waxia citizen get in here? So you're the ones making all that noise, I smiled faintly, my gaze sweeping over them. I had just been lying in my dorm, playing on my phone, when I suddenly felt someone trying to peer into the future, trying to peer at me. I simply glared back, and the man was instantly blasted away, and following the residual energy of the Time Stone, I teleported straight here. Who are you? This is the Superpower Empire. I am the king. You are trespassing. Don't get your panties in a bunch. I'm just here to take a look. I turned my attention to the individuals holding the stones, my brow lifting in surprise. I could actually sense the Tao rhythm of the 3,000 great Daos emanating from those gems. The Tao of space, the Tao of power, the Tao of souls, these were all part of the 3,000 great Taos. I honestly didn't expect to find such miraculous items in the Superpower Empire. It was a pleasant surprise, Although my cultivation was at the Supreme Great Earth stage, I hadn't fully mastered the 3,000 Great Daos yet. I was still somewhat unfamiliar with them. I currently only possessed the raw cultivation from the game, but I hadn't truly integrated any of the Great Daos into myself. If I took these gems and absorbed their Dao rhythm, I could gain a foundational mastery of these Daos. Secure the area, the Power Superman roared, gripping his stone tightly as he threw a devastating punch at me. Seeing this, the corners of my mouth curled up. As expected of the Tao of power, it could amplify one's own strength and copy others. Absolute power shatters all laws. In the face of absolute strength, any magical technique can be broken with a single punch. The Power Superman's fist slammed directly toward my head, but his expression instantly morphed into one of shock. I was completely unharmed. In fact, his fist never even touched me. It was stopped dead in its tracks by a transparent barrier, unable to advance even a millimeter. Not bad power. It's a shame your state of mind is unworthy of it. I smiled slightly, raising a single index finger and tapping it gently against his fist. You think you could stop me with one finger? Delusional. Boom. A beam of terrifying, concentrated spiritual energy erupted from the tip of my finger like a laser cannon. In an instant, the Power Superman was completely vaporized. Even the wall behind him was blown to dust. Seeing his grand palace suddenly turned into an open-air plaza, the king was dumbfounded. Who are you? I didn't answer. Instead, I looked at the Power Stone hovering in the air and reached out to grab it. You're not getting that stone. The Dream Hero activated the Reality Stone, attempting to rewrite reality itself. The Power Stone cannot be in his hand. It is now in my hand. As the Reality Stone flared, the Power Stone vanished from my grasp and reappeared in the Dream Hero's hand. Now this is interesting, I smirked. These stones were indeed fascinating. Each contained a fragment of a great Tao, making their usage incredibly wondrous. If these stones fell into the hands of ordinary people, they would grant power far exceeding that of average cultivators. Just this ability to alter reality and reverse the impossible was mind-boggling. However, in my eyes, that's all it was, an interesting parlor trick. Alter reality, you are a dog, a Huaxia dog completely at our mercy. The Dream Hero screamed, fully unleashing the Reality Stone in his hand. The stone blazed with blinding light. But absolutely nothing happened. Impossible. How is this possible? The Dream Hero panicked, pointing frantically at me. Alter reality, you shouldn't be here. Alter reality, you can't beat us. Alter reality, I am absolutely stronger than you. Suddenly, the Reality Stone violently pulsed, unleashing a terrifying shockwave. The Dream Hero was blasted backwards, staring in horror as the Reality Stone floated out of his grasp. Why? Why isn't the Reality Stone working? Could it be that this man was someone whose reality he simply couldn't alter? With a casual wave of my hand, the Power Stone returned to my grasp. Tell me, can you alter the reality of your imminent death? I gently snapped my fingers. Instantly, the Dream Hero dropped to his knees, clutching his chest and screaming in agonizing pain. The others stumbled backward in horror, staring at him, having no idea what was happening. But they knew one thing for sure. The Huaxia man standing before them was the cause of it all. The Dream Hero crawled desperately toward the floating Reality Stone. With a trembling hand, he grabbed it. Alter reality. I won't die. You will die. The stone in his hand began vibrating violently, as if it were about to explode. Just a microsecond before it detonated, I reached out and casually plucked it from his grasp, smiling faintly. It seems you can't alter anything. Hearing this, the Dream Hero fell into utter despair. He slumped to the floor, the life rapidly draining from his eyes before his body crumbled into ash and scattered into the wind. Hand over the stones and you might live, I stated calmly, my presence commanding absolute authority. Please, spare me, I'll give it to you. The woman holding the soul stone didn't even try to resist. She obediently dropped to her knees and offered the stone with both hands. Good. You understand the situation, I chuckled, taking the soul stone from her. I then turned my gaze to the man holding the space stone. In your dreams, the man's eyes darted around frantically before he finally roared. In the next second, he activated the space stone and vanished from the room. Seeing him escape, the others watched with bitter envy. Trying to run, I sighed helplessly and slowly raised my right hand. Instantly, a figure materialized in my grasp, completely out of thin air. How did you do that? The man had just used the space stone to teleport to the literal opposite side of the blue planet, to the most remote corner imaginable. Yet he was instantly yanked back by this man. What kind of godlike power was this? It was even more absurd than his space stone. Were all Huaxia people this monstrous? Since you chose to run, you chose death, I said coolly. I told you, hand over the stones and I wouldn't kill you. I really don't enjoy killing. It's too boring. After all, when you're truly invincible, killing someone is as easy as breathing. I'm sorry, please let me. The man's desperate plea was abruptly cut short. His limbs went limp, and all life force vanished from his body. I casually tossed his corpse aside. The space stone naturally flew into my hand. Looking at the 4 stones in my hand, I smiled in satisfaction. I then tossed all 4 into my mouth and began to chew. A minute later, I opened my eyes, golden light flashing within them, as a smirk touched my lips. I felt the great Tao's I had just absorbed settling within me. My comprehension was naturally exceptional. Through the residual Tao rhythm in those stones, I had instantly gained foundational mastery over 4 great Taos: power, reality, space, soul. Every great Tao has an absolute peak. Anyone who reaches that peak becomes a supreme existence. My strength had just leveled up again. I looked at the remaining survivors and spoke plainly. Submit or die. A heavy silence fell over the room. No one dared to speak. They all stared at me in absolute terror. Especially King Norbert Orlando, who felt a surge of humiliated rage boiling within him. He was the ruler of an entire empire. How could he submit to someone else, let alone a Huaxia citizen? I am the king of... Boom. Before he could finish, the king exploded, showering everyone with blood and gore. Anyone else have an objection? I swept my gaze across the room. The remaining survivors instantly dropped to the floor, pressing their foreheads so hard against the ground they wouldn't dare look up. Then accept the soul brand. As my words fell, my eyes emitted a faint purple glow. Instantly, everyone in the room was suspended mid-air, struggling and screaming in agony. 3 seconds later, they crashed back to the floor, twitching uncontrollably. But they quickly scrambled to their feet, their eyes filled with terror, and walked over to me, kneeling in unison. "Greetings, master," they shouted as one. Looking at the kneeling group, I nodded in satisfaction. "Not bad. I just acquired a batch of capable subordinates to manage the superpower empire for me. Rise." I looked at the woman who had voluntarily surrendered the soul stone. "From now on, you are the new ruler of the superpower empire. You are responsible for managing it. The rest of you will assist her. The superpower empire is never to make an enemy of Huaxia. You are to unite the empire under your rule as quickly as possible." "Yes, master." The group knelt again. I waved my hand, and hundreds of bottles materialized on the floor. They were filled with pills, over 1,000 bottles in total. "Take these body-tempering pills. This was how you bought loyalty." Then, I pointed a finger, and a wisp of purple Tao rhythm shot directly into the new ruler's body. "This is the Tao of Souls. Study it well. If anyone disobeys you, control them." "Yes, master," the woman nodded. "I don't care what your name was before. From now on, you are number 1. Simple and easy to remember." "Yes, master." Number 1 nodded emphatically. "Oh, right. That global tournament? Keep it going. It's a good idea. It'll let everyone see the gap in strength and stimulate their potential." "Yes, master." After a long silence, number 1 realized I hadn't spoken further and finally looked up. Only to find that I was already gone, she immediately stood up, her gaze sweeping over the others, exuding absolute authority. "From this moment on, we unify the empire. Do not let anyone offend Huaxia or the master. As for these pills, I will distribute them accordingly." "Yes, ruler." In that single moment, the superpower empire underwent a monumental shift. Other than me, no one knew the ruler had changed. Even the citizens of the superpower empire were kept entirely in the dark. The true authority of their nation had silently shifted hands. Back at the dorm, I found Luo Tao scrolling frantically through his phone. Seeing me walk in, he rushed over. "Did you see? The Kimchi Empire was wiped out." Hearing this, I paused and instantly cast my divine sense toward the Kimchi Empire's location. All I saw was absolute desolation. Fires raged everywhere. The ground was littered with caressed humans, zombies, and mutated monsters. The entire Kimchi Empire was completely devoid of human life. It was completely overrun by zombies and monsters. How did this happen? Did this occur while I was in the superpower empire grabbing the stones? It was a massacre. They manifested a massive wave of zombies and monsters today, and their weapons were completely useless. They were wiped out before they could even call for help. Thankfully, our government sent people over earlier to evacuate some of the ordinary citizens. They were the lucky ones. The government will arrange housing for them. Right now, our country is probably the safest and most stable place on Earth. You have no idea how many people are begging to immigrate here. A whole country getting wiped out. It's terrifying. Lo Tao babbled on, deeply shaken by the news. I retracted my divine sense, walked over, and patted his shoulder. "There will be more. Nations will rise and fall. Life and death will see a lot more of this in the future. The world has changed. Nations without strength will inevitably be eliminated." I smiled faintly and walked out to the balcony, looking up at the Pill Golden leaderboard. It was still broadcasting, though a bit slowly. It was only at the 80th place, but I didn't care about the rankings anymore. I needed to focus on my own cultivation. Even though my realm was currently the highest, with the mysteries piling up, a faint sense of crisis had begun to gnaw at me. Things were far more complicated than I initially thought. I couldn't just rely on my supreme great earth cultivation and get complacent. I needed to get stronger. Only with absolute power could I truly rest easy. In a flash, I teleported to the surface of the moon, sitting cross-legged in the vacuum of space. I began to cultivate, but I wasn't cultivating my realm, I was cultivating the great Taos. The 4 great Taos I had acquired from the stones. If I could cultivate any one of these Taos to absolute perfection, I would be truly invincible. I closed my eyes and began to commune with the Taos. Faint starlight began to shimmer around me. Meanwhile, in the Ninja Empire, night had fallen. Inside the Empire's Heavenly Palace conference hall, all the high-ranking military officials, including the Emperor, were gathered. The reason for this emergency meeting was the fall of the Kimchi Empire. Because the Kimchi Empire has fallen, and we are their closest neighbor, their zombies and monsters will definitely invade us. Exactly. Our scouts confirm the monsters have already started moving, and they're heading straight for us. Based on our calculations, in less than 3 days they will cross the ocean and reach our shores. It will be a total disaster. We can barely defend ourselves right now. If a massive horde of monsters attacks, we'll end up exactly like the Kimchi Empire. What do we do? The Emperor frowned deeply, his voice grave. Right now, our only options are to seek help or conquer new territory. Seek help? Emperor, we already contacted the superpower empire. They ignored us. A military officer chimed in bitterly. Those bastards, weren't we supposed to be allies? The moment disaster strikes, they abandon us. Then what do we do? Why don't we ask Huaxia for help? They helped the Kimchi Empire. They shouldn't refuse us, right? Huaxia won't help us, and even if they refuse, who cares? We'll just mobilize the entire nation and conquer Huaxia. The officers grew increasingly agitated, their voices rising with aggressive fervor. They were practically ready to launch a full-scale invasion on Huaxia right then and there. Silence. The Emperor slammed his hand on the table. The hall instantly fell dead silent. The atmosphere grew incredibly oppressive as the officers stared at the Emperor, trembling slightly. Prepare the mobilization plans. We are invading Huaxia. The Emperor spoke in a low, heavy tone. The world has changed. The old alliances mean nothing now. Hearing this, the officers cheered in excitement. They were finally going to war. I wouldn't do that if I were you. Suddenly, a voice echoed in the room. Everyone gasped in shock, turning toward the source of the voice. A scruffy, middle-aged man had materialized out of thin air, and he looked unmistakably Huaxian. A Huaxia citizen. How did you get in here? A military officer demanded coldly. Don't be nervous. I'm not your enemy. I'm here to save you. Wang Gozong smiled faintly. Save us? We don't need saving from a Huaxia dog. A military officer roared. You're too loud. Can you just listen to me? Wang Gozong's face darkened. He casually waved his hand. A massive palm made of pure spiritual energy materialized and smashed into the shouting officer. Boom! The officer instantly exploded into a mist of blood. Seeing this, everyone else in the room trembled violently, nearly dropping their glasses in terror. What do you want? The Emperor pointed a trembling finger at Wang Guozheng, his face pale with fear. This Huaxia man felt incredibly dangerous, like a ravenous beast that killed without blinking. Submit to me. Hand over the throne, Wang Guozheng demanded coldly. Impossible, the Emperor instinctively retorted. He was the ruler of an empire. How could he just hand over his throne? If that's your answer, then die. Wang Guozheng swung his hand again. Boom! The Emperor and the ninja guards surrounding him instantly exploded, their flesh and bones obliterated, turning into a pool of blood that slowly pooled on the floor. Now, does anyone else object? Wang Guozheng swept his gaze across the room. The remaining officers fell to their knees instantly, not daring to utter a word of defiance. Since there are no objections, I am your new emperor. The officers agreed in unison, quickly submitting to Wang Guozheng. Even though their previous emperor was slaughtered right in front of them, they felt no sorrow. In fact, they were somewhat excited because a much stronger emperor had arrived. In this chaotic world, they naturally desired a more powerful leader to guide them. Emperor, the zombie and monster horde is approaching. What should we do? I will handle it, Wang Guozheng said calmly, slowly walking up to the emperor's throne and sitting down. He stroked the ornate armrests and grinned fiercely. He never imagined a day like this would come. He actually became the emperor of a nation. Thinking back to his days on the run, sleeping on the streets, enduring endless hardships, it was a good thing he grabbed some cash during that bank robbery and spent it on that game. Otherwise, he would have been dead long ago. Instead of sitting on this throne, it seemed the heavens didn't want him to die. They gave him a second chance to start over. Emperor, are we still invading Huaxia? No, we absolutely cannot invade Huaxia right now. Wang Guozheng shook his head. Huaxia had saints, saint kings, and the terrifying Xiaoyao Tianzun. As a quasi-saint himself, he knew exactly how horrifying those existences were. If this tiny island nation dared to attack Huaxia, they would be wiped off the map without a grave. They couldn't attack now, but maybe later. Just then, an officer's phone rang loudly, startling everyone in the room. They looked at Wang Guozheng, said indifferently. The officer nodded frantically and answered the phone. His eyes instantly widened, his expression a mix of shock and disbelief. What? Godzilla was killed. Hearing this, the entire room gasped. Godzilla was a massively powerful monster that had manifested recently. Even their strongest espers combined couldn't scratch it. Thankfully, the beast was lazy and just found a spot to sleep. But now it was dead? Who killed it? What Sadako killed it? Hearing this, the officers were even more baffled. Wasn't Sadako just a ghost? How could she kill Godzilla? Were they joking? Hearing this, Wang Guozheng expanded his divine sense, enveloping the entire ninja empire. Suddenly, his eyes lit up, and he smirked. He didn't expect this tiny island nation to harbor such a fascinating entity. Taking it as a pet wouldn't be a bad idea. For 10 whole years, I played a cultivation game straight through the night. In that game, I was the undisputed #1 on the global server leaderboards.
My cultivation had reached the peak of the supreme great earth. I was above all and second to none. I had countless god-tier artifacts and weapons, but I never expected that after 10 years, the game would actually manifest into reality. All the cultivation and artifacts transferred directly to my real body. I thought this would be humanity's stepping stone to a higher civilization, but it seemed a massive conspiracy was hiding behind this manifestation. At that moment, amidst the ruins of a city in the Ninja Empire, the colossal corpse of a monster lay silently on the ground. It was the very beast the Empire had feared for days, Godzilla, and standing right next to its corpse was a figure in a white dress. She was ripping into Godzilla's flesh, chewing hungrily, mumbling to herself, "Kill people, kill monsters, must get stronger, serve master." It was Sadako, the ghost I had let loose. Right now, she was gorging herself on Godzilla's corpse.
Godzilla's flesh was packed with massive amounts of radioactive energy, but after my modifications, Sadako was incredibly powerful. Not only could she absorb energy through people's fear, but she could also absorb the raw energy from other creatures, converting it into spiritual energy to strengthen her cultivation. This allowed her to rapidly level up. Well, I didn't expect to find a monster like you in this tiny island nation. How interesting, a sleazy male voice suddenly echoed. Sadako turned her head and saw Wang Gozang. Instantly, she bared her fangs and hissed. Wang Gozang looked her up and down. "You're a special one. You actually have spiritual energy inside you, and your realm isn't low either. You're at the soul formation stage." Sadako didn't waste words with him. She instantly activated her illusion technique, attempting to trap Wang Guozhang in a nightmare. Wang Guozhang felt the ambient temperature drop and smirked. "A measly soul formation ghost thinks she can trap me in an illusion," he snorted coldly. A terrifying pressure erupted from his body. Sadako was violently blasted backward, crashing heavily onto the ground. With just a single strike, Sadako was severely injured. Her ethereal body flickered, threatening to dissipate completely. "You will serve me," Wang Guozhang commanded coldly. A monster like this would be a perfect tool for him. She would be a powerful weapon when he eventually moved to overthrow Huaxia. Wang Guozhang reached out a massive hand, using a suction force to pull Sadako toward him. Endless streams of spiritual energy surged into her head. He planned to brand her soul with his imprint, enslaving her forever. However, in the very next second, crack! A crisp sound echoed from his soul. Wang Guozhang was blasted backward, flying through the air just like Sadako had, crashing heavily into the dirt and rolling several times before stopping. He stared in absolute terror at Sadako, his face deathly pale. What was that? Before his soul imprint could even take hold, he was struck by a terrifying, inexplicable force. It was a devastating soul attack. His soul was severely damaged. It would take hundreds of thousands of years to heal without a miraculous divine pill. Just then, a phantom image slowly materialized above Sadako's head. Wang Guozhang's eyes widened in horror as he stared at the projection. Who are you? You don't need to know. You attacked my servant. You deserve to die. My soul avatar I had planted within Sadako's soul. If she encountered fatal danger, I would sense it immediately and intervene. She was my servant after all. I couldn't let just anyone bully her. Big shot. I was wrong. I'm a quasi-saint. If I become your servant, I can be very useful. Hearing that the phantom intended to kill him, Wang Guozhang gritted his teeth and dropped to his knees, begging for his life. Hearing this, I didn't lower my hand. Instead, a surge of spiritual energy erupted from me, drilling straight into Wang Guozhang's brain. "Whether you're useful or not, I'll see for myself." Soul search. Instantly, Wang Guozhang began thrashing wildly. His eyes rolled back into his head, showing only the whites as he screamed in excruciating agony. Heh, a mass murderer who slaughtered a family of 13. A rapist and a bank robber. Scum like you isn't fit to be my servant, I said coldly. I clenched my fist. Bang! Wang Guozhang violently exploded. Instantly, lightning tore across the sky, and dark clouds gathered. A crimson thunderbolt ripped through the heavens, followed by a deafening boom that shook the earth. But suddenly, the eerie sound of a phantom weeping echoed from the sky. The people of Huaxia looked up, hearing the ghostly wails, completely shocked. What was happening? Why was the sky crying? Could it be just like in the novels a supreme being had fallen? And right then, a bizarre scene unfolded. The artifact golden leaderboard, which was still announcing rankings, abruptly stopped. It rolled up, pierced through the clouds, and vanished without a trace. What was going on? The leaderboard had never done this before. Previously, it would announce up to the 11th place, pause, and reveal the top 10 the next day. But now it stopped at the 20th place and left. Did the rules change? Thunder roared, and lightning flashed. A brilliant beam of light pierced the dark clouds, and a new scroll descended from the heavens. The Cultivation Golden Leaderboard updates. The primordial voice boomed, shocking the nation. 5th place, slaughtering true person has fallen. The moment the announcement finished, a deafening thunderclap shattered the sky. Then it began to rain, but when the raindrops fell on the people below, they gasped in horror. The rain was blood red, a rain of blood. Holy crap, what's happening? Slaughtering true person. Wasn't he a quasi-saint? How could he fall? Who killed him? Countless cultivators were utterly astounded. How could a quasi-saint just drop dead out of nowhere? At the Cultivator Management Department headquarters, to think a quasi-saint died just like that. What a pity, Li Long sighed, looking out the window at the leaderboard. Moments later, a female officer walked over. General Li, we've verified it. It wasn't Heaven's Tao Forces My Hand or Mighty Heavenly Dragon. It's highly likely it was either Who Else Can Beat Me or the Emperor himself. The Emperor, Li Long muttered, his cloudy eyes suddenly widening. If it really was the Emperor who did it, then there had to be a very good reason. He believed the Emperor wouldn't kill randomly. Anyone he killed deserved it, but he couldn't jump to conclusions yet. Pass down the order. No one is to discuss this matter. We will treat it as if nothing happened. If rumors spread and offend the top rankers, our department will be in danger. He still wasn't entirely sure if these top rankers were loyal to the nation. He only knew that Xiaoyao Tianzun had Wuxia in his heart. Oh, one more thing. The Superpower Empire sent an invitation. They want us to participate in a global tournament. A global tournament? Li Long sneered. No wonder they let our people go. They were planning this little stunt. I know exactly what the Superpower Empire is up to. They just want to gauge the strength of other nations and then launch attacks on the weaker ones to steal their territory. It's a cheap trick and we see right through it. But Huaxia is not the Wuxia of the past. We are not to be bullied. Accept their invitation. Since they want to test the waters, it's time we gave the world a little Huaxia shock. They want to see our strength? Fine. Let's clash and see who's really the strongest. Meanwhile, the fall of slaughtering true person had panicked the cultivators nationwide. A quasi-saint died. Did that mean they were in danger too? But just then, the golden leaderboard spoke again. Due to the fall of slaughtering true person, according to the leaderboard rules, if a top 10 ranker is killed by another player, the killer absorbs 20% of the deceased's cultivation. Furthermore, the top 10 cultivation leaderboard will now be updated dynamically. If someone surpasses another's realm, the rankings will adjust automatically. If a top 10 ranker kills a player ranked lower than them, they absorb 7% of their cultivation. The leaderboard's new rules instantly sent the entire nation into a state of sheer panic. Didn't that mean the top 10 rankers could farm ordinary cultivators to boost their own strength? The ordinary cultivators were terrified. The top 10 were all unbelievably powerful. If they went on a killing spree just to farm cultivation, hardly anyone could stop them. But the one they feared the most was Xiaoyao Tianzun, the existence who could blow up the blue planet with a single thought. If he wanted to, he could kill everyone with a thought. The cultivation he'd absorbed from that, wouldn't it push him beyond the supreme Great Earth realm? Everyone prayed fervently that Xiaoyao Tianzun wasn't a bloodthirsty tyrant. Otherwise, they were all doomed. Before the crowd could recover from their shock, the leaderboard announced the update. 5th place number 2, Realm, Quasi-Saint. After the announcement, the cultivation golden leaderboard flew back into the clouds and vanished. The entire nation was stunned. The lively discussions died instantly. Who the hell was number 2? Where did this new 5th place Quasi-Saint come from? Was it someone who just broke through? Didn't the leaderboard only rank the original game players? Or could newly broken through cultivators get on the board too? The people stared at the sky in utter bewilderment. Meanwhile, in the Ninja Empire 2 minutes ago, amidst the rubble my soul avatar stood above Sadako. Not far away, a soul floated in the void. It was Wang Gozhang's soul, at his cultivation level as long as his soul wasn't destroyed. Even if his physical body was obliterated, he could simply possess someone else and resurrect. Wang Gozhang stared in horror at his translucent, ethereal body. Trembling in fear, he fell to his knees in the void and cried out to me. Big shot. Please let me go. I'll work like a dog for you. I'll be your beast of burden. Although he didn't know why this person hadn't annihilated his soul yet, he saw a glimmer of hope. He had already deduced who this person was. It was highly likely the number 1 ranker, Xiaoyao Tianzun. I didn't speak. I simply clenched my fist in the void. Instantly, Wang Gozhang felt as if a massive, invisible hand had gripped him. His entire soul went rigid. Big shot, Boss Xiaoyao, please. Spare me, I shouldn't have had evil thoughts about Wuxia. I shouldn't have coveted your servant. I'll never do it again. Let me go! Wang Gozhang thrashed wildly, screaming in terror. Suddenly, he threw his head back and roared in agony. He felt scorching, blistering flames searing his soul. It felt like his very essence had been tossed into a blazing furnace. The pain was absolute. Please, just kill me. I don't want to live anymore. Wang Gozhang's face twisted into a mask of pure agony. Right now, he only wanted to die, but the burning sensation in his soul didn't stop. After a full minute, Wang Gozhang stopped struggling. I released my grip. Wang Guozhang's soul dropped naturally, kneeling stably on the ground. Greetings, master. Wang Guozhang was completely expressionless, devoid of joy, anger, or sorrow. He was like a completely different person. I had used the Tao of Souls to reforge his soul. He still possessed the strength of a quasi-saint, but Wang Guozhang's memories were completely erased. He was essentially a newborn. From now on, you are number 2, I stated calmly, waving my hand. Chunks of Godzilla's flesh flew over, slowly coalescing in the air, eventually forming the corpse of a human male. This is your new body. Get in. Hearing this, number 2 nodded emphatically, leaping up and diving into the new body. How does it feel? I asked. This body, forged from Godzilla's flesh, was vastly superior to a normal human's. Combined with his quasi-saint realm, he would be significantly stronger than an average quasi-saint. Very strong, very durable, and powerful. Much better than my old body. Good. Sadako will assist you. The two of you will establish our power here in the Ninja Empire. You will take over as emperor. Recruit the others quickly. If they resist, kill them, I commanded emotionlessly. To be honest, I wouldn't normally be this cold. But I had absolutely zero sympathy for the Ninja Empire. Yes, master. Number 2 and Sadako answered in unison. When they looked up, my phantom had already vanished. The man and the ghost exchanged a glance, a tacit understanding passing between them, and left the area. Meanwhile, on the surface of the moon, I slowly opened my eyes. A Taiji bagel wheel spun within my pupils, radiating faint starlight, before quickly fading away. I finally comprehended a little bit of it. I'm confident I can officially cross the threshold in a few days. The Tao of reality was indeed extraordinary. It took me a whole day just to grasp the basics, and I still hadn't fully crossed the threshold. However, I was making progress. Then I will reshape it. I focused my spiritual energy and silently recited, Alter Reality, Time Stone Reshape. As the power of the Tao erupted from my hands, the space in front of me distorted violently, becoming blurred and twisted. With a sharp hum, the spatial distortion vanished, and a brilliant green gem slowly materialized, hovering in the air before me. The Time Stone was reshaped. Using the Tao of reality to alter the present, I forced the destroyed Time Stone to reappear. However, this action consumed a significant portion of my spiritual energy. After all, this Time Stone contained the profound Tao rhythm of time. Among the 3,000 great Taos, time was arguably the most terrifying and powerful. Knowing the past, seeing the future, and even altering history, any cultivator who mastered this Tao was, without exception, an absolute powerhouse. I grabbed the Time Stone and tossed it into my mouth, chewing it up with a satisfying crunch. Once I digested it, I would gain a foundational understanding of the Tao of time. A day passed, and the entire nation was in a state of panic and unease. The internet forums were ablaze with discussions about the new golden leaderboard rules. The realization that top rankers could farm them for cultivation left everyone terrified. But there was another major event dominating the news cycle, a story that touched the hearts of everyone in Huaxia. Elder Chen Mingyuan, a highly revered academician of Huaxia, was on his deathbed. At 130 years old, his body's functions had completely failed, and he was expected to pass away peacefully at any moment. Can no one save Elder Chen? He has dedicated his entire life to our country. I heard the cultivator management department already tried. They invited Taoist Ching Feng last night, but he refused to intervene. He said he couldn't interfere with karma and that defying the heavenly mandate would incur heavenly wrath. Elder Chen has accumulated massive karmic merit. His research single-handedly advanced Huaxia's fighter jet technology by 30 years. He lived this long precisely because of that merit. We can't just let him die. There's nothing we can do. No one dares to defy the heavenly mandate unless Xiaoyao Tianzun steps in. True. If Boss Xiaoyao intervened, he wouldn't fear the heavenly mandate. He literally scared away the lightning tribulation with a single sentence. At the military district hospital in the Dragon capital, inside a spacious VIP ward, a hospital bed sat in the center. A gaunt, emaciated old man lay quietly on the bed, his eyes closed, his breathing shallow. Beside him sat a young woman. It was Chen Mingyuan's granddaughter, Chen Shi. Grandpa, I went to the temple today to pray for you. You'll definitely live longer. I even posted online. I'm willing to offer my entire fortune to anyone who can save you. The old man on the bed coughed weakly and slowly opened his eyes. Silly girl. Everyone dies eventually. Why fear it? I've lived a long, full life. It's time. Just then, Chen Shi's phone buzzed. She saw it was her secretary calling. It must be urgent. Chen Shi walked out to the balcony to answer it. What is it, chairwoman? Daffodil replied. She's willing to give us the soul-returning pill, but on one condition. We need to find someone powerful enough to defy the heavenly mandate and block the heavenly tribulation for her. Otherwise, the heavenly tribulation will destroy the entire Chen family. Hearing this, Chen Shi's face turned deathly pale. Was defying the heavenly mandate truly that severe? One misstep, and her entire family would be wiped out. I understand. Chen Shi hung up the phone and walked back into the room, forcing a smile. Grandpa, there's a small emergency at the company. I need to go handle it. I'll be back soon. Chen Mingyuan nodded weakly, watching his granddaughter leave. The moment the door clicked shut, the light faded from his eyes. He had lived for over a century. How could he not read the despair in a person's eyes? It seemed his long life had finally reached its end. Meanwhile, back at the Kindu University dorm, I had spent the entire night comprehending the Tao, and only returned at noon. As I opened the door, I heard a heavy sigh. Why so many sighs today? It's a sad day, Luo Tao muttered, sitting at his desk, staring at his phone, looking incredibly depressed. What's wrong? I asked casually. Oh, you're back. Stayed out all night, huh? Did you sneak out to go on a date? What are you talking about? I rolled my eyes. Tell me why you're sighing first. What happened? I hadn't paid any attention to the outside world for the past day, completely engrossed in comprehending the Daos. It's about academician Chen. Luo Tao proceeded to explain the whole situation. So that's how it is. No one dares to defy the heavenly mandate to save Elder Chen. Unless Boss Xiaoyao acts, no one will. Lo Tao sighed again. Having heard the whole story, I understood the situation perfectly. I didn't expect something like this to happen overnight. The pride of the nation, a pillar of the state, the backbone of Huaxia. All these titles belong to one man. In any era, such a figure would be deeply loved and respected by millions. Even in this era of cultivation, even as the supreme great earth, I held immense respect for people like him, because without them, there would be no modern Huaxia and no peaceful life for anyone. Their contributions were unparalleled. It seems my longevity pill has found its rightful owner. Meanwhile, in the grand living room of the Chen family estate, Chen Shi dropped her phone in despair, her eyes vacant as she looked at her parents and uncles. No one is willing to help. Father Chen sighed deeply, seemingly accepting their fate. He leaned back in his chair, staring blankly at the ceiling, lost in thought. The heavenly mandate cannot be defied. No one dares to risk it. And Uncle sighed. They had contacted countless cultivators, offering their entire family fortune, but no one dared to accept the offer. Because Chen Mingyuan was dying of natural causes. This was the heavenly mandate. He had simply reached the absolute limit of his natural lifespan. Not a single cultivator in the entire nation dared to defy the heavens. Chen Shi looked at her family, her heart sinking into an abyss of despair. Is Grandpa really going to die? Is there no hope? Unless Xiaoyao Tianzun intervenes, an uncle said slowly. Right now, there is only one person in the world who can save Chen Mingyuan, and that is Xiaoyao Tianzun. Hearing this name, the room fell dead silent. He is the emperor. Do not speak his name so casually, Father Chen quickly scolded. If the emperor hears you, our entire family might be. I want to try. Chen Shi suddenly stood up and walked out to the balcony. She immediately dropped to her knees. Lord Xiaoyao, if you can hear me, I beg you, please save my grandfather. I will give you anything. Everything I have, I beg you. Chen Shi kowtowed deeply, her forehead striking the floor, then repeated her plea. And kowtowed again. The rest of the family watched in shock but didn't stop her. Because right now the Supreme Emperor was their only hope. They prayed that Chen Shi's sincerity would reach him. Back at the military district hospital, the clock on the wall ticked steadily. The VIP ward was as quiet as a tomb. Chen Mingyuan rested with his eyes closed, listening to the ticking slowly drifting towards sleep. But suddenly, the ticking stopped. The sudden silence jolted him awake. He opened his eyes and looked at the clock on the opposite wall. The hands had stopped moving. Is the clock broken? Chen Mingyuan muttered. Just as he was about to ring for a nurse, a voice echoed right beside him. It's not broken. It just stopped. The sudden voice startled Chen Mingyuan. He turned his head quickly and saw a young man sitting in the chair next to his bed. Who are you? Chen Mingyuan asked, bewildered. This was a high-security military hospital. Ordinary people couldn't just wander in. With his decades of experience, he instantly deduced that this young man was no ordinary person. Perhaps he was a powerful cultivator who had snuck in undetected. And what do you mean it stopped? I didn't answer immediately. Instead, I picked up an apple from the bedside table and took a bite. Time stopped, I answered casually. Time stopped. What do you mean? Chen Mingyuan was shocked and quickly looked at the clock again. The hands were indeed perfectly still, but that doesn't mean time actually stopped. I smiled and let go of the half-eaten apple. To his utter disbelief, the apple remained suspended in midair. It didn't fall. It defied gravity. It truly looked as if time itself had frozen. Who are you really? This ability is unbelievable. What are you doing here? Chen Mingyuan asked, astounded. I stood up, placing my hands behind my back, and turned away from him. After a long pause, I turned back. I am Xiaoyao Tianzun. For 10 whole years, I played a cultivation game straight through the night. In that game, I was the undisputed #1 on the global server leaderboards. My cultivation had reached the peak of the supreme great earth. I was above all and second to none. I had countless god-tier artifacts and weapons, but I never expected that after 10 years, the game would actually manifest into reality. All the cultivation and artifacts transferred directly to my real body. I thought this would be humanity's stepping stone to a higher civilization, but it seemed a massive conspiracy was hiding behind this manifestation. At this moment, Chen Mingyuan stared at the young man before him, his mind completely blank. The words Xiaoyao Tianzun echoed endlessly in his head. You are really Xiaoyao Tianzun? I didn't answer his question directly. Instead, I looked him straight in the eyes. Do you want to live? Hearing this, Chen Mingyuan's heart skipped a beat. He fell silent. Who didn't want to live? He wanted to see his country continue to prosper and flourish. He wanted to see his granddaughter wear a wedding dress and walk down the aisle. He had so many unfulfilled wishes. I want to live. After a long silence, a glint of determination appeared in Chen Mingyuan's eyes. He wanted to survive. I have a longevity pill. Elder Chen, if I give you this pill, you will live forever, without aging. Will you take it? Seeing the pill in my hand, Chen Mingyuan swallowed hard. This was the legendary pill that granted immortality. But staring at the longevity pill, he hesitated. After a long time, he closed his eyes and sighed. This pill is far too precious. I am unworthy of it. If that's the case, how about I offer this pill to the nation? Let them study its secrets so everyone in Huaxia can achieve immortality. What do you think? Hearing this, Chen Mingyuan's eyes lit up with brilliant light. That is a wonderful idea. If it can truly grant immortality to the entire nation, then this pill will serve its ultimate purpose. Wasting it on my dying body would be a tragedy. Hearing Chen Mingyuan's response, I smiled, putting the pill away, and walked to the balcony. I deeply admire your character. Your greatness and selfless dedication are something I could never emulate. I was telling the truth. People like him were the ones I respected most in my life. My own father was exactly like that. I'll never forget my birthday. My father had an emergency mission. Between his country and his family, he chose his country. He left that night and never came back. But I never blamed him. Instead, I always held him in the highest regard. Once you don that uniform, you must bear the weight of its responsibility. Those were my father's words. Emperor Xiaoyao, you are also the person I admire most, Chen Mingyuan suddenly said, shaking his head. How so? I turned back to look at him. You possess such unimaginable power, yet you haven't used it to do whatever you please. You control your desires. You are the most incredible person I've ever met. Over the past few days, I've seen countless people gain power and instantly turn to crime, murder, robbery, assault. They couldn't control their inner demons, and the power amplified their darkest desires. But you remain hidden from the world. You are neither arrogant nor rash. Your humility is truly worthy of respect. I was slightly taken aback, then smiled. Elder Chen, Huaxia prospers because of you. I didn't say more. I just extended my index finger. Before I came here, thousands of people begged me to save you, but a few told me not to waste the pill. Hearing that, are you disappointed? Are you angry? Chen Mingyuan chuckled bitterly. I've lived over 100 years. I'm just an old bag of bones. I don't feel much of anything anymore. People are selfish by nature. There's nothing to be angry about. But I don't believe that. As soon as I spoke, the clock on the wall resumed its steady ticking. At the same time, the balcony curtains whipped wildly in a sudden gale. Streams of visible white energy surged through the window, condensing at the tip of my finger. This is lifespan. It can extend your life. Taken with the longevity pill, it will ensure you never die and never age. Chen Mingyuan stared hungrily at the ball of lifespan, swallowing hard. Aren't you afraid of defying the heavenly mandate? Hearing this, I laughed softly. The heavenly mandate? Does it dare to come? Thank you, Emperor. Chen Mingyuan expressed his profound gratitude. He took the ball of lifespan and the longevity pill and swallowed them both. As the pill entered his stomach, a miraculous transformation occurred. Chen Mingyuan's ancient wrinkled face began to smooth out, as if time was flowing backward, rapidly returning to its youth. His snow-white hair turned jet black. He transformed back into a handsome, vibrant young man in his 20s. Is this really me? Chen Mingyuan stared at his smooth, youthful hands in disbelief. When he spoke, he was shocked to hear a young, energetic voice. Was this the power of the longevity pill? It was terrifying, a true fountain of youth. But then he noticed a discrepancy. Emperor, where did you get this lifespan? You don't need to worry about that, I smiled faintly. Chen Mingyuan sighed. Emperor, the longevity pill is so precious. Giving it to a powerless old man like me, isn't it a waste? I'm just a mortal. Even with immortality, what use am I? I'm still powerless. I'll still be at risk of being killed by any random cultivator. You are not ordinary, I stated calmly, staring intently at Chen Mingyuan. He might not see it, but I saw it perfectly clearly. From the moment I arrived, I saw a faint golden halo radiating from him, like the glow of a saint. After asking the heavenly Tao, I learned this was the manifestation of a merit saint. It meant a person had accumulated so much karmic merit that even if they died, they would be deified. And if they didn't die, they had the potential to condense a merit-holy body. Once condensed, their cultivation speed using merit would be tens of thousands of times faster than a normal cultivator. It was an incredibly terrifying physique. The only reason Chen Mingyuan hadn't condensed it yet was that holy bodies hadn't fully manifested into reality. Once they did, Chen Mingyuan looked down at his hands confused. When he looked up to ask me what I meant, he found I was already gone. Just then, the ward door was pushed open. A young woman and several adults walked in. When they saw the young man sitting on the bed, they looked incredibly confused. Excuse me, did you see an elderly man? He was lying in this bed, Chen Shi asked politely. Why is Grandpa gone? Why is there a young man here? Hearing Chen Shi's words, the young man burst into laughter. Ha ha, little Ji, I am your grandfather. Impudent. You dare impersonate my father. Do you know the penalty for this? Chen Luoyang shouted angrily. Chen Luoyang, am I your father or not? Don't you know? As the words left his mouth, a powerful aura washed over the room. An inexplicable, overpowering bloodline pressure instantly suppressed Chen Luoyang. Staring at the young man, whose tone, demeanor, and facial expressions were identical to his father's, Chen Luoyang was dumbfounded. This feeling is so familiar. It's exactly like my father. Is he really my father? But how could my father become so young? Suddenly, Chen Shi realized something and gasped in shock. Are you really Grandpa? Did Emperor Xiaoyao come? After 10 minutes of explanation from Chen Mingyuan, the Chen family finally accepted that this young man was indeed their patriarch. Chen Shi was sobbing with relief, repeatedly thanking Xiaoyao Tianzun. Thank you so much, Lord Xiaoyao. If it weren't for him, Grandpa would be gone. It seemed her prayers had truly reached the emperor's ears. Silly child, Chen Mingyuan said, dotingly stroking his granddaughter's head with a smile. Now help me contact Li Long at the management department. I have something of vital importance to relay. A crisis is coming to the Blue Planet, and we can't afford to be passive anymore. From this moment on, the entire Chen family will begin cultivation. The moment I stepped back into the dorm, I heard the news blaring from Lo Tao's phone. Breaking news, dozens of ordinary citizens across the country have reported bizarre symptoms. Individuals in their 20s and 30s have aged into elderly people in a matter of seconds, suffering a massive decline in bodily functions. Investigations are ongoing. Witnesses claim those affected had previously posted online comments attacking Lord Xiaoyao and insulting Elder Chen Mingyuan. It is highly likely they have incurred heavenly retribution. Wow, the news travels fast. I thought it hadn't even been 10 minutes, and they already drew the connection. Serves them right. They won't last more than a few days in those bodies. Luo Tao cheered, staring at the report. Seeing me return, Luo Tao looked up with a mix of surprise and excitement. You're back. Principal Yan was looking for you. She said it's urgent, so you better head to her office right away. I checked my phone and saw a string of messages from Yan Yu, all requesting my presence. In an instant, I vanished and reappeared in her office. Yan Yu wasted no time. The pills have been distributed. I'm putting you in charge of 3 classes. Half of them have already started body tempering, but the other half are still ordinary students. I need you to help them boost their strength. I nodded. I had nothing else to do, so I figured I'd let them train while I watched. Also, the universities are organizing a national martial arts tournament. Teachers and students will compete for rewards. I've decided you'll lead our team. This tournament was designed recently to let students see the gap between themselves and others, stimulating their drive and potential. Only through competition can one improve the fastest. Without a goal, people just drift like salted fish. I was momentarily stunned. Sending me to a student tournament? Even if I suppressed my realm to the nascent soul stage, not even a soul formation or Mahayana expert would stand a chance against me. No problem. Who are the judges? I asked curiously. Director Li Long of the management department organized it. I think it's a great idea. As for judges, the university principals will be there, and I'll be present too. I heard they even invited a woman called Orchid Fairy who claims to be Xiaoyao Tianzun's Dao companion. Yan Yu's voice turned noticeably sour, tinged with a hint of jealousy. Wait, hasn't Orchid Fairy been married for years? I asked, confused. She got a divorce yesterday, Yan Yu replied with a look of pure disgust. She claims she belongs to Xiaoyao Tianzun now, so she left her husband. She's even telling everyone she's single and waiting for him, hoping he likes married women. Yan Yu scoffed, as if the emperor would ever look at a woman like that. She's delusional. I broke into a cold sweat. I didn't realize the drama had reached this level of absurdity, divorcing her husband just because the game manifested. Orchid Fairy really had a unique vision. Back at the dorm, I handed a list to Lo Tao. Tao, go to the sports field and gather everyone on this list. Holy crap, that's over 100 people. Are we going to war? Lo Tao gasped. You guessed it. The beasts manifest this afternoon. I'm taking you all out for some field experience. Meanwhile, in a villa in the Dragon capital, a beautiful young woman with a youthful face was frantically packing her bags. This was Gu Ying, also known as Fairy Piao Miao. Her maids were desperately trying to talk her out of it. Stop. I'm going to Kindu City, Gu Ying declared firmly. My Dao companion is there, and I won't let anyone else get to him first. She stuffed her luggage into a storage ring ready to bolt. She knew Xiaoyao Tianzun had more than one Dao companion back in the game after all. It was just a game, but she was the one who truly had fun with him. Now she was chasing her own happiness. Where do you think you're going? A voice boomed behind her. She turned to see her father. I'm going to find my partner. I'm eloping. Eloping? You're a tribulation transcendence expert and you want to elope? Father Gu looked like he was about to have a stroke. His face turned red as he struggled to stand. I'm telling you right now, you aren't going anywhere to find anyone. A woman of your status doing something so scandalous, everyone will laugh at us. I'm going to find Xiaoyao Tianzun, Gu Ying shouted back. She was the only one in the family who knew the emperor was her former in-game partner. The room went silent. Everyone stared at her, dumbfounded. Father Gu's eyes bulged. What did you just say? That's the emperor. He can hear everything we say. You can't just throw his name around. Thank God he probably wasn't listening or we'd be finished. But he's my Dao companion. What? Father Gu and the maids were paralyzed. Did she just say her partner was Xiaoyao Tianzun? Everyone out, now? Father Gu barked at the maids. The moment the door closed, his expression flipped instantly. He scurried over to Gu Ying with a massive beaming smile. My darling daughter, what did you just say? Xiaoyao Tianzun is your Dao companion? Now don't tease your old man if he hears this and it's not true. He'll be furious. Don't worry, I want him to know. I'm going to find him. Father Gu was sweating from the stress, but seeing that the emperor hadn't struck them down yet, his heart leaped with joy. If his daughter wasn't lying and he could have an emperor for a son-in-law, that would be the ultimate flex. Pack your bags, move it, get out of this house right now. And listen to me, if I find out you came back without him, I'll break your legs. Gu Ying stared at her father, her mouth hanging open. The man's personality had changed faster than a lightning strike. I get it, she muttered, rolling her eyes. In the next second, she vanished. Watching her leave, Father Gu was practically dancing. He was already daydreaming about the prestige of being the emperor's father-in-law. Back at the sports field, I retracted my divine sense and rubbed my temples. This was bad. My Dao companions were appearing one after another. It was a good thing I hadn't revealed my true identity yet, or they'd all be knocking on my dorm door. I saw Fairy Piao Mao had already arrived in Qingdu and was wandering the streets. She won't recognize me anyway, I thought, turning my attention back to the students. In front of me were several rows of students, all sitting cross-legged, drawing the world's spiritual energy into their bodies. They had all taken the body tempering and spiritual energy pills I provided. What they didn't realize was that I had set up a time domain centered on myself. Inside the domain, time flowed much faster than outside. An hour of training inside was only a minute in the outside world. I figured I'd give them a little head start. When one enters a deep state of cultivation, they lose track of time, hunger, and worry. By the time an hour had passed for the rest of the world, these students had been training for over 2 days inside the domain. Suddenly, the sounds of breakthroughs began to pop like firecrackers. I reached foundation establishment. Me too. I'm at peak body tempering. I'll catch up to you guys soon. Everyone's aura sharpened as their realms climbed. Loi Tao even reached the mid-golden core stage just a step away from the late stage. I also gained a tiny bit of insight into the Tao of Time. Though it was barely a scratch, out of the 5 great Taos I was tracking, I had only touched the threshold of the Tao of Reality. The Tao of Time was proving to be much more difficult. Silence. Continue training to stabilize your foundations, I said calmly. The field went quiet as the students suppressed their excitement and closed their eyes again. I expanded my divine sense to scan the world. I needed more heavenly treasures and artifacts that contained the Tao rhythm. However, I noticed something strange. The zombies in the Kimchi Empire were still manifesting, and their numbers were growing. But that nation was already gone. It seems that even if a country falls, the game manifestation doesn't stop. These world mergers weren't just peaceful integrations. They were invasions. The goal was for the other world to suppress and replace the blue planet. Even though the Kimchi Empire was extinct, the zombies kept coming. Within half a month, that land would be a hive of monsters. This meant the sects that were about to manifest might not be friendly either. If they were coming to colonize Huaxia, there would be blood. At the management department, Li Long had realized the same thing. The Kimchi Empire had been gone for 2 days, yet the zombies and monsters kept appearing. Once the game starts, it doesn't stop. What was the end game? The extinction of the blue planet's people, or someone beating the game? And who created immortal cultivation life in the first place? He had people investigating since day one, but the answer was always the same. Unknown. No company, no founder, no data. It was as if it appeared out of thin air, perfectly logical yet impossible. General Li, Elder Chen Mingyuan, is here, but his appearance has changed quite a bit. Don't be too shocked. Li Long laughed. Bring him in. A soldier led a young man into the room. Li Long looked at the young man, then looked behind him. Finding no one else, he asked, "Where is Elder Chen? I thought you said he was coming." "General, I am Chen Mingyuan," the young man said with a smile. Li Long froze. Once the realization hit, he nearly jumped out of his skin. "What the?" He stumbled back several steps, staring in horror. He had just visited Chen Mingyuan the night before, and the man was a skeletal dying shadow of himself. To see him like this after only one night was beyond comprehension. Looking him up and down. He couldn't believe this vibrant youth was the 130-year-old academician. Then, a thought struck him, and he whispered in shock. "Did you take a longevity pill?" Only Emperor Xiaoyao could perform such a miracle. Chen Mingyuan nodded. "You met him?" Li Long asked, his voice trembling with awe. "I did. But let's focus on business," Chen Mingyuan said seriously. Li Long's expression turned solemn as well. "What did the Emperor say?" "The Emperor asked me to relay a message. In the future, the blue planet will merge with multiple worlds, leading to a massive conflict. He isn't sure if enemies stronger than him will appear, so he needs the entire nation to boost their strength as quickly as possible. He cannot protect Huaxia forever." Li Long's pupils contracted. This was top-secret intel. If the Emperor said it, it was a dire warning. The expansion of the planet wasn't just for us. It was to make room for invaders, and these outsiders might not be friendly. The possibility of an entity more terrifying than an emperor appearing was now a real threat. "I understand. The universal cultivation plan must be accelerated." Li Long sighed. This plan had been in motion, but some officials were dragging their feet, refusing to face the new reality. "The Emperor has provided us with resources," Chen Mingyuan continued. "What resources?" Li Long's brow shot up. "He knows your body's constitution is too poor for standard cultivation, so he gave me a fate-reversing pill for you. It can reshape your bones and meridians, though the process is extremely painful." Chen Mingyuan produced a yellow pill from his ring. Li Long swallowed hard. He didn't expect the Emperor to notice him, let alone give him a chance to defy his own fate. "Thank you, Lord Xiaoyao." Li Long knelt toward the window. No matter how much he pretended otherwise, who wouldn't want to cultivate? Not only that, the Emperor has provided 1 million bottles of body tempering and spiritual energy pills as startup capital to strengthen Huaxia. We must be ready for the sect manifestation. Incredible. The Emperor truly is the guardian of Huaxia. He provides both the power and the resources. Huaxia is safe in his hands. Li Long nodded frantically. I'll arrange the distribution immediately. We can't delay another second. Meanwhile, the Pill Golden leaderboard had reached the 11th place. Just as the nation was watching, a voice interrupted the broadcast. I am Taoist Ching Feng. On behalf of General Li Long and the management department, I have a message for everyone. The Blue Planet faces an unprecedented crisis that threatens all of humanity. From now on, every citizen between the ages of 5 and 60 must begin cultivation. This is not a joke. It is for your survival. We must unite. If you only wait for others to protect you, it won't happen. No one is obligated to save you. You must fight for your own future. Schools will fully open cultivation classes, and testing sites will be established nationwide. Starting tomorrow, everyone eligible must go for testing. We are out of time. Furthermore, Lord Xiaoyao has donated 1 million bottles of pills to help us begin. Do not fail him. The era of universal cultivation starts now. For 10 whole years, I played a cultivation game straight through the night. In that game, I was the undisputed #1 on the global server leaderboards. My cultivation had reached the peak of the supreme great earth. I was above all and second to none. I had countless god-tier artifacts and weapons, but I never expected that after 10 years the game would actually manifest into reality. All the cultivation and artifacts transferred directly to my real body. I thought this would be humanity's stepping stone to a higher civilization, but it seemed a massive conspiracy was hiding behind this manifestation. At the same time, the Pill Golden leaderboard continued its countdown. From today onward, every child of 5 and every elder of 60 must cultivate. This is for yourselves and for our survival. We must unite against the coming storm. If you expect others to be your shield, you will fall. No one is obligated to protect you. Your future is in your own hands. Schools will be hubs for cultivation, and the management department is opening testing centers across the country. Tomorrow, everyone must report for evaluation. Lord Xiaoyao has warned us. Our time has run out. He has provided the pills. Now, the rest is up to you. I've donated millions of spirit pills so the entire nation can begin their cultivation. Do not fail the great emperor's expectations. The era of universal cultivation officially begins now. This is a massive turning point for Blue Star. Since the great emperor said it himself, there's no room for doubt. I have to get my parents to start cultivating immediately. 10 million pills, that's enough to empower an elite force of hundreds of thousands. The scale of his vision is staggering. Standing on the playground, I listened to the buzzing crowd and let out a soft smile. To them, 1 million bottles of pills is an astronomical sum, but in my storage ring, it's practically nothing. I could produce that much in an instant. Suddenly, I turned my head toward a specific coordinate, a smirk playing on my lips. It seems I found something interesting. Looks like my luck is holding up. With a single thought, I vanished from the spot. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, inside a majestic pyramid in the land of the pharaohs, 3 heavily armed figures move stealthily through the shadows. Big brother, we've traveled thousands of miles to get here. Are you sure the locals won't find us in this tomb? Surprisingly, they are speaking Chinese. These 3 are grave robbers who traveled from Huaxia specifically to plunder the pharaoh's grave. Relax. No one ever comes in here. I've done my homework. Let's just focus on getting the goods out, the leader whispers with a greedy grin. You're right. This is a pharaoh's tomb. There must be mountains of gold and jewels. The 3 move forward in sync, their movements cautious and silent, save for the sound of their jagged breathing. At the end of a long corridor, they face a massive stone door. In the center are 2 indentations, one shaped like a horse, the other like a bird. It seems a key is required to proceed. Lucky for us, I came prepared, the leader chuckles, pulling 2 stones from his satchel. He fits the horse and bird carvings into their respective slots. A low, heavy rumbling echoes as the ground begins to vibrate. The symbols on the stone door begin to rotate, and with a collective heave, the trio pushes the door open. As they peer inside, they are instantly paralyzed by the sight. Before them lie hundreds of coffins, each wrapped tightly in tattered white linen. Some are scattered on the floor, others lean against the walls, but the most magnificent of all sits in the center of a sarcophagus made of pure shimmering gold. Solid gold, we're going to be rich. One of the henchmen impulsively bites the edge of the coffin to test its purity. His eyes widen in shock. It's real. But boss, how are we supposed to carry something this big? The leader smacks him. Are you an idiot? Why do you think I told you to bring heavy tools? We're here to strip the gold, not carry the whole box. Realizing the plan, the 2 henchmen immediately start hacking away at the gold. While they work, the leader wanders off to scout for other rare artifacts or jewels. While the 2 henchmen are hyper-focused on the sound of metal hitting gold, a localized horror begins to unfold. The white linen wrapped around the surrounding coffins begins to disintegrate, turning into ash that drifts silently into the air. Blinded by greed, the thieves notice nothing until the temperature in the room plummets. Who turned on the AC? It's freezing in here. One grumbles. We're in a damn pyramid, there is no AC. The leader snaps, walking over to scold them. But then, he stops. He realizes something is very wrong. The white wrappings on the nearby coffins are gone. He scans the room, his heart hammering against his ribs as he swallows hard. Wait, where did the bandages go? The two henchmen scramble to their feet, terror finally replacing their greed. Forget the external gold. Pry the lid open, the leader commands. Grab the jewels from the inside and let's get out of here. He pulls a crowbar from his pack and begins to jam it into the golden seal. The three men throw their entire weight into the crowbar, and the golden lid gives a sickening metallic groan as it begins to shift. At the same moment, the surrounding black wooden coffins begin to rattle. It sounds as if the dead are clawing their way back to the world of the living. Hurry, the leader screams. He has encountered many supernatural anomalies in this new world, and he knows that the dead rising is no longer a myth. Their movements become frantic. Finally, the lid gives way, revealing a corpse wrapped in golden silk. Its hands are crossed over its chest, clutching a magnificent golden scepter topped with a blindingly brilliant red gemstone. Surrounding the body is a sea of priceless treasures, artifacts that aren't just expensive, but legendary. If they could take even half of this, they would never have to work another day in their lives. The sight of the treasure reignites their avarice. Take everything you can carry, they shout, diving into the golden hoard and stuffing their bags like madmen. But then, a low, guttural growl echoes from the other coffins, a sound like a starving beast. In the next heartbeat, every coffin in the room explodes. The three thieves collapse to the floor in sheer terror as skeletal, bandage-wrapped figures begin to sit up and crawl out of the wreckage. Their hollow eye sockets fixate on the intruders. The mummies begin to advance, dragging their feet across the stone floor like mindless husks. The leader, driven mad by greed, suddenly starts laughing. Why are you running? These things are slow. Grab the rest of the loot first. He ignores the encroaching undead, frantically shoving gold into his pack with a manic intensity, completely disregarding the mummies closing in. Seeing their leader's lack of fear, the two henchmen find a surge of desperate courage and continue looting. Their fear is quickly buried under the weight of their greed. One of the men catches sight of the red gem on the pharaoh's scepter. A strange crimson light flickers in his eyes. As if possessed, his hand reaches out for the stone. The leader sees this and panics. He knows the rules of the trade: you never touch the items held directly by the deceased, as they are often the anchors for the soul's fury. Stop! Don't touch that, he bellows, but it's too late. The henchman rips the scepter from the corpse's grip. In an instant, a terrifying wave of energy erupts from the golden sarcophagus. The three men are blasted backward, slamming into the stone walls and coughing up blood. Outside, the sky above the pyramid transforms, dark clouds swirl as lightning tears through the heavens. Thunder roars and a torrential rain begins to fall on a land that hasn't seen water in years. The people look up in horror. This isn't a blessing, it's a divine punishment. The pharaoh's tomb, something is wrong. Lightning strikes the apex of the pyramid repeatedly, the structure acting like a giant conductor, absorbing the celestial electricity. Inside, the atmosphere has shifted entirely. The three thieves watch in horror as a mummy wrapped in golden silk crawls out of the central coffin. It is the pharaoh king himself. Invaders, how dare you disturb my rest? His voice, raspy like grinding sand, echoes through the chamber. Forgive us. We shouldn't have come here. Please, spare us, the leader cries, kneeling and trembling in agony. His subordinates follow suit, but the mummies do not stop. Suddenly, the scepter in the henchman's hand begins to vibrate violently until it flies toward the pharaoh, who catches it in one firm grip. As the pharaoh grasps his scepter, crimson energy surges from the gemstone and into his body. The golden bandages dissolve and reform into a regal golden robe. His withered, centuries-old face begins to regain color and flesh, transforming back into a man in his prime. The sweet energy of life I have returned. He stands at the peak of his power, looking down at the three thieves with a murderous glint. A wave of red energy erupts from his scepter, binding the trio. You shall be the first meal for my resurrection, he declares coldly. He opens his mouth and a horrifying scene unfolds. The thieves' faces begin to wither and dry up at a visible rate. Their blood and life force are being siphoned out as threads of red mist. Just as they are about to be turned into husks, a voice cuts through the tension. I didn't expect to find something this interesting in the land of the pharaohs. The three thieves are mere moments from death. The crimson energy continues to drain from their bodies, pulled toward the pharaoh like a morbid feast. But the atmosphere is shattered by the sudden arrival of an outsider. The pharaoh is stunned. Someone has bypassed his defenses. Who goes there, he demands, his voice booming with the authority of an ancient god. I look at him and sigh. What kind of gibberish are you talking? With a casual wave of my hand, the golden scepter is ripped from the pharaoh's grasp and flies directly into my palm. The pharaoh's face pales. That scepter was a divine artifact he spent a lifetime searching for, the very item that allowed his soul to persist for centuries. Give it back, he roars, a massive blast of red energy erupting from his body and surging toward me. I remain expressionless, letting out a soft huff. The shock wave of my breath alone shatters his attack. The pharaoh is sent flying, crashing hard into the stone wall. He coughs up a mouthful of ancient blood, but the red energy in his body immediately begins to knit his wounds back together. If you weren't useful to me, you'd be dead already, I say coldly. I raise my hand, and a powerful suction force drags the pharaoh through the air until he is dangling helplessly before me. Tell me, where did this gemstone come from? In your dreams, I will kill you, he snarls, his face contorting as he tries to gather more energy for a strike. Fine, I'll just look for myself. My eyes flash with a piercing purple light. The pharaoh throws his head back and screams in agony as my consciousness tears through his mind, destroying his mental defenses and flaying his soul. Within 10 seconds, he stops struggling. His body hangs limp, like a puppet with its strings cut. The purple light in my eyes fades, and a smirk touches my lips. Not bad, quite a harvest. I release my grip, and the pharaoh falls to the floor, instantly dropping to his knees in a gesture of submission. When he speaks, he uses perfect fluent Chinese. Master, from now on, you are number 3. Your mission is to find the other lost gemstones from that era. My voice is flat. From his memories, I saw a red gem the size of a fist. This one, in my hand, is barely the size of a marble. If I find the complete stone, the life Tao within it would be immense. This current piece isn't even enough to satisfy a craving. However, the pharaoh makes a decent subordinate. Having worn the life gem for centuries, his body has adapted. He's developed a unique ability to siphon life from others to replenish his own. As long as he keeps feeding, he is effectively immortal. As you command, Master, number 3 replies, bowing deeply. Someone is coming. Deal with them yourself. I sense about 100 people approaching, but they're all ordinary mortals. In the next second, I vanish. The 3 grave robbers begin to wake up in a daze, only to see the pharaoh standing over them. He leans down, whispering like a demon from the abyss. You 3 shall be my newest slaves. Meanwhile, back at the playground, I'm sitting under the shade of a large tree watching the students cultivate. I look down at the red gem in my hand, a flicker of doubt crossing my mind. What kind of planet was Blue Star really? From the pharaoh's memories, I learned about an incredible history. Hundreds of years ago, there were already godmen with divine consciousness. He had seen beings who stood in the sky calling for wind and rain, gods who tempered their bodies with lightning, and entities who could breathe fire or control matter with a thought. If they existed then, why did they all disappear? The pharaoh's memory holds no answer. Because shortly after those encounters, he fell into a state of suspended animation. He had found this gem centuries ago with 3 others. They split it into 4 pieces and went their separate ways. Soon after, the pharaoh's kingdom was invaded. He was mortally wounded in battle, but when his blood touched the gem, it erupted with light, granting him his mysterious powers. One day, a man calling himself a prophet found him. He claimed that in a few hundred years, Blue Star would undergo an unprecedented transformation. The pharaoh's true era wasn't then, but in the future. Deciding to wait, he took the gem and entered a deep slumber. People thought he was dead and built the pyramids as his tomb, creating a world-famous landmark. No one expected 3 grave robbers would bring him back to the world, only for him to end up as my servant. It seems Blue Star is far more complex than it appears. If there were powerful beings in his era, what about thousands or tens of thousands of years ago? Then there's the heavenly Tao. Its awareness seems to have stalled hundreds of years ago, around the time the pharaoh went to sleep. I need to go to the library and look into the actual history. Perhaps the books have the answers I'm looking for. The Blue Star of centuries ago was definitely not simple. With that thought, I vanish and reappear inside the library of Kindu University. I expand my divine sense and quickly locate the history section. I grab a book titled 5,000 Years of Huaxia History. As I flip through the pages at high speed, my expression grows increasingly grim. Finally, I slam the book shut, my brow furrowed. The history is missing. It's not just a gap, it's as if everything was restarted. There are countless events in this book I've never heard of. Where did that massive chunk of real history go? A cold shiver runs down my spine. Everyone knows about the Qin Emperor unifying the 6 kingdoms, but now I realize a massive void exists after that point. The most terrifying part isn't the gap itself, but that everyone believes this revised history is correct. They don't even know their memories have been altered. So, what happened after the unification? Was it all a collective hallucination, or were these memories forcibly implanted? Weight of human memory was tampered with and history was erased. Who wrote this book? If you want to see what happens next, download the QQ reading app and search for The Great Night God. It's the first result. I played a cultivation game for 10 straight years and became the top-ranked player in the world, reaching the level of a supreme emperor with 1,000,000,000 years of cultivation. I possessed every god-level artifact and weapon imaginable, but I never expected that after 10 years the game would manifest into reality. My cultivation, my treasure, everything transferred to my real body. I thought this would be the start of a golden age for humanity, but it turns out there's a massive conspiracy hidden behind the game's manifestation. As I flip to the final page of the book, a chilling realization strikes many pupils shrink in disbelief. The back of 5,000 years of Huaxia history is completely blank. Usually an author or a publishing house fills those final pages with credits or references, but this book contains absolutely nothing. With a heavy heart, I return the volume to the shelf and head to the front desk. I want to know where this book came from, but to my lack of surprise, there is no record of it in the system. It's as if the book simply manifested out of thin air within this library. I reflexively expand my divine sense toward the shelf, only to freeze. I flash back to the aisle and stare at the empty gap where I just placed the book. It's gone. I distinctly remember putting it back, yet the space is vacant. I immediately sweep the entire nation with my divine sense, searching for any anomaly, but find nothing. I am certain no one was near me, so how did it vanish? The mystery is deepening. Without hesitation, I send a telepathic transmission to Chen Mingyuan. Chen Mingyuan, find out who wrote 5,000 years of Huaxia history for me. On the other end, Chen Mingyuan is clearly startled by my sudden voice. After a few seconds of silence, he responds, Great Emperor, doesn't Huaxia only have 500 years of history? In that instant, my mind feels like it's been struck by a bolt of lightning. Only 500 years. Yes, he continues. The history we've all been taught begins with the birth of the Qin state and spans exactly 500 years to the present day. But if that's true, why did the book I just read feel so undeniably authentic? Why did those thousands of years of history feel like memories I already possessed? Find out if anyone has ever written a history book like the one I described. I command. Then cut the connection. It's clear now my memory, and perhaps the memory of all mankind, has been tampered with. This game manifestation is no simple event. It hides a massive, dark conspiracy. Back at the playground, the students have stopped cultivating. They are all staring at the golden ranking in the sky. The top 3 rewards are about to be announced, and the winner will be revealed any second. I have no doubt who holds the top spot. It's coming. I bet the Great Emperor is number 1 again, no question. I worship him. He's topped every single list. Who wouldn't be envious? Listening to the chatter, I look up as the sky erupts with a deafening roar of thunder. The dark clouds vanish, replaced by a blinding celestial golden light. A new phenomenon is occurring, more grand than anything before. The entire sky has turned into a sea of liquid gold. First place, Xiao Yao the Great. Reward, 8 Pillars Spirit Pill. Divine Gift, Auspicious Keelan. As the ranking is finalized, a gentle rain begins to fall from the golden clouds. Unlike the previous rain, these are golden droplets that blanket the entirety of Huaxia. As people touch the golden rain, they realize their cultivation bases are surging upward. Good God. This is divine rain. It increases your power. Hurry, open your mouths. Thank the Great Emperor for winning and letting us share the light. The crowd goes wild. This first place reward is a blessing for the entire world. The Great Emperor is incredible. He's actually benefiting all of humanity. It isn't just the cultivators who are celebrating. Ordinary citizens feel the golden rain nourishing their bodies, and those suffering from chronic illnesses find their symptoms fading away. The rain ends as abruptly as it began, lasting only 10 seconds, but in that brief window, millions have broken through to new realms of power, and countless others have regained their health. Suddenly, the voice of Hongmeng echoes through the heavens once more. Mount Ranking rewards issued. Mount Manifestation in 5 days. Mount Golden Bag will open. Spirit Vein Manifestation in 5 days. Genius Earth Bag Manifestation in 5 days. A slight smirk touches my lips. Just as I suspected, whatever the reward is, that determines the next ranking. The Keelin was the reward, so the next list is for mounts. I begin to contemplate the new divine skill I received from the ranking, True Path Formation. This is a terrifyingly powerful ability. It allows me to master and even improve any formation, no matter how complex, in a single thought. However, I'm facing one major problem. I don't actually know any formations. I have the talent to master them instantly, but I lack the basic knowledge. I'll have to wait until the sect manifestation before I can find someone to learn from. Time flies, and as the days pass in a blur for the world, the manifestation of demon beasts begins. The voice of Hongmeng thunders again. I immediately deactivate my time domain, returning the area to the normal flow of time. It's time to take the team out for some fun. Demon beasts are beginning to manifest randomly. For this phase, only beasts below the Nascent Soul stage will appear. In 7 days, beasts of the Law Manifestation stage will manifest. I frown slightly. We're already moving to Law Manifestation level beasts. The game's progress is accelerating too quickly. Humanity hasn't had enough time to grow. This is bad news. I realize I can't keep stepping in to clear every obstacle, or I'll just speed up the game's timeline even further. If I keep interfering, Soul Transformation stage beasts will be running rampant within a month. If that happens, how can people who are still at the body refining or foundation establishment stages possibly survive? As golden light descends across Huaxia and the unknown territories, I look toward my students. With a wave of my hand, a small sword flies to my feet and expands until it's large enough to hold hundreds of people. Hop on, let's go see what we're up against. I lead them back to the previous site, where over 1,000 demon beasts are already prowling, excitedly eyeing their new home. One of the beasts spots us and sneers in human tongue. Natives. The fact that they call us that proves they know they are outsiders from another world. This gives me an idea. Since they come from somewhere else, they must know the truth. I'll catch a few and squeeze the information out of them. Everyone stay alert, move in groups of 3 or 4. Don't worry, I'm watching over you. I put away my sword and prepare to move. I snatch a dog-headed beast and soar into the sky. Below, the students charge forward with battle cries to bolster their courage. Whenever a student is about to take a fatal blow, the attacking beast either shrivels into a husk, explodes, or simply vanishes into thin air. No one is allowed to get hurt today. High above, the beast in my grip tries to snap at my head, but I silence it with a single glare. Its eyes fill with pure terror. You're a native? How can you be this strong? They told us you weren't powerful, the beast stammers. I immediately catch the hidden meaning. Who told you that? I ask coldly. But before the beast can answer, its body abruptly explodes into a mist of blood, its soul completely extinguished. I stare at the red haze, my eyes turning icy. There's a secret here. These beasts are under a restriction they can't speak of their origin without self-destructing. To test this theory, I grab another beast. Where do you come from? Why are you invading Blue Star? Ha, native, we will never tell you. I don't argue, I simply attempt a soul search. But the moment my spiritual power touches its mind, this beast also self-destructs, leaving nothing behind, not even a fragment of its soul. I refuse to believe this. Using the power of the Time Tao, I force the beast's physical form to reassemble and try again. The result is the same. Instant annihilation. Damn it, this seal is too sensitive. Any mention of the forbidden topics triggers a total wipe. These beasts have been programmed with absolute silence regarding the other world. Then, a thought strikes me. Perhaps the Tao of Change can bypass this. I resurrect the beast once more, but this time I use the Tao of Change to weaken the intensity of the seal. If I can just lower the threshold, I might get some simple answers. Which world do you come from? This time, the beast doesn't explode immediately. Its eyes turn dull and vacant, as if its soul has been hollowed out. The profound sinking realm, as soon as the words leave its mouth, it explodes again. I don't bother reconstructing it this time. I have my answer. The other world is known as the profound sinking realm. Any further questions would likely trigger the same response regardless of the Tao of Change. I look up at the sky and flash a mysterious, knowing smile. I know you're watching. If you can't come over here yourselves, it means you're afraid of something. A day passes quickly. The next day, the Ministry of Cultivation posts a global announcement. An international martial arts tournament will be held tomorrow afternoon. Representatives from nations like Huaxia, the Superpower Empire, the Land of the Ganges, the Shinobi Empire, and the Land of the Pharaohs will compete. Each participating nation must provide a prize of equal value, and the winner takes all. Huaxia has offered a low-grade Hautian treasure. All prizes have been verified for utility and value, and the event will be broadcast globally. A global tournament? That sounds incredible, Loi Tao says, looking at his phone with envy. I wish I could participate. Forget it, I tease him. A little golden core like you would just get bullied on stage. Don't get cocky, I'll reach Nascent Soul soon, and then I'll catch up to you, Loi Tao retorts. All right, I'll wait for you to catch up. I'm going into seclusion for a bit. You take care of the students. Don't worry, I'll leave behind a protective artifact for you. In the next heartbeat, I vanish. I reappear on the surface of the moon and casually set up a barrier. This seal is strong enough that even an immortal emperor's divine sense wouldn't be able to peer through. Now it's time to comprehend the Tao of Strength. I won't leave this spot until I've mastered the basics. I sit cross-legged and close my eyes, my soul drifting into a void within the universe. In this void, 3,000 dim stars represent the 3,000 Taos. 6 of those stars are currently brilliant and radiant, the 6 Taos I've already mastered. I begin to focus my intent on the Tao of Strength, Spirit Energy, and Tao Charms swirling around me in a mysterious dance. While I am deep in meditation, a mountain cave in Hailong City hidden by overgrown trees and thick vines undergoes a terrifying change. At the deepest point of the empty cave, a formation drawn in an unknown red liquid begins to glow. A viscous red fluid starts to seep from the complicated runes. It looks exactly like fresh blood. The liquid flows through the grooves of the formation, and after 5 minutes, every symbol is drenched in a vibrant, sickening red. Hey, I, the blood demon ancestor, have finally returned. A ghostly, horrific voice echoes through the hollow cave, sounding as if it were rising from the depths of the 9 hells. As the voice rings out, the blood on the formation begins to pool in the center. It merges and grows, slowly taking on the shape of a human silhouette. A man made entirely of blood stands in the middle of the formation. Want to see what happens next? Download the QQ Reading app and search for the Great Night God. It's the top result. I played a cultivation game for 10 straight years. I played that cultivation game until I became the #1 player on the global server, reaching the rank of Supreme Emperor with 1,000,000,000 years of power. I was above all, with every god-tier artifact and weapon at my disposal. But I never imagined that after a decade the game would manifest in reality. Everything my cultivation, my treasures, was inherited by my real-world body. I thought this was the next step for human civilization, but it seems a massive conspiracy is lurking in the shadows. Inside the cave, that terrifying voice continues to echo as the blood pulls together. The liquid begins to coalesce into a solid mass, slowly forming a human shape. A man made of gore stands in the center of the formation. Then, something even more grotesque happens. The blood begins to sprout bones, followed by internal organs and meridians. Finally, skin grows over the mass until a real human being stands there. I never thought I, the blood demon ancestor, would return. I am the one who escaped the divine judgment. This era will belong to me. The man looks around the cave, inhaling the fresh air with manic excitement. After eons of slumber, he is finally awakened. I survived the cycle of world destruction and kept my power. I should be able to return to the immortal emperor realm shortly. He checks his current level and size. After so long, his power has dropped significantly. I need to raise my cultivation fast. He licks his lips. It's been a very long time since he tasted blood. It's time to go hunting. He teleports outside the cave, but as soon as he expands his divine sense to scan the area, he freezes in shock. What is this? Is this not Blue Star? What are those buildings and what are those metal beasts running on the ground with humans sitting inside them? How could so many cultivators exist after the cycle was supposed to end? Wasn't the world destroyed? When he notices a few cultivators in Huaxia, he's stunned. He thought he would be the first to awaken, but suddenly his face pales, and he immediately pulls back his divine sense, retreating into the cave. How is there a Saint King here? The blood demon ancestor is reeling. He isn't the first to wake up, just sensed a divine sense even more powerful than his own, carrying the aura of a Saint King. Though he has dropped to the Saint realm, he was once an immortal emperor. How could a Saint King exist? Did the cycle of destruction never happen? No, the 9 great emperors aren't here. So what is this? Suddenly, he clutches his head and screams in agony, his face turning ghostly white as his body shakes uncontrollably. This lasts for 5 minutes before he collapses to his knees, staring at the ceiling in despair. I still couldn't escape it. The soul restriction is still there. He feels a crushing hopelessness. He had fought so hard to survive. He had done everything to escape the world's destruction, yet he is still a puppet to those people's divine law. Meanwhile, in a luxury villa, Peng Dahai sits up in bed with a look of confusion, glancing toward Heilong City. In an instant, he travels tens of thousands of miles, appearing in the sky above the mountain where the blood demon ancestor is hiding. He looks down at the forest, perplexed. That unfamiliar Saint aura, it definitely erupted from here. Strange? Where did it go? Hello, Saint King Sr. A voice speaks from behind him. It's Taoist Qing Tong. Peng Dahai nods without turning around. You felt it too? Yes. A very strong divine sense appeared here, even more powerful than mine. Qing Tong nods, looking down with a frown. He's familiar with most powerful signatures on Blue Star. But that one was entirely foreign. Everyone is here, I see. Another man arrives, a butcher's knife tucked into his apron and a cigarette dangling from his lips. This is Jugu, the 9th-ranked expert on the Golden Ranking. The 3 of them stand in the sky looking thoughtful. Has the great emperor left Blue Star? I haven't felt his presence for 10 minutes. Did you notice? I did. He likely went into seclusion. Huaxia really can't function without him. Peng Dahai sighs. He mentioned Blue Star is facing a major crisis. Could that divine sense be part of it? Just as Ju Gu is about to speak, he suddenly whips his head toward another direction. Taoist Qing Kong and Peng Dahai do the same. Another unfamiliar aura. Taoist Qing Tong asks anxiously. Peng Dahai and Ju Gu head toward the new location, while Qing Kong returns to the ministry to inform Li Long. 2 saint-level auras appearing out of nowhere on Blue Star is definitely not a good sign. Over 5 million kilometers away in the Arctic, Peng Dahai and Ju Gu arrive at a landscape of ice and frozen rivers. They spot a few polar bears near a deep underground cavern. The aura came from inside there. Look, polar bear fur, something must have dragged them down. Ju Gu kneels to investigate. My divine sense can't penetrate the cave. Something is blocking it. We need to go down, Peng Dahai says gravely. Wait, this cave looks dangerous. Even if it's a saint, it could be an ancient monster that's been hidden for eons. You can't just jump in. I'm the highest-ranked person here right now. With the great emperor away, I have to take charge. Peng Dahai shakes his head, determined to descend. I'm going in. If things get hairy, I'm coming straight back up. The words have barely left his lips before he leaps into the abyss. Ju Gu watches from the edge, tense. 5 minutes pass in total silence, a sound from the depths. Suddenly, a streak of light flies back up. It's Peng Dahai. There's some kind of barrier down there, he gasps, looking shaken. It blocked me completely. Even my full-strength strike couldn't leave a scratch. Peng Dahai is stunned. He's a Saint King. How could a mere barrier withstand his maximum power? What kind of construct is it, and who on earth placed it there? Just as the 2 of them are puzzling over the mystery, they simultaneously snap their heads toward the horizon. No way, another one. Millions of kilometers away, another saint-level aura has erupted. What is going on today? That night, at the Ministry of Cultivation's headquarters, Li Long sits at the head of a packed conference table. Every regional director in the country is present. Tonight's meeting is urgent. We are facing a massive problem, Li Long says, his voice heavy. His opening statement sends a literal chill through the room, leaving everyone paralyzed with fear. On the projection screen behind him, a series of photos appear. The dense forests of Heilong City, the massive Arctic sinkhole, and various ominous canyons in unknown territories. 5 photos in total. The crowd murmurs, unsure of the significance, until Li Long continues. Today, 5 distinct saint-level auras appeared across the globe. They are powerful, and they are completely foreign. They are likely not from Huaxia. The revelation causes an uproar. If they aren't from Huaxia, who are they? Are these 5 new saints a threat to Blue Star? It's highly probable, Taoist Qing Tong adds, that these are ancient mysterious powerhouses who remained hidden until the spirit energy returned. Now that the world is reviving, so are they. Our enemies might no longer be just the demon beasts. The room falls into a grim silence. Dealing with the beasts was hard enough. Now, mystery powerhouses are popping up like weeds. What's the plan? Do we eliminate them? One director asks hesitantly. I've considered it, Li Long sighs, but their tracks are impossible to follow. Our best hope is that the great emperor intervenes, but there's the catch: we don't know who he is, where he is, or if he even cares to step in. Another director speaks up, voicing the collective anxiety about the emperor's motives. The silence returns, heavier than before. I know someone who might have the answer. Li Long says with a sudden knowing smirk. Everyone knows who he means: Chen Mingyuan. He's the only person who has seen the emperor's true face. Unfortunately, Chen Mingyuan is a vault. Even when the head of state asked him personally, he wouldn't budge, offering only the same cryptic line: "When the time is right, you will know." Meanwhile, on the surface of the moon, I sit in a cross-legged position, the Tao charms and spirit energy swirling around my body growing denser by the second. With one deep breath, I draw it all into my core. I've officially mastered the basics of the Tao of strength. I can feel the raw power vibrating within me. Even if I suppress my cultivation to the nascent soul stage, I'm confident I could kill a law manifestation expert with a single punch or critically wound a great ascension master. That was easier than expected, I mutter. I've been in seclusion for a while, so it's time to see how Blue Star is faring. My brow furrows almost immediately. St. Aura's in the Hailong City Mountains. It's only been a day, and so much has happened. In an instant, I vanish. I reappear high above the forests of Hailong City, my eyes locking onto a hidden cave. It's protected by a shimmering golden formation. I can see the runes and symbols cycling automatically, a self-sustaining loop of energy. It seems to be blocking all divine sense. I don't recognize the formation, and I don't know the correct way to disarm it. Fine. One punch to break all laws, I say softly. I throw a casual, effortless punch. The formation shatters instantly, a wave of energy threatening to erupt before dissipating into nothing. Looking at the now defenseless cave, I smile to myself. Brute force really is the best solution. I flicker inside, only to find the environment completely empty. There's nothing here. But then I notice the floor. Another formation. I frown. Before the game manifested and spirit energy returned, these strange ancient relics were never mentioned in the news. Now, they're appearing one after another. I flick my index finger, sending a tiny shard of sword intent toward the center of the array. If Peng Dehai were hit by this, he'd be obliterated instantly. But when the sword intent strikes the formation, nothing happens. Not even a scuff mark on the ground. It seems this one can't be destroyed by force. It needs a specific trigger to activate. I shake my head and decide not to waste more time, turning to leave. But the very second I exit, the formation glows with a faint crimson light before vanishing. "So, you can see and hear me after all," my voice rings out as I reappear exactly where I was standing. I had left, but my divine sense never wavered. The fact that the formation reacted to my departure proves it possesses a saint-level consciousness. But how to open it? "Hey, little heaven," I transmit telepathically to the heavenly Tao. "Take a look at this. Recognize it? Great Emperor? Give me a moment," the heavenly Tao replies. After a long pause, it speaks again. I have no record of this formation in my memory. To be honest, there are many things I don't recognize anymore. The answer doesn't surprise me. In my experience, this version of the heavenly Tao is a bit of a lost soul, like a hardworking employee whose memories were wiped after being kidnapped for a job. If even the world's consciousness has had its memory tampered with, whoever is behind this must be terrifyingly powerful. I glance at the formation one last time. There's no rush. When the great sects manifest, I'll just find their libraries and study up on formations. I'll figure it out eventually. The next day arrives, the first day of the Global Martial Arts Tournament. The venue is set in an unknown territory that was cleared of demon beasts specifically for this event. An arena the size of 20 football fields was constructed in a single day. Every nation has started their global live streams. Before long, Taoist Qing Kong takes the stage and announces the start of the competition. First up, a representative from the nation of Greece. Their manifested game was Grecian myth, and their pantheon is formidable. The deities in their mythos are incredibly powerful, some being world creators like Gaia, the personification of the earth. While these gods haven't fully manifested yet, they likely will in the future. The current contestant is a young woman who inherited the power of Poseidon, a divine ability to command the oceans and manipulate water. I look at her and see something disturbing. Deep within her soul, another consciousness is overlapping with her own, surrounded by golden light. Some might call it a divine blessing. But this soul layering is a bad omen. It means that when that ancient entity decides to reclaim its power, it can do so instantly, likely destroying the girl's soul in the process. For now, it's just a parasite, using her soul as a source of nourishment. I'm starting to understand these gods will likely manifest soon. When they do, those they blessed will simply be vessels to provide faith. Once they are no longer useful, their souls will be extinguished.